In front of the crowd, he was confronted with the classic scene of a marriage annulment. Gu Feng, the protagonist, smiled faintly. Whoever you are, I have no objection to you breaking off the engagement. However, we must first settle the matter of the breakup compensation. He drew out a golden abacus. Clearly prepared in advance, he turned his hand and extorted 4 million spirit stones from his former fiancée. This took place at the grand competition venue of the three great families in Yunwo City. The residents of Yunwo City regarded this triennial competition as a grand festival. From it, one could not only discern the development of the three great families over the past 3 years, but also glimpse the future trajectory of their ambitions. Those who placed in the top 50 of the competition would with high probability pass the entry assessment of the Luoxia sect. As one of the foremost top sects in Yun County, even becoming an outer disciple of Luoxia sect meant boundless possibilities for the future. On the arena platform, figures flashed as the contestants exchanged blows, while below the stage cheers rose incessantly. In the stands, the distinguished figures of the three great families leaned together, whispering as they commented on the disciples fighting on stage. Among the crowd, the most active and eye-catching was a youth of about 16 or 17. The youth possessed handsome features and a tall, straight figure. When he smiled, 2 rows of bright white teeth gleamed in the sunlight, giving him an exceptionally cheerful appearance. From time to time, he burst into enthusiastic applause, tugging at the sleeves of the elders beside him, pointing at the arena and laughing heartily. Though those elders laughed along in response, between their brows surfaced a barely concealed impatience. His name was Gu Feng, the nominal young master of the Gu family, one of the three great families. He held the title and name only because his father, while defending the family's spirit stone mine, had perished together with Gu Feng's mother and all the experts of their branch. As the sole surviving member of that branch and a descendant of great merit to the family, Gu Feng was established as the Gu family's young master. Yet everyone in Yunwo City understood that stripping him of this position was only a matter of time. This had little to do with his mediocre talent. Without a pillar of support, even if his aptitude had been extraordinary, he would still have been unable to escape the fate of being cast out. In small clans, the struggle for power was often even more ruthless and merciless than within great sects. I heard Gu Feng is terribly ostracized in his own family, living worse than the servants. Seeing him today, his situation doesn't seem as miserable as the rumors say. The elders and disciples of the Gu family have always ignored him, yet now they appear all harmonious and joyful around him. It is truly strange. Years ago, they said Gu Feng moved into an old dilapidated courtyard without even a single servant, living all alone in utter desolation. The murmurs from below reached Gu Feng's ears, making his smile grow even brighter. He was deliberately provoking the Gu family elders. His joy was built upon the pain and discomfort of others. Just as the rumors said, apart from being spared physical labor, his treatment as young master was hardly better than that of a servant. The elders' loathing and the disciples' cold indifference towards him had long ceased to be a secret. If not for their fear of his nominal fiancée, they would likely have stripped him of the young master title years ago. His fiancée was known to every resident of Yunwo City. She was the first person in the city's history to be specially admitted into Luoxia sect as an inner disciple, a true heaven-blessed prodigy. She bore a melodious name, Chu Yanran. Before the age of 10, Chu Yanran had also lived in Yunwo City, and their engagement had been arranged during that time. As a transmigrator, Gu Feng's mind had matured early. Long aware that they were destined to marry, he had taken special care of Chu Yanran from a very young age. Later, after Gu Feng's parents perished and misfortune also befell Chu Yanran's family, she left Yunwo City, and the two never met again. He only heard that she had displayed an exceptional cultivation talent, and 3 months ago had been specially admitted into Luoxia sect as an inner disciple, her name resounding far and wide. From that day on, Gu Feng understood that their engagement was effectively over. After all, he was now merely a first-layer body-tempering realm, good for nothing, the lowest of the low, even among his Gu family peers, let alone when compared to Chu Yanran. Marriages could end in divorce. How much less weighty was a mere annulment? Gu Feng felt no humiliation and took it lightly in his heart. Tugging exaggeratedly at an elder's sleeve, he shouted loudly. The elder's constipated expression delighted him. In any case, once the engagement was annulled, he would leave the Gu family. How could he not seize this rare chance to thoroughly vex these bastards? Great families had their own sense of dignity, and internal strife could not be laid bare in public, so he did not fear them turning on him here and now. Just as the competition was drawing to a close, several figures flew in from the horizon and descended onto the stands. Elder Lu, what brings you here? The three family heads all rose to their feet, cupping their fists respectfully toward the middle-aged man in the lead. The man nodded slightly, his gaze sweeping over the venue before settling on the radiant, smiling Gu Feng. He then turned a questioning look to the young girl beside him, and she nodded. This scene fell into Gu Feng's eyes, making his heart jolt. He quickly understood that this young girl was most likely his fiancée, Chu Yanran. Since childhood, she had possessed the bearing of a peerless beauty, and now, after several years, she had grown even more striking. Her figure was tall and slender, her features exquisitely sculpted. Long black hair flowed smoothly down to her waist, and the cold aura radiating from her entire being made ordinary people feel shamefaced in comparison. Sensing Gu Feng's gaze, Chu Yinran, expressionless, also looked in his direction. Her eyes passed over the top of his head. Gu Feng understood that the two of them now stood in entirely different worlds. She was no longer the adorable little girl who had once chased after him for sweets. Forget it, let's part on decent terms. It's nothing significant, Gu Feng thought. In this world, breaking off an engagement was an extremely humiliating affair, but given their once close childhood relationship, he believed she would not propose it openly on the spot. His thoughts were beautiful, reality was brutally cruel. At the very moment the competition ended, Elder Lu led Chu Yanran and another young cultivator straight toward Gu Feng. The venue fell into silence as tens of thousands of gazes converged on a single spot. No way are they really going to annul the engagement right here. How pitiful for Gu Feng. After today, he'll likely have no face left to stand in Yunwo City. He was born with such a fine appearance, but his cultivation is far too poor. In a world where martial strength reigns supreme, the weak can only endure humiliation. The Gu family members watch with cold eyes. Gu Feng's disgrace today is already set in stone. He should bow his head when he must hand over the marriage contract as soon as possible and leave this place of right and wrong. Perhaps he can still preserve the last shred of his dignity. An unfortunate child who lost his parents at 10, yet must still endure oppression and bullying from his own clan. It's hard not to feel pity for him. Yet no one could help him. This tribulation was one he alone had to cross, and this humiliation was something only he himself could bear. With steady steps, Elder Lu and the other two drew nearer to Gu Feng. The elders of the Gu family beside him dropped their pretense, each stepping aside with mocking looks in their eyes. They did not wish to intervene, nor could they. Luoxiao sect was a great sect, and a great sect naturally possessed the dignity of one. A public annulment before the masses was something no one could obstruct. When the trio was about to reach him, Gu Feng rose to his feet. Wearing a gentle smile and revealing his bright white teeth, he did not display the slightest hint of humiliation or nervousness. This bearing made many in the audience secretly nod. In the end, he managed to hold himself together and would not lose too much face. Gu Feng. Elder Lu, let me speak to him. Chu Yanran interrupted Elder Lu, and with a flash of her figure she appeared directly before Gu Feng. The engagement between you and me was merely the careless joke of our elders in childhood. Let it end here. Chu Yanran's expression did not ripple in the slightest. Her emotionless eyes continued to gaze above Gu Feng's head. She was like a goddess standing high above the clouds, overlooking the mortals of this dusty world. Gu Feng was not cowed by her imposing manner. Instead, his eyes showed puzzlement as he said blandly, "And who might you be?" To call it compensation is more outrageous than outright thievery. A tattered comic book is being priced at 2,000 low-grade spirit stones, and that's not even the worst part. It has a ridiculous backstory attached to it. According to Gu Feng's explanation, the reason this comic book is so expensive is that it comes from a mysterious master containing hidden supreme techniques that, if mastered, could grant the ability to change the world. I've seen people boast before, but never to this extent. The tales of the heavenly Tao puppet, the handkerchief left behind by the saintess, the prayer beads cherished by an old sect master. Everyone was as if they were listening to a heavenly scripture, staring blankly at Gu Feng, who was speaking so eloquently, while he maintained a serious demeanor, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Even Elder Lu, who was used to the grandeur of the world, couldn't help but twitch his lips and his facial muscles. This kid is truly a scoundrel, valuing money over life. Holding so many spirit stones, how could he not fear being murdered for them? Beside him, Chu Yanran's pupils constricted. The Gu Feng in front of her was vastly different from her memories, and it was the first time she witnessed such shamelessness from him. At first, she managed to maintain her aloofness and composure, but when she heard that a candy Gu Feng had eaten was priced at 3,000 low-grade spirit stones, she could no longer hold herself together. Her eyes widened in fury, an unnamed fire igniting from the depths of her heart, burning fiercely. What sort of candy is this priced even higher than elixirs? Robbery can't be this brazen. Don't be so excited, a single candy isn't worth much. What has value is the saliva I left on it. This is the saliva of a pure-hearted youth, so pure it's shocking. You want it now, but I can't just give it to you. This is a product of the times, extremely precious and rare. Gu Feng was adept at reading the room, noticing Chu Yanran's signs of rage, and immediately began to explain, filled with a strong desire to survive. Ha ha, this kid is a true talent. He can say such disgusting things with a straight face. Did Chu Yanran really kiss Gu Feng? Hee, it's probably true. Kids just take things from each other. It's quite normal. Laughter erupted, the heavy atmosphere lifted, and everyone became lively. Chu Yanran bit her lip, straining to control her agitated emotions. She understood that if she got into a quarrel with Gu Feng, it would be her who ended up embarrassed. This is such a scoundrel. She screamed in her heart, feeling a wave of shame wash over her, wishing she could immediately take her marriage contract and leave this place forever. Stop talking, you. I will definitely compensate for everything according to the price. Just give me a piece of paper and... Upon hearing Chu Yanran's delicate shout, Gu Feng exhaled deeply. Why didn't you say so earlier? My mouth was drying up. Saying this, in the astonished gazes of everyone, Gu Feng took out a thin sheet of paper from his storage bag, unfolding it to reveal several meters long, filled with neatly written items and their prices. Holy crap, I'm impressed this kid was fully prepared. Clearly Gu Feng had planned this extortion days in advance. Gu Feng chuckled, folding the thin paper and handing it to Chu Yanran, who took it with a dark expression. Looking at the 2 rows of white teeth he revealed in his smile, she wished she could find a hammer and smash them all. Elder Lu glanced sideways, scanning the contents of the thin sheet, unable to control his mustache from twitching a few times. When he saw Gu Feng take a pen and walk over to Chu Yanran, brazenly adding a 0 to the price of one of the items, it was as if the facade had broken. He burst into laughter. This kid was too cunning, even raising the price on the spot, an act of shamelessness he had never seen before. The young cultivator tilted his head, also focusing on the thin paper. When he saw one of the items, his entire demeanor exploded with fury, roaring, "You have some guts to fabricate charges and ruin junior sister Chu's reputation." "Where?" Gu Feng took a step forward, loudly asking. "This item right here." "Which one could you please point at?" "It's this one." The young cultivator's expression darkened, stammering, looking as if it were hard to speak, his eyes bloodshot as he glared fiercely at Gu Feng. "Oh, you mean this one? This is a clause beneficial to her. Why are you so agitated?" Their vague conversation left everyone dumbfounded, their anticipation boiling over. They wished they could rush in to see what exactly the two were arguing about. Elder Lu, enjoying the spectacle, read it aloud, in the spirit of mutual respect and an equal contracting spirit. Due to the difference in gender, the utmost respect should be given to the female. Having kissed a few times before, I am the beneficiary. Valued at 10000 low-grade spirit stones for each kiss, deducted from the total compensation amount. The crowd's gasps shattered the clouds above Yunwo City. What? Chu Yanran kissed Gu Feng? That can't be true, can it? Isn't that absurd? Don't get excited, kids. Playing house kissing is normal. I also kissed the daughter of the neighbor when I was young. God, Gu Feng is so lucky he actually got to kiss the goddess. I envy him. Why didn't I have such a good playmate when I want a playmate I can kiss too? Wails, shouts, envy, jealousy, anger, mixed with laughter, filled the entire Yunwo City, driving everyone insane. Kid, are you looking for death? The young cultivator was on the edge of madness. His goddess had not only tasted Gu Feng's saliva when they were young, but also kissed him, a cruel reality that ignited his fury, nearly driving him insane. If it weren't for Elder Liu's presence and the crowd watching, he would have long since slapped this despicable little ant to death. Brother, don't get worked up. Oh, I can just scratch that line out. Would that work? Quickly tell them this is all fabricated by you. That wouldn't be good. Oh, after all, this incident really did happen. If you don't believe me, ask Chu Yanran. Upon hearing this, the young cultivator looked at Chu Yanran with hopeful eyes, wishing to hear her deny it. However, what awaited him was Chu Yanran's murderous glare. At this moment, more than the despicable Gu Feng, she hated the meddlesome young cultivator the most. If it weren't for his loose tongue, who would know about her childhood kiss with Gu Feng? Shut up. Chu Yanran shouted sharply, her face slightly contorted, having lost her previous calm and proud demeanor. Her crystalline teeth clenched tightly, her lips nearly bitten through, her fingers cracking as they squeezed together. Enough. How many spirit stones in total? He'll pay. I must say Chu Yanran's composure is still commendable. In such a furious state, she still did not show any. The first exemption clause this brother voluntarily waived for you, adding 500 low-grade spirit stones to the total price. As for the second clause, valued at 100 low-grade spirit stones, do you want it waived? As soon as these words were spoken, the scene erupted. The first exemption clause was for kissing, charging 100 low-grade spirit stones for each kiss, equating to 5 kisses. As for the second clause, valued at 100 low-grade spirit stones, the price far exceeds that of kissing. The crowd was curious about what Gu Feng had done to willingly waive such a massive sum. It was obvious that it must be something 10 times worse than kissing. Pairs of bloodshot eyes greedily scanned Chu Yanran from head to toe. Wails and curses soon followed, and Gu Feng had seemingly become a villain beyond redemption. Chu Yanran's face shifted from green to black, finally turning bright red. At this moment, the words Gu Feng had said earlier echoed in her mind. I'm afraid it's you who should be embarrassed. Regret surged within her. If time could turn back, she would never choose to break off the engagement in such a public setting. The boy's counterattack was so intense it brought her endless shame. The sounds of curses, laughter, and chaos erupted beneath the viewing platform, while the high-ranking members of the 3 major families on the platform chuckled softly, though the members of the Gu family wore dark expressions. They glared at Gu Feng with fury, wishing they could rush up and tear him apart. This boy's actions not only humiliated Chu Yanran, but also insulted the Falling Sunset sect. To the small Gu family of Yunwo City, the Falling Sunset sect was a colossal power. Just sending out any elder could sweep away and annihilate the entire Gu family. Gu Feng was still the nominal young master of the Gu family. If his actions were misinterpreted by the Falling Sunset sect, it would spell disaster. Elder Lu from the outer sect had a knowing gaze constantly shifting between Gu Feng and Chu Yanran. This young man, merely at the first level of body refining, had surprised him greatly. Unlike most people who would scream and angrily berate Chu Yanran for violating propriety, he did not accept his fate and flee in embarrassment. Instead, he chose an exceedingly comical approach, turning the tables on his disadvantage, shattering Chu Yanran's proud demeanor, pulling her down from the clouds, and pushing her into the ground. What seemed like an unruly act was likely a product of deep contemplation. Beneath this boy's cynical exterior lay a proud heart. He would not allow himself to be oppressed, and rose in rebellion. Unfortunately, the disparity in strength between the two sides was too great. In the face of absolute power, everything was merely fleeting. Forget it, I'll wave the 100 spirit stones for you. No need. Chu Yanran glared fiercely at Gu Feng, her voice cold as she uttered those two words. That's wonderful. The total is 543090 low-grade spirit stones. You'll let go of the leftovers. Just give me 54000 low-grade spirit stones. 5400 low-grade spirit stones was far too much. Even robbery wouldn't be that extreme. Though she was an inner disciple of the Falling Sunset sect and received a considerable amount of cultivation resources each month, the total value was only a few thousand low-grade spirit stones. 540 low-grade spirit stones. Even if she didn't eat, drink, or cultivate, tirelessly performing tasks for the sect and earning rewards from competitions, it would take her at least 7 to 8 years to accumulate that amount. Of course, that was under ideal conditions. It would be no exaggeration to say that the actual time needed could double. Chu Yanran trembled in anger. This bastard was trying to ruin her. With so many spirit stones, was there even a chance to spend them? The crowd was stunned by the shocking figure of 5400. It was a staggering amount. The Gu family, one of the 3 major families, specialized in iron ore and owned a mine, yet their total profit in a year was far less than this. Gu Feng is finished. This so-called compensation is too harsh. Chu Yanran won't pay it. Perhaps Chu Yanran doesn't have that many spirit stones either. Turn the question into a statement. As an inner disciple of the Falling Sunset sect, her family has long since declined, making it impossible for her to come up with such a large sum. A few thousand might be possible. Gu Feng is risking his life to rob. There's no way he can back down. The discussions below did not sway Gu Feng's resolve. His outstretched hand remained suspended in the air. What? Did you not bring spirit stones? Seeing Chu Yanran stunned in place, Gu Feng frowned and asked softly. The atmosphere was extraordinarily tense, as if frozen in that moment, trapped in a standoff. Elder Lu, you are an elder of the Falling Sunset sect. What do you think we should do about this matter? After a long pause, Gu Feng blinked at Elder Lu respectfully. From the beginning until now, Elder Lu had not scolded him, and in front of the crowd he read out the humiliating terms. Clearly his relationship with Chu Yanran was not as harmonious as one might imagine. Upon hearing this, Elder Lu looked deeply at Gu Feng, a hint of appreciation flickering in his eyes. This young man was quite perceptive. He likely noticed that he and Chu Yanran were not on good terms, and thus intentionally made him step in to mediate. Gu Feng's actions not only found him a way out, but also provided him a temporary support, which was quite wise. Casting a glance at the visibly displeased Chu Yanran, Elder Lu inwardly chuckled. Let's see you be arrogant in front of me now that you're in a tight spot. Young Master Gu, how about we revise one of the clauses in this compensation agreement? Elder Lu, please feel free to suggest. The duration since you and Chu Yanran met until today has been 15 years. I support your claim for 15 years of emotional distress compensation. I understand that from this day forth for a long time you will be mocked by the world for being dumped, and the impact cannot be understated. However, a compensation for emotional distress lasting 1,000 years is excessive. How about we shorten it to 100 years instead? Elder Liu's suggestion is reasonable. Indeed, this clause is somewhat harsh, so let's amend it as you propose. Gu Feng responded appreciatively. All right, the other clauses are basically fine. Oh, please calculate the total compensation amount after these revisions. Clap, clap, clap. Gu Feng nodded, the sound of an abacus ringing again. After a few breaths, he said, after deductions the total is 45000. Considering Elder Lu's assistance, I'll give a 10 discount and drop the cents, making it a clean 400. Gu Feng once again showed respect to Elder Lu, who felt quite gratified. His admiration for Gu Feng increasing. With Elder Lu mediating, the compensation amount was settled, and all eyes were now on Chu Yanran. Silence, a deathly silence. Awkwardness like never before. Even with the compensation amount reduced to 400 low-grade spirit stones, it was beyond Chu Yanran's means. With Elder Lu ensuring fairness and her previous proud demeanor, it was too late for her to backtrack or refuse. I don't have that many spirit stones, so I can pay a portion now and gradually make up the rest. Chu Yanran's head drooped, her voice low, and her pride vanished. In this day and age, a debtor wouldn't dare to rush you for money, especially as an inner disciple of the Falling Sunset sect. Are you afraid I'll renege? You can know a person's face, but not their heart. Gu Feng showed no mercy, coldly stating. Then I'll wait a few years to call off the engagement. Chu Yanran's voice was subdued. She truly couldn't produce that many spirit stones. You can't just call off an engagement whenever you feel like it. It's not that easy. Today it must be cancelled. If you don't have spirit stones, go borrow some. As he spoke, Gu Feng's gaze unintentionally flicked towards Elder Lu, who understood the hint and pretended to be in a dilemma, saying, I'm not wealthy either. Who would carry low-grade spirit stones while temporarily out? I only have about 3,000. With matters reaching this point, Chu Yanran's face had lost all dignity. She approached Elder Lu respectfully and bowed. Elder Lu, I, Chu Yanran, won't borrow your spirit stones for free. I'm willing to pay interest. Ahem, what are you saying? We are comrades and should help each other. 2% interest per year. Please write up a promissory note. Looking at Elder Lu's slightly amused expression, she turned to Gu Feng and said, Gu Feng, if you want 4 spirit stones today, that's impossible. How about this? I'll act as a guarantor. Chu Yanran will pay a portion today, and considering she also needs to cultivate, she can repay the rest within 30 years. If she fails to do so, I will personally take you to collect the debt. Gu Feng was bewildered. Elder Lu truly knew how to conduct business. Acting as a guarantor while collecting 2% interest per year was essentially taking his money to earn his own profit. This old fellow was not a just person, and he almost fooled him with his upright appearance. 2% interest per year was usury, and the final profit wouldn't be much less than his own. Enduring double humiliation, Chu Yanran gritted her teeth, pinched her nose, and without a word wrote down the promissory note. This engagement cancellation had inflicted heavy losses on her, with her reputation and assets suffering dual blows. Soon the entire Yun County would be buzzing with gossip about her entanglement, with Gu Feng becoming a topic of conversation for everyone. Having received the spirit stones, Gu Feng also returned the marriage certificate readily. Chu Yanran crushed the certificate in her hand, glaring fiercely at Gu Feng, saying, I hope you live long enough to spend all these spirit stones. After saying this, she gave a slight bow to Elder Lu, turned without looking back, and left this place of chaos. I appreciate your good wishes. Big spender, oh no, ex-fiancé, please take care, and remember to earn money to pay off your debts. Holding the 4,000 low-grade spirit stones that Chu Yanran had managed to gather together, Gu Feng shouted cheerfully at her graceful figure, grinning from ear to ear. As Chu Yanran walked away, she heard Gu Feng's voice stumbled and quickened her pace towards the city gate without looking back. Gu Feng, holding a heavy storage bag, smiled broadly, with sparkling eyes reflecting the brilliance of the spirit stones. The carefree demeanor of Gu Feng caused Elder Lu beside him to twitch at the corner of his mouth and furrow his brows. Seeing Gu Feng still counting spirit stones on his own, he couldn't help but speak up. You little rascal, do you really care more about money than your life? With such a large sum of spirit stones, aren't you afraid of overindulging? Yet there was a glint of admiration in his eyes. It's fine. Chu Yanran belongs to a prestigious sect. How could she possibly try to assassinate me? Gu Feng smiled slightly, exposing a row of white teeth, completely unconcerned. Upon hearing this, everyone, including Elder Lu, couldn't help but roll their eyes. This was a classic case of a naive little rabbit thinking she wouldn't cause trouble due to her pride. However, that doesn't mean no one would come looking for trouble. One must understand, around beautiful women, there are often sycophants followed by rivals. These sycophants would jump at the chance to show off in front of a beauty. Take the young male cultivator who came with Chu Yanran. His ruthless gaze as he left made people wonder if he would lay an ambush outside Yunhua City, waiting for an opportunity to attack. After all, everyone in Yunhua City knew that Gu Feng would definitely be leaving. What are your plans for the future? Elder Lu, of course, didn't believe Gu Feng would be so brainless and shifted the topic without further warnings. I plan to leave Yunhua City, find a place to live, and conduct some business to survive my remaining years. Elder Lu shot him a glare. This kid was jesting again. How could someone who had the courage to swindle over 1 million spirit stones from the inner disciples of the Falling Sunset sect be content with merely surviving? Haha, I was just joking. What do you have to advise, Elder Lu? As he spoke, Gu Feng took out a portion of spirit stones and, under everyone's watchful eyes, bribed Elder Lu. You little rascal, do you really think I'm a beggar? Keep your spirit stones. Elder Lu refused with a bitter smile, and then his expression turned serious. Would you like to join me at the Falling Sunset sect and become an outer disciple? Sure, but will my cultivation meet the standards of the outer disciples of the Falling Sunset sect? If it were just an outer disciple, Gu Feng certainly wouldn't want to, especially since his predecessor was a genius of the inner sect. If he truly entered the Falling Sunset sect, he would be throwing himself into a trap, allowing others to manipulate him. However, things were different now. Elder Lu personally extended the invitation, indicating that he would look after him. Chu Yanran as a mere inner disciple couldn't possibly command an outer elder. Having the support of a powerful figure was undoubtedly a great advantage compared to struggling alone outside. Whether you can enter the outer sect is still just my word. Elder Lu boasted, stating that with 100,000 outer disciples in the Falling Sunset sect arranging for a few to enter wouldn't draw the sect's ire, as many elders did the same. Gu Feng was resourceful and capable, and Elder Lu just happened to need someone like him, which is why the invitation. Although you are at the first level of body refining, I can see your vigorous blood energy. May I examine you to see if you possess any special physique or bloodline? Then I must trouble you, Elder Lu. Gu Feng found his slow progress in cultivation puzzling. After all, his parents had considerable talent, at least among the top tier in Yunhua City. A tiger father doesn't raise a dog son, though he couldn't possibly be that useless. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Elder Lu shot out a strand of qi, with 2 fingers injecting it into Gu Feng's body. Gradually his expression grew serious, his brows furrowed, and shock filled his eyes. After a long pause, he withdrew the qi, shaking his head with a sigh. Elder Lu, please don't sigh. I can accept reality, or does this mean my talent is really poor? With the 3 incense burner artifacts in his mind, Gu Feng believed that regardless of his talent, it wouldn't affect his future rise. Thus he wore a relaxed expression, showing no signs of tension or anxiety. If I'm not mistaken, your physique is known as the king of rubbish. What does that mean? Still rubbish. Now it was Gu Feng's turn to roll his eyes. Elder Lu was being irreverent, joking about someone else's suffering. Let's go, I'll tell you the specifics when we reach the Falling Sunset sect. Upon hearing this, the people of Yunhua City were envious. A first-level body-refining scoundrel not only successfully swindled 400,000 spirit stones from the inner disciple Chu Yanran, but was also recognized by Elder Lu of the outer sect, directly being accepted as an outer disciple. One must understand that according to previous years' circumstances, the relatively weak Yunhua City had around 200 people, and only outer disciples successfully entered the Falling Sunset sect. Gu Feng's series of operations had propelled him to greatness, resolving a deadlock. Even if the Gu family aimed to harm him, they would have to think twice about Elder Lu backing him. The members of the Gu family wore gloomy expressions. Cutting grass without removing the roots means it could grow back in spring. Although Gu Feng's talent was poor, this world is not short on miracles. One could never tell when he might rise and return to Yunhua City. Had they known this would happen, it would have been better to eliminate him earlier to avoid future troubles. Just when everyone thought Gu Feng would leave Yunhua City with Elder Lu, he shook his head in refusal. Elder Lu, let me handle the matters of the Gu family first before I head to the Falling Sunset sect. Meeting Elder Liu's puzzled gaze, Gu Feng explained, after all, I am still the nominal young master of the Gu family. Necessary handover procedures are still needed. I'm afraid that if I become powerful in the future, they might come crawling back to establish connections with me. Elder Lu nearly spat out a mouthful of old blood upon hearing Gu Feng's words. This kid was taking himself too seriously. With such poor talent, achieving anything in martial arts would be difficult, yet he thought he would become powerful and feared the Gu family ants would come to him for connections. Please, if there are no miracles, your cultivation may never match that of the current head of the Gu family. Are you seeking deaths? To me, aside from spirit stones, the most precious thing is my life. My parents are the meritorious servants of the Gu family and have bled for them. They won't harm me. Gu Feng said with a smile. Elder Liu's gaze was intense as he stared at the young man before him. In the depths of the boy's pupils, he saw confidence which made him feel particularly assured. This outer sect token is for you. When you arrive at the Falling Sunset sect, just look for me. Thank you, Elder Lu. As they watched Elder Lu leave, everyone looked at Gu Feng as if he were a fool. This kid might have something wrong with his head. The Gu family might refrain from harming him due to their fear of Elder Lu, but his 40,000 spirit stones would likely be hard to take with him. How could such a seemingly clever person make such a foolish decision at this crucial moment? Amidst the sighs of the crowd and the laughter of the higher-ups of the Gu family, Gu Feng left the arena with the Gu family. On the way, Gu Feng kept his head down, a strange curve at the corner of his mouth. The Gu family had bullied him for so long. How could he leave without giving them a good blow before departing? As Gu Feng returned to the Gu family residence, he feigned fatigue and made his way straight to the dilapidated courtyard on the back mountain. After confirming that no one was following him, he hurried to the room where the door was tightly shut. I hope this won't disappoint me. Returning to the Gu family carries some risks, but they remain within a controllable range. With Elder Liu's deterrence, the Gu family won't dare to openly conspire against him. At least he is safe within the Gu family residence. The worst-case scenario would be losing the 400,000 spirit stones on him. If successful, he could plunge the Gu family into the depths of despair, ensuring they won't rise for the next decade. Looking at the small mountain of spirit stones in his storage bag, Gu Feng felt a surge of emotions. This shocking sight was something he had only seen as a child when his father brought him into the Gu family's spirit stone treasury. This predecessor is not bad. He knew he was short on spirit stones and rushed to deliver them. Gu Feng chuckled, then picked up a handful of spirit stones and tossed them into the 3 incense burners located in his mind. As the spirit stones were continuously fed into them, a milky white liquid began to form at the bottom of the outermost incense burner. Soon a droplet the size of a pea condensed and lay quietly there. Last time he made significant progress in his body refinement stage with just 1 droplet of liquid. With a racing heart and trembling hands, Gu Feng focused his mind, and that droplet of milky white liquid entered his body. Boom! The milky white liquid surged and collided within his body like a meteor explosion, the booming sound ringing in his ears, making his eardrums throb. Every pore on his body opened wide with streams of black filth continuously oozing out. Soon a thick layer of grime accumulated on him, and the stench filled the entire room, making one feel nauseous. Body refinement is divided into 9 levels. The first refines the skin, the second the flesh, the third the tendons, the fourth the bones, the fifth the meridians, the sixth the blood, the seventh the marrow, the eighth the organs, and the ninth the viscera. Each level builds upon the last, refining the body from the inside out, until one opens their dantian and enters the next realm. Qi guidance. According to the cultivation world standards, Gu Feng's physical strength should have long since broken through the first level of body refinement. Perhaps, as Elder Lu said, his constitution is the king of garbage. Even after consuming over a dozen droplets of milky white liquid, he remained stuck at the first level of body refinement, only feeling his physical strength continuously growing. After consuming a full 100 droplets of milky white liquid, Gu Feng felt depressed. Watching the dwindling spirit stones, he decisively halted his cultivation. What the hell is going on? 100 droplets of divine liquid can't help me break through the first level of body refinement. This was hard for him to accept. He had thought that with a golden finger he could breeze through his journey, but now it seemed that was not the case. Where's the promised tale of the waste turning around? Where's the script of the destined child? Come out. In his anger, he threw a punch at a nearby stone statue. Boom! The tremendous roar startled him. Dust flew in the room, the stone statue cracked, and in the next moment it collapsed. What terrifying power! A single punch shattered a stone statue. His pure physical strength must be over 1,000 pounds, at least comparable to a cultivator at the 5th level of body refinement. Gu Feng pinched his own face, throwing punch after punch, the air around him whooshing, as if giant waves were crashing against the rocks, each wave higher than the last, his body brimming with unending strength. After finishing a basic set of punches, Gu Feng looked at his hands in disbelief. Now he fully believed that he had truly become stronger, and frighteningly so. Even though his realm was still at the first level of body refinement, he was confident and unafraid of any cultivator at the 5th level of body refinement. Could it be that I possessed the legendary constitution of 100,000 levels of body refinement, specifically designed to play the pig, to eat the tiger? Gu Feng stroked his chin, talking to himself. Who cares? Strengthening oneself is the way to go. Let's just stick to body refinement. Being invincible in body refinement isn't a dream, although not being able to fly is a bit tough. Gu Feng was naturally carefree and had a personality that balanced roughness with attention to detail. He decided not to dwell too much on things he didn't understand for the time being. In any case, Elder Lu could figure out what kind of constitution he had once they reached the Luoxia sect. He glanced at the storage bag, and his mouth twitched involuntarily. The consumption was far too great. The previous 400,000 spirit stones had dwindled to a pitiful few thousand. The burden is heavy and the road is long. Earning money cannot stop. With a chuckle, Gu Feng left the room, walked into the courtyard, and went straight to a rockery, unleashing a violent punch that shattered it. With arms wide open, he lifted a stone as tall as a person and tossed it into his storage bag. He moved a dozen such boulders in total. Once he felt he had accumulated a volume comparable to the 400,000 spirit stones, he finally stopped. Then he neatly arranged the remaining few thousand spirit stones on top of the stones until they completely concealed them. After finishing these tasks, he took a bath and went to sleep soundly. The next day, within the Gu family council chamber, everyone gathered, including high-ranking officials and talented disciples. What should we do about that brat Gu Feng? The family head Gu Tianba narrowed his eyes and asked in a deep voice. He is now an outer disciple of the Luoxia sect. He cannot die within our Gu family. An elder spoke up. His meaning was clear. Gu Feng must die, but due to Elder Liu's influence, he cannot die within the Gu family. This thought was affirmed by everyone present. If he hadn't latched onto Elder Lu, or if he didn't have so many spirit stones, we would merely expel him without resorting to harming his life. Unfortunately, he gave up the best opportunity for escape yesterday. If he seeks his own death, we might as well satisfy him. Once he leaves Yunwo City, I will lead a few people to ensure he disappears, completely guaranteeing a clean job. Gu Xing sat in the seat meant for Gu Feng, his expression cold. He was Gu Baishan's only son at the 6th level of body refinement. If all goes well, he would smoothly enter the Luoxia sect as an outer disciple. Good, even when facing Gu Feng at the 1st level of body refinement, you remain vigilant and plan to bring others along. As a father, I am deeply gratified by this. Gu Batian nodded in satisfaction, generously praising his son, and everyone else secretly agreed. Gu Xing's strength was unrivaled among his peers in the Gu family. There was no suspense in defeating Gu Feng at the first level of body refinement. In such a situation of absolute advantage, being cautious was indeed commendable, truly worthy of being the family's future. About a stick of incense later, Gu Feng yawned and arrived fashionably late. You all are so early, you're not plotting to harm me, are you? Just kidding, don't mind me. Ignoring the gazes of others, Gu Feng walked directly towards the seat of the young master, looking down at Gu Xing, chuckling a few times before standing to the side. You coward. Did you think that with Elder Lu as your backing you would dare to challenge me? Gu Xing said with a sneer. Where would I dare? Brother Xing, you will always be my brother. Since Gu Feng has arrived, let's begin. Gu Tianba waved his hand, ordering someone to preside over. The Gu family may not be impressive, but they cannot be careless with the necessary procedures. After a series of rituals, Gu Xing officially became the nominal young master of the Gu family in place of Gu Feng. Being a man without a position is quite light. The burden on my shoulders these past few years has been too heavy, making it unbearable. With that, Gu Feng turned to leave. Everyone has their own aspirations. If you want to leave, Gu Feng, we certainly want to keep you. But you must leave your belongings behind. My. Gu Feng turned his head in confusion. What belongings, eh? Don't play dumb. I have inherited your position as young master, so it is only natural that I inherit your assets. Leave your storage bag. Gu Xing stood up, blocking Gu Feng with a mocking smile. Gu Feng looked utterly astonished, reaching out to protect the storage bag at his waist, and suddenly retreated a few steps, watching everyone with vigilance. His frightened expression was quite amusing. Hand it over. Gu Xing sneered, snatching Gu Feng's storage bag from his waist, glancing hastily inside before throwing it to Gu Tianba, who didn't even bother to look, and simply tucked it away. Gu Xing kept your storage bag for your own good. The world is fraught with danger, something that a naive child like you cannot handle. Perhaps a group of ruthless thugs has long awaited outside the Gu family, waiting to pounce the moment you step out. This substantial amount of spirit stones is either a life-saving charm for you, or should be left with the Gu family. Gu Batian said in a deep voice. You? How can you do this? I am an outer disciple of the Falling Sunset sect, personally chosen by Elder Lu. How dare you? As he spoke, Gu Feng lost his confidence, his voice fading to a whisper. The Gu family members showed disdain, having no vigilance at all. Did they really think they could survive entering the Falling Sunset sect? Elder Lu would never hold the Gu family accountable for a worthless dead person. Even if they wanted to hold the family accountable, it would be futile without evidence. This boy thinks too highly of himself. Gu Feng hung his head, fists clenched, frustration, anger, and unwillingness surfacing on his face, which was quite a spectacle. What? Unwilling to leave? Should I have someone carry you out? Gu Xing stood with his hands behind his back, a smirk on his lips, speaking in a sarcastic tone. My parents have contributed to the family and bled for it. You cannot treat me this way. At these words, scattered laughter erupted, and the crowd showed no pity for Gu Feng, only scorn. You have a point. If you leave without a single spirit stone, others might think our Gu family is devoid of humanity, specifically bullying this poor child without parents. Gu Xing nodded slightly, then looked towards Gu Tianba, speaking loudly. Father Gu Feng is quite pitiful. Why not give him some travel money? Ha ha ha, my son speaks wisely. It is a proud tradition of the Gu family to treat others generously. After all, Gu Feng carries our blood, so let's give him a break. As he spoke, Gu Batian winked at Gu Feng, who smiled wickedly, and pulled out a dozen low-grade spirit stones, tossing them onto the ground in front of Gu Feng, as if dismissing a beggar. The journey to the Falling Sunset sect is long, at least let me select some weapons and pills from the treasury for self-defense. Gu Feng's face turned ashen, his eyes glinting with determination. If he were refused, he would turn and leave immediately. You want to enter the treasury to get weapons and pills? Dream on, get out of here now. Gu Xing shouted. Gu Feng sighed, internally picked up the spirit stones from the ground, and stepped out of the meeting hall. At that moment, a voice as melodious as a celestial tune rang out. Someone take Gu Feng to the treasury. He can take whatever he wants, as much as he can carry. Gu Batian gestured to a disciple nearby, who understood immediately, grinning wickedly as he approached Gu Feng. Aren't you going to thank the head of the family for his generosity? Thank you, head of the family. Gu Feng whispered, his face filled with resentment. Could you provide a storage bag? Otherwise I won't be able to carry much. A storage bag? Ha ha, what is this kid thinking? Can't he see the blatant insult? What a fool. Come with me, but of course you can choose to leave right now. The guiding disciple sneered. Fine, I'll take it. Gu Feng lowered his head, appearing submissive, but inside, he was laughing uncontrollably. He originally only wanted to take a risk and try it out, but unexpectedly it actually worked. Laugh now, and soon you'll be crying. After Gu Feng left, the Gu family members in the meeting hall burst into laughter. Gu Feng is spineless. Should we spare his life? Forget it, better safe than sorry, but it's best to kill him. How pitiful! If Gu Tianqing knew his son was such a coward, would he kick open the coffin lid in anger? Ha! After passing through several long corridors, they arrived at the Gu family's treasury, a 3-story small building guarded by Gu family disciples and arrays. Go, and you only have half a stick of incense time, so cherish the opportunity. The guiding disciple was too lazy to follow. After all, Gu Feng didn't have a storage ring, so he could just check again when he came out. Gu Feng entered the treasury with an ugly expression. Once inside, he bypassed the pills, weapons, and techniques, heading straight for the spirit stone storage area. The precious items were all protected by arrays, and he couldn't take them even if he could. His goal from the very beginning was the spirit stones. Soon he arrived at the spirit stone storage room. Looking around, he was greeted by a dazzling sight. Diamond-shaped crystal stones filled the entire room, with a rough estimate exceeding 2 million. As it was year-end, all the funds of the Gu family had been returned, and after counting they would be distributed again. This amount of spirit stones was crucial for the entire operational chain of the Gu family. If lost, both upstream and downstream merchants would be in chaos, and the Gu family would inevitably weaken. Gu Feng was no naive rabbit. From the start, he intended to bring down the Gu family. A small scheme had already succeeded, which made him immensely proud. Of course, this wasn't the time for pride. The urgent task was to move all these spirit stones into the 3-headed incense burner, transforming them into divine liquid. Once in a safe place, he would slowly refine them into his own strength. With this in mind, Gu Feng no longer hesitated. He rolled up his sleeves, and the spirit stones in the room visibly decreased. He worked up a sweat, his face flushed, and his spirit was invigorated to the extreme. These weren't just piles of spirit stones, but stepping stones for his rise. With these spirit stones, his strength would surely take another leap. As the half-stick of incense was about to end, Gu Feng also emptied the entire room of spirit stones, collapsing onto the ground, gasping for breath. After catching his breath for a moment, wiping the sweat from his forehead, straightening his robe, and stabilizing his emotions, he lowered his head and slowly walked out of the treasury, casually grabbing a long sword and a few bottles of pills along the way. Oh, you're quite punctual. The disciple guarding the treasury door glanced at the items Gu Feng was holding, nearly bursting into laughter. With no discernment at all, he picked only worthless items, yet he still dared to say he had once been a young master. Such trash. After returning to the meeting hall and undergoing everyone's scrutiny, Gu Feng was finally allowed to leave the Gu family. Ha ha, Xianxia, you're being too harsh. Gu Feng only took 3 bottles of pills, and you insisted on keeping. Father, even the worst pills don't come for free, and although he's about to die, if he eats them on the way, wouldn't it be a waste? Gu Xing chuckled. My son speaks wisely. As the future head of the family, one must strictly control unnecessary expenses. Only then will our Gu family continue to thrive. Son, I will heed your father's teachings. I will prepare and leave the city at night to eliminate this boy. Go ahead and take a few more people. Gu Feng stood at the entrance of the Gu family, his back lonely, cursing under his breath as he left in a haphazard and unwilling manner after being driven away by the guarding disciples. Such a fat sheep just slipped away, and Gu Feng didn't even take a storage bag. I anticipated this fool would rather benefit the Gu family than us. The Gu family is truly harsh. They only let Gu Feng take a few hundred spirit stones, a worthless sword, and a bottle of pills. Let's disperse. These worthless items aren't worth our effort. The ruthless characters hiding around the Gu family lost interest the moment they saw Gu Feng's disheveled appearance and quickly dispersed. Following the main road of Yun was city, Gu Feng walked straight towards the city gate. Upon reaching the city gate, he turned back to look at the place where he had lived for 18 years, feeling emotional. Yun was city. I wonder if he'll have a chance to return in this lifetime. With that, he turned gracefully and walked towards the distance, heading towards a far-off future. The moment he stepped out of Yun was city, the curtain of his legendary life was drawn. Yunwo City sits in a barren district of Yunjun. At its gate, a narrow road winds between uneven lush slopes, and beyond that road a chain of mountains rises. A tall, lithe figure sprinted along the road, diminished and fragile beneath the glow of the setting sun. After an hour, Gu Feng halted, gazed at the towering peaks before him, grinned, wiped the sweat from his brow, and plunged into the dense mountain forest. Once inside the thicket, he slowed his pace, deliberately masking his tracks so that his trail would be difficult to discover. He knew Gu Tianba would certainly dispatch men to hunt him down. He harbored no illusions about being spared. This had nothing to do with his emptying the family's vault of spirit stones. Gu Tianba was the sort to cut things off at the root, heedless of blood or kin. He also understood that because of Elder Lu, the Gu family was somewhat restrained. The elders carried some renown in Yunwo City, and a rash deployment would draw attention and be difficult to explain to Elder Lu. Although Elder Lu might not stir forces for someone of his lowly standing, prudence mattered. Better to proceed. The likeliest scenario was that Gu Xing and the others would use the pretext of Luoxiasek's coming assessment to go abroad for training and lie in wait to kill him Among the Gu signs aside from Gu Xing, at the 6th level of body refinement, no one truly made Gu Feng apprehensive. If they dared come, he would leave them without a grave. Gu Feng thought, his eyes flashing with a cold light as he slipped into a concealed cave mouth. In the dim cavern, after ensuring no venomous snakes or insects lurked within, Gu Feng sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. With his mind immersed, the 3 censer vessels had already yielded vast swathes of milky white divine elixir, the distilled essence of 2 million low-grade spirit stones. Perhaps because his realm was insufficient, spirit stones placed into the other 2 censers showed no reaction. Gu Feng paid it no mind, for the milky elixir before him was ample. Drop by drop the elixir entered his body, being devoured and refined. The veins on his arms and forehead swelled one by one, emitting faint tremors as a surge of power swept over him once more. He gritted his teeth, feeling his body change. A ashen filth seeped from his pores, and the odor was no longer as rank as it had been the previous night. Could it be that my 1st level of body refinement is about to break through? Gu Feng thought. Spirits lifted. He ground his teeth and intensified the refinement of the divine elixir. Night fell and darkness blanketed the sky. More than a dozen cultivators about Gu Feng's age stood in the council hall, and the Gu family senior figures were present as well. Xianxia, handle this cleanly and decisively, one elder instructed. Hell with Gu Feng's pace, he could have gone at most 100 li tonight. He will likely rest somewhere in that mountain forest. An hour to catch him, half an hour to locate and strike, then an hour to return, the speaker calculated. Father and the uncles will wait here, my brothers, and I will be back shortly. As he spoke, Gu Xing's confident mien infected everyone present. Burly and commanding, since becoming the Gu family's young master, an aura of authority had settled on him that reassured all. After all, Gu Feng's 1st level of body refinement had long been an established fact. They could not imagine such a deception taking place under their very eyes. Even if he was unusually calculating for his years and hid strength beneath a harmless facade, no one believed he could surpass Gu Xing, especially with so many outstanding Gu scions mobilized together. Gu Feng, they were certain, would be dead without question. Go and return quickly. Do not let anything complicate this. Gu Tianba nodded with satisfaction as he watched Gu Xing and his men depart. Maidservants brought forth fine wine and food to while away the waiting hours, while the elders reviewed the family's gains and losses for the year. About half an hour later, in the middle of discussing next year's plans, Gu Tianba was struck by a thought and realized the storage pouch he had taken from Gu Feng earlier was still at his waist. A storage pouch functions much like a storage ring. The essential difference is that a pouch cannot be bound by blood, so pouches are often lost or misplaced. I forgot there are 400,000 spirit stones here, Gu Tianba said, removing the pouch and flipping it between his hands, a smug smile spreading across his face. That boy Gu Feng was a nuisance, but not without use. Plainly, he had earned the family a tidy fortune. In a bountiful year, the Gu family's entire annual surplus scarcely matched this sum. In ordinary years, they would not earn nearly so much. Second brother, keep these spirit stones safe and deliver them to the vault tomorrow. Gu Tianba handed the storage pouch to Gu's second uncle with a smile. The uncle wiped his hands, accepted the pouch, rose and said, "He'll take them to the vault now, so I won't forget tomorrow." With that, he left abruptly beyond calling back. That brat is the same as ever. Whenever he can, he goes to extremes to avoid drinking, someone remarked. Knowing how to control one's intake is a virtue. His tolerance has always been poor, another said. With this windfall of 400,000 spirit stones, we can add an iron mine next year and expand our business. These past years, tonight feels the best. For the 400,000 spirit stones, and for finally sweeping away Gu Tianqing's branch, let's drink to that. To that, they cried. Cups clinked and laughter pealed, revelry in full swing. Suddenly, Gu's second uncle burst in panic in his steps and a sallow look on his face. Big brother, the vault where we store the spirit stones. He panted, words broken. Gu Tianba laughed. Second brother, are you about to say the vault is full? Laughter rippled around the room. It had been a bountiful year, and with many payments outstanding, the vault's spirit stones were piled high. How could it possibly not hold these 400,000 more? Sit and drink. Tomorrow we'll hire craftsmen to enlarge the vault, Gu's third uncle said, face flushed, as he pulled Gu's second uncle to sit. With a crash, Gu's second uncle smashed the cup from Gu's third uncle's hand and bellowed, "What is there to drink? There's not a single spirit stone left in the vault." He opened the storage pouch and emptied its contents. Rubble and stones spilled across the floor with a clatter. Everyone froze, faces draining of color as sobriety replaced merriment. What on earth is happening? Gu Tianba thundered. We've been tricked by that brat Gu Feng. By some means he has stolen every spirit stone from the vault. A stunned cry rose. Dishes and vessels were knocked aside as people scrambled. Gu Tianba leapt toward the vault, and others hurried after him. Inside the vault, the sight left them bewildered. They rubbed their eyes and pinched themselves before the harsh truth registered. The spirit stones had been moved out. How could this be? The Gu family possessed no pouch capable of holding 2 million spirit stones, and they had inspected Gu Feng when he left. There should have been no loophole. How had he managed it? Staring at the empty chamber, their hairs rose as if electrified. They stood rooted as if their souls had been wrenched loose. "Whelp, how dare you!" Gu Tianba roared, and a great hole was torn in the wall. There was nothing left, everything was gone, and the Gu family seemed doomed. Gu's second uncle, consumed by fury, suddenly grew solemn as a dark premonition rose in his chest. "That brat Gu Feng must be hiding an ace," he declared. Worse, Gu Xing and the others. At that moment, everyone realized something was amiss. Gu Feng had always played the fool while hiding a tiger. The depth of his schemes was terrifying. A man so deep in guile would not fail to anticipate an ambush. He would likely have expected Gu Xing and his men to attempt an interception. If that were so, could his strength already have eclipsed Gu Xing's? With that thought burning in him, Gu Tianba snarled, "Second brother, third brother, go at once. Find Gu Xing and the others, and bring back that brat Gu Feng and the 2 million spirit stones he has taken. If he lives, he must possess some secret, otherwise he could not have taken so many stones unseen." "Yes, big brother." Two figures bristling with murderous intent slipped into the night and sped toward the outskirts of the city. "Brother, there's no need to rush. Even if Gu Feng has concealed his true strength, he cannot possibly be that formidable. Most likely he hasn't hidden anything at all, merely possesses a mysterious artifact capable of siphoning spirit stones. Indeed, he has never left Yunwo City. He could not have cultivated any high-tier cultivation art. Concealing one's strength is no simple feat. He lacks the capability for such a thing. As the saying goes, misfortune may yet bear fortune in its wake. Gu Feng is still too green. His impulsive act has exposed a mysterious treasure upon his person. This is in fact auspicious. Our Gu family gains another trump card. Well said, fifth brother speaks wisely. This young pup Gu Feng is truly heaven-sent, destined to aid our Gu family's ascension. At this moment, Gu Tianba steadied his emotions and shook his head, wryly realizing he had overreacted. "I acted rashly. I should not have sent second and third brothers along." A quiet anticipation stirred within him. What precisely was this mysterious treasure Gu Feng bore? Deep within a pitch-black cave, thunderous rumbles erupted. A slender figure sat cross-legged upon the ground, his silhouette shimmering faintly in the darkness. Soon the glow faded. Gu Feng rose to his feet, gazed at his hands, and sighed with quiet resignation. Though his entire body had undergone a profound transformation, his cultivation realm remained unchanged, still at the first level of the body refinement realm. Could it be? I am forever trapped at body refinement level 1. Gurgle, gurgle. After hours of cultivation, Gu Feng's stomach growled fiercely. Emerging from the cave, he snared a plump rabbit, deftly skinned, and washed it, then kindled a fire and began roasting it. Above, the star-strewn heavens slowly churned, the first night he'd spent outdoors since his transmigration. He gave little thought to the uncertainty of his future, adhering instead to the philosophy, when the boat reaches the bridge, the path reveals itself. After all, he bore no deep grudges. Once he eliminated Gu Xing and the others pursuing him, he would enter the xianxia sect to seek patronage under Elder Lu. Having endured the harsh realities of 21st century society, Gu Feng knew precisely how to survive and thrive in the shadow of powerful figures. Cultivation success would of course be ideal. Who does not yearn to soar across heaven and earth, trample the multitudes beneath their feet, and become an object of universal awe? Yet should cultivation fail, it mattered not. He could spend his life as a humble outer sect disciple within the xianxia sect. What then could the Gu family do to him? He devoured the roasted rabbit swiftly, then gathered damp soil to smother the fire before returning to the cave. Moments after his departure, over a dozen figures arrived at the very spot where he had roasted the rabbit. "Brother Xing, Gu Feng cannot have gone far. The embers still radiate intense heat," said one of the Gu family disciples, addressing Gu Xing. He likely spent the night here. Search carefully for traces and find him. Kill him, then leave." "Yes." In unison, the dozen figures split into smaller groups and fanned out in all directions. Before long, they discovered signs of recent passage. Exchanging signals, they regrouped and followed the trail step by step. A soft rustling echoed through the cave. Gu Feng's eyes snapped open. So, they had finally arrived. This was precisely what he wished to avoid. After all, they shared the same ancestral bloodline. Unless absolutely necessary, Gu Feng refused to let matters devolve into mutual annihilation. Stretching his limbs, Gu Feng rose and strode steadily from the cave. "Gu Feng, you finally emerged. Not cowering in the cave awaiting death. You're a man of metal after all." Gu Xing, startled at Gu Feng's voluntary appearance, paused, then smiled. Gu Feng merely stared coldly, a look the others interpreted as the final futile defiance of a doomed weakling. "Your father, while alive, was unbearably arrogant, scorning everyone, including my own father. Your fate today is no one's fault but your dead father's. I'll grant you one courtesy. Speak your final words." Gu Xing folded his arms and gazed down imperiously, eager to witness fear upon Gu Feng's face, to see him kneel and beg. Yet Gu Feng stood motionless, calm as drifting clouds, a serene indifference that shattered Gu Xing's fantasy. Then kill. I'll handle this. Gu Tian stepped forward, crossing and cracking his wrists with a contemptuous smirk, as if Gu Feng were unworthy of even a second glance. Each stride struck the earth with unnerving solidity, leaving deep footprints behind. The overwhelming aura of body refinement, fifth tier, surged forth, pressing relentlessly upon Gu Feng. Do not lament the world's cruelty. Your fate was sealed the moment your father died. Gu Tian sneered, halting one zhang away from Gu Feng. Is that your final utterance? At that instant, Gu Feng spoke, his voice low yet unmistakable to Gu Tian's ears. Before Gu Tian could retort, a deafening crack rent the air, as if the very atmosphere had exploded. His pupils contracted violently, a fist filled his vision, swelling larger by the millisecond. Its sheer ferocity made his spirit tremble and his mind blank. Brief, absolute, terrifying. Fast, beyond comprehension. Brutal, beyond description. To the onlookers, Gu Tian stood frozen like a wooden post, utterly helpless as the blow landed. Pop! Like an egg dropped from height, its shattering echo pierced the silent night. Gu Xing and the others felt icy droplets strike their faces. Instinctively wiping them away, they recoiled. White brain matter mingled with crimson blood, pungent and foul. The sight stunned them into disbelief. Gu Tian's head had vanished without a trace, his torso toppled backward, rigid and silent, not even a cry escaping his lips. He was dead, struck down by a single punch from Gu Feng. Before they could process it, Gu Feng's black hair whipped wildly, his gaze monstrous like a tiger descending the mountain, plunging into the flock, slaughtering without discrimination. His iron fists whirled with terrifying force, striking their weapons with sharp, ringing clangs. A closer look revealed their eyes bulging, livers and gallbladders ruptured in terror. Gu Feng's fists left deep, indelible imprints upon their weapons. One blow warped a long sword. Organs shifted violently within their chests, burning with agony. Blood gushed from their mouths, as if inexhaustible. Ah! A scream pierced the air. Gu Xing turned and froze. A clansman only slightly weaker than himself lay crippled on the ground, arm snapped, knee shattered, writhing in agony. Terrifying, utterly terrifying. Gu Feng moved as if through empty space, wielding nothing but the most fundamental fist techniques. Yet none could withstand him. His slaughter was decisive, merciless, like death incarnate. Having maimed his kin, he delivered the final blow, a skull-shattering strike. Watching clan brothers fall one by one, Gu Xing's heart plummeted into abyssal coldness. Fear flooded his face. His mind did not question how Gu Feng had grown so strong, nor did he consider rescuing his fallen kin. Only one thought remained: flee. Unbeatable. Staying meant certain death. Flee. He abandoned his weapon and bolted, desperate, reckless, unstoppable. Suddenly, searing pain erupted from his knee. His balance shattered, and he crashed face first onto the ground. Before he could react, Gu Feng's foot slammed down upon his chest, driving him deep into the earth, blood erupting from his mouth in crimson arcs several meters high. Gu Feng, don't kill me. Please, spare me. Staring at Gu Feng's impassive, murderous visage, Gu Xing urinated in terror, yellow fluid pooling beneath him as he sobbed uncontrollably. Do you recall a phrase I spoke to you this morning? What phrase? You will always be my brother Xing. I am a man of my word. Always means forever. Let this moment be eternally frozen. Ah, no. Gu Feng drove his thigh downward, crushing Gu Xing deep into the earth. The latter's eyes dimmed, his mouth twitched feebly, fingers lifting halfway, then fell still and unyielding. Gu Xing, fallen. After dispatching Gu Xing and his companions, Gu Feng swiftly cleansed the battlefield, casting their corpses into the cave where he had earlier taken refuge. Clutching over a dozen storage bags, he vanished into the dense forest, swallowed whole by the night. After running for about 5 or 6 miles, Gu Feng suddenly stopped, a look of struggle appearing on his face. After standing still for a while, he gritted his teeth and sprinted back in the direction he came from. Soon he rushed into the cave where he had disposed of the bodies, his gaze fixed intensely on the dozen or so corpses, his eyes flickering incessantly. The mountain forest was vast, and even with his stamina, he would need at least 10 days and nights of nonstop running to pass through it. Having left the Gu family for more than half a day, Gu Tianba had not yet realized the possibility of the spirit stones being stolen, which was minimal. With such a large amount of spirit stones missing, he was the only suspect, and Gu Tianba would undoubtedly be furious, immediately sending people to pursue. His second and third uncles were his biological brothers, and such an important matter would certainly be entrusted to one or both of them. Both of them were at the Qi drawing realm. At this level, they could utilize the spiritual energy within their bodies, enhancing their speed to several times that of an ordinary person. If Gu Feng only focused on escaping, the probability of being caught within 3 days was high and the risk was significant. Of course, the risk of returning to the cave was greater than fleeing directly. If they met face to face, being killed would be almost certain. He could not sit idly by. Finding a way to counterattack was the best method. His previous wave of cultivation had greatly enhanced Gu Feng's strength. Based on the criteria of the peak of the 9th layer of body refinement and a force of 100,000 pounds, he was at least above the 8th layer of qi drawing. If he played it smartly, targeting weak points for a sudden attack, it was not impossible for the weak to defeat the strong with a single deadly strike. Weighing his options, Gu Feng decided to return to the cave, taking a huge risk to resolve all lingering concerns. The cave was only the size of a room with no corners to hide into. It could be seen through at a glance. In such an environment, it greatly lowered people's vigilance and significantly increased the possibility of a successful ambush. He quickly dug a pit in the center of the cave that could accommodate his body and allow him to squat inside. Then he placed the dozen corpses haphazardly around the pit. To eliminate the traces of artificial placement, Gu Feng deliberately threw the bodies from a distance next to the small pit. Finally, he carried Gu Xing's corpse, took a run, jumped into the small pit, and hid his figure. In the darkness, Gu Feng crouched in the small pit, his eyes cold and fierce, lowering his breathing to the limit, like a ghost waiting for prey poised to strike. In his hand was a cold, gleaming dagger inscribed with runes obtained from Gu Xing. The dagger still belonged to the realm of ordinary items, but it was sufficient to break through protective spiritual barriers, considering that both his second and third uncles were merely cultivators at the first and second layers of qi drawing. Time passed slowly, each moment a torment. The dawn light broke and golden rays of sunlight streamed through the cave entrance, warming the interior. Just when Gu Feng thought he had overthought and was preparing to leave, movement was heard outside the cave. Judging by the murmur, it was his second uncle, a strong cultivator at the first layer of qi drawing. Bang, bang, bang. Gu Feng felt his blood circulate faster, his heartbeat growing increasingly intense, and his arm, holding the dagger, trembled slightly, his palm damp with sweat. As the footsteps drew closer, Gu Feng held his breath, his body shaking more violently. Gu Feng had his own method for dealing with tension. He racked his brain desperately, recalling the dozens of gigabytes of instructional materials he had seen before his transmigration. Yamit. Whispering the strange incantation from the island nation in his heart, Gu Feng's mind miraculously calmed down. The ringing in his ears ceased, his body stopped trembling, and his focus sharpened like never before. Though he could not see, his mind vividly outlined the scene inside the cave, including the area where his second uncle was currently located. His second uncle seemed stunned by the scene before him, standing there in shock. After a few breaths, the footsteps sounded again, lacking the previous steadiness, indicating his disturbed state of mind. Gu Tian, Gu Xiao. Wake up. His second uncle's voice trembled, and sounds of moving the corpses came from above. Suddenly, Gu Feng sensed a heavy breathing, followed by his second uncle's roar. Gu Xing, who harmed you? His second uncle had never married, and Gu Xing was like a child to him. All his aspirations and hopes were pinned on this young master of the Gu family. The sudden blow was unbearable for him, and his sorrowful cries came in intermittent bursts. A beam of light shone through a crack, and through that slight gap, Gu Feng saw a corner of his second uncle's long robe. In the next moment, the light before him surged brightly, the slightly cool dawn rays rushing towards him. He knew the time to strike had come. Just as his second uncle picked up Gu Xing, he noticed an incongruous scene. However, Gu Feng's strike was quick, fierce, and precise. Just as his second uncle's hands were raised, a gleaming dagger plunged brutally into his throat. His second uncle's pupils contracted sharply. He never expected that after Gu Feng had killed someone, he would dare to wait here, hiding beneath Gu Xing's corpse, launching a thunderous strike in the moment of his lowest vigilance. Who gave him the courage to ambush a cultivator at the first layer of qi drawing with his mere strength at the first layer of body refinement? Gurgle, gurgle. Bright red blood continuously spilled from his mouth. His second uncle's pupils began to dilate, his eyes turning crimson. The killer always kills. Gu Feng showed no mercy, using all his strength to twist the dagger. Boom! In the instant his second uncle's eyes lost their light, he threw a punch that struck heavily on Gu Feng's chest. His chest felt as if it had been struck by a heavy hammer, and Gu Feng felt his body uncontrollably fly backward, crashing hard against the rock. Behind him, a metallic taste rising uncontrollably in his throat. The shock in his heart was undeniable. Even a cultivator at the first layer of qi drawing unleashed a terrifying power. Thankfully, it was a sneak attack, otherwise he would have undoubtedly died. His second uncle's corpse lay quietly to the side, his hand still holding Gu Xing's corpse at the moment of death. Huff, huff. Gu Feng gasped for breath. That brief moment felt like a century. The suffocating tension left him with lingering fears. Struggling to rise, he walked to his second uncle's corpse, bent down, and removed the storage bag from his waist. The storage bag was bulging, filled with a large number of spirit stones. Oh, how familiar isn't this? The over 10,000 spirit stones I left behind before. Gu Feng roughly counted and felt a strange sensation in his heart. On the way out of the Gu family, he had regretted the loss of those over 10,000 spirit stones. He never expected that his second uncle would chase him down and return them. There's a saying, what is mine will ultimately be mine. Those over 10,000 spirit stones have circled back. In the storage bag, aside from the over 10,000 spirit stones, there were also his second uncle's personal belongings, pills, weapons, secret manuals, and some unfamiliar spiritual herbs. Securing the storage bag at his waist, he walked towards the cave entrance, but after taking a few steps, he returned to his second uncle's corpse. Squatting down, he began to strip off his long robe. Second uncle, you have always been frugal. You should understand your nephew's actions. Who told me I was short on money, and who made your long robe valuable? Given the particularity of his cultivation method, Gu Feng felt that he could not stop the pace of making money. He must cherish every hard-earned spirit stone. His second uncle's long robe was worth at least several dozen spirit stones. It would be a waste, and anyway it was undamaged during the killing. Once cleaned, who could tell it had been worn by a corpse? Discounting a bit, it should be sellable. Just as he leisurely stripped off his second uncle's robe, footsteps were heard outside the cave again. The footsteps were quick, so fast that Gu Feng couldn't react before they approached the cave entrance. Is it third uncle? Gu Sanshu's left leg had been injured, causing him to walk with uneven pressure on his feet, making it easy to distinguish between the two. Second uncle is not alone. He is with third uncle, which is the worst-case scenario that Gu Feng had in. A Qi refinement realm cultivator has opened their dantian, and when their techniques are in motion, a layer of spiritual energy surrounds their body, allowing them to attach spiritual energy to their weapons, fundamentally differing from a body refinement realm cultivator. The rumors of someone from the body refinement realm defeating a Qi refinement realm cultivator come with conditions, either through ambush or taking advantage of an opponent's weakness. Of course, this is not absolute. Only an once-in-a-generation genius at the peak of body refinement who could potentially defeat a Qi refinement cultivator at the first or second level exists. There are no more than 10 such geniuses in the entire Yunjun. Gu Feng has an accurate understanding of his own strength. He does not believe that just because he successfully killed second uncle, he has the ability to defeat a Qi refinement realm cultivator. To put it bluntly, had he faced a direct confrontation earlier, he would most likely not have been able to match second uncle, let alone now face third uncle, who is at the second level of Qi refinement. He cannot confront them with force. He must rely on his wits. Perhaps unaware of the situation inside the cave, third uncle's footsteps are light, almost inaudible. With his back to the cave entrance, Gu Feng's mind raced, and under the life and death crisis his thoughts were especially clear. His hands moved swiftly, methodically, stripping the long robe from second uncle's corpse. Outside the cave, third uncle was on high alert, crouching low as he approached the cave. The strong stench of blood wafting from inside was overwhelming. Having spent years on the move, he easily discerned that there was more than one corpse inside the cave. Gripping his weapon, he stood vigilant, a faint layer of spiritual energy shielding his body. Hiding behind a rock at the cave entrance, he peered inside. Gu Feng's silhouette came into view, causing third uncle to tremble all over. Just as he was about to reveal himself, a young voice emanated from inside the cave. Gu Feng's voice. He then pulled back his head, deciding not to go out for the time being. Master, what realm are you in that you could kill a Qi refinement cultivator with just a finger from afar? I am merely at the first level of body refinement. To me, a Qi refinement cultivator is like a figure from a myth, someone I dare not even look at directly. I will strive to reach your heights one day, Master. I believe I can achieve it. Forget it. The Gu family is ultimately my father's clan, and I share their blood. As long as they do not provoke me, I will let them be. When I was young, second uncle carried me. Back then Gu Feng's voice rang out, and the more third uncle listened, the more shocked he became. He cautiously peeked out, and his eyes widened at the sight of a dozen bodies lying haphazardly within the cave. Gu Xing and others. When he saw second uncle's corpse and the blood hole in his neck, his pupils constricted sharply, and his heart surged. A clean and decisive strike had killed second uncle, who had no chance to resist. From analyzing Gu Feng's conversation with someone from afar, it became clear that the assailant was an unfathomable master, exuding no detectable aura far beyond his understanding. He had also considered the possibility that Gu Feng was feigning, but it made no sense. A mere first-level body refinement cultivator would not have the courage to kill and remain at the scene, stripping the clothes off a corpse without regard. Gu Feng was fearless. With this thought, third uncle began to contemplate leaving. The blood feud with his kin could not compare to his own life. He should discuss revenge with his elder brother before taking action. It was not worth the risk. Is someone hiding at the cave entrance? Oh no, I've been discovered. Gu Feng's sudden exclamation solidified third uncle's decision to leave. A shiver ran through him, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. Without a second thought, he turned and fled. With a second-level Qi refinement cultivation, he was a figure in Yunhua City, but outside, he was nothing. Perhaps anyone he encountered could easily kill him. Forget the 200,000 spirit stones and the deep-seated blood feud. What mattered most was surviving. He was in a panic, keeping his head down, pushing his spiritual energy to the limit, running for his life. After an unknown period, feeling that no one was pursuing him from behind, he slowed his pace, but still dared not stop. Inside the cave, Gu Feng sensed third uncle's departure and took several deep breaths. The earlier scene left him unsettled. There were dangers, but he passed through safely. Phew, I almost became a corpse while scavenging from the dead. Though he said this, Gu Feng understood that it was fortunate he had returned to strip the corpse's clothing out of greed. Otherwise, he likely would have encountered third uncle outside the cave, which would have been disastrous. Successfully intimidating a second-level Qi refinement cultivator made him feel somewhat proud. The Gu family shouldn't bother me again for some time. With this thought, Gu Feng decided not to linger any longer. He stepped out of the cave and headed away from Yun. 7 days later, Gu Feng finally emerged from the dense forest of the mountain range and walked over 100 miles to enter Bo Wang City. This city is several times larger than Yunwa City, and the level of cultivators has also significantly increased. On the ancient streets, Qi refinement realm cultivators are seen everywhere. Generally, fighting is not allowed in cities, so Gu Feng did not feel any danger. He found and filled himself with food and drink, washed up, and slept soundly. The next day, he headed straight to the largest merchant association in Bo Wang City, Wanhe Merchant Association. "Young master, how can I assist you?" As soon as he entered, a young servant approached with a smile, looking very friendly. "I want to sell something. Please follow me this way." Wanhe Merchant Association is well known in Bo Wang City both in scale and reputation. Gu Feng had heard from his father that this merchant association has branches throughout Yinjun, almost in every major city, so he need not worry about being scammed. Everything before him confirmed his father's words. Rare treasures not seen in Yunwa City were casually displayed on the shelves here. If there were any items he desired, he could take them out and play with them. Due to the presence of the mysterious three-legged incense burner, Gu Feng's cultivation only required spirit stones. Rare treasures were of no use to him. The young servant was astute. Although Gu Feng's attire was ordinary, his eyes did not lie. He was likely a young master from a large family gaining experience. An ordinary person could not possess such demeanor. "Young master, what items do you need to sell?" The servant led Gu Feng to a middle-aged steward and then left as his task was complete. As long as there was a transaction, he would earn a commission. What items were sold was not his concern. "Senior, please appraise these items." Apart from the dagger that killed second uncle, Gu Feng left nothing behind. This bottle of pills is of average quality and has some exterior flaws worth 100 low-grade spirit stones. This sword has no runes and is made of ordinary materials worth 50 low-grade spirit stones. The middle-aged steward was very experienced. With just a glance, he could estimate the price. Gu Feng had no experience in this and could only make a rough judgment. The prices seemed fair. Clap, clap, clap. As the middle-aged steward quickly quoted prices, Gu Feng took out his palm-sized golden abacus and swiftly moved the beads. His skilled movements were faster than those of the young servant behind him. The middle-aged steward, astonished, couldn't help but ask, "Little brother, are you in the same line of work?" Upon hearing this, Gu Feng raised his head, revealing 2 rows of bright, white teeth, his eyes flashing with cleverness as he smiled, and said, "Senior, my family doesn't do this. I only worked at a merchant association for a few years." The middle-aged steward nodded slightly. No wonder his calculation skills were so proficient. It turned out he had worked at a merchant association. "The items you've brought have been counted totaling." As he spoke, he glanced at the young servant responsible for the tally, who quietly replied, 25,800 low-grade spirit stones. "If there are no issues, let's make the deal." The middle-aged steward turned his head and said, "The calculation is quite accurate." Gu Feng raised the abacus in his hand, the total price matching that of the servant's words. "But some of the item prices are a bit unreasonable." The middle-aged steward looked at him in surprise. Today was his first day on the job, and in order to do this position well and not offend the customers, he had secretly raised the prices of the items in front of him a little. If these items were sold at other merchant associations, they would definitely not fetch this price. This kid actually thinks the price is low. How absurd. He must be deliberately trying to pick a fight. The middle-aged steward felt slightly displeased, but still held his patience, wanting to hear the young man's insights. "This bottle of pills does indeed have an average appearance and has some minor flaws, but 2 of the pills inside are quite good." As he spoke, Gu Feng took the pill bottle, poured out the pills onto the counter, quickly sorting through them to select a few, and handed them to the middle-aged steward. The steward looked down, his brows furrowing slightly. This kid was too particular, managing to find a few decent pills among a pile of trash. "All right, these few pills are indeed good, and the price can be raised a bit." He thought this would be the end of it, but the subsequent actions made the middle-aged steward furious. This kid was unwilling to budge an inch, meticulously scrutinizing each item and negotiating fiercely with him. A small deal involving over 20,000 low-grade spirit stones felt like $1 million transaction. Gu Feng spoke eloquently, his words flowing like a torrent, his tongue seemingly fitted with a motor, spouting arguments that were quite reasonable, making it hard to find any major faults. Before he knew it, an hour had passed. The middle-aged steward was gritting his teeth, his eyelids twitching, clearly unable to hold back his impatience any longer. Stop talking. The prices for all your pills will increase by 10%, the spiritual herbs will rise by 5%, weapons by 10%, and materials by 20%. That's great. If you had said this earlier, there would have been no need for me to say so much. My mouth is dry now. Gu Feng grinned, revealing 2 rows of bright white teeth, looking as if he had succeeded in a scheme. By the way, isn't the price for this piece of clothing too low? Kid, don't go too far. Do you think just because you've cleaned the clothes and sprinkled some pollen on them, I want to see that they were taken from a corpse? Awkwardly caught, Gu Feng scratched his head in embarrassment. A total of 36,000 low-grade spirit stones. He raised the small abacus in his hand and presented it to the middle-aged steward. The latter gave him a deep look and turned to the young servant. Did you calculate it correctly? The servant was taken aback, then nodded. Correct. All right, then pay up. The middle-aged steward's face darkened. With a flick of his sleeve, the items took to the air, categorized, and scattered into different cabinets. This action was graceful and effortless. No one in the Gu family could control such precision. The outside world was indeed teeming with hidden talents. Soon the young servant finished counting the spirit stones and presented them to the middle-aged steward, who weighed them in his hand and asked, "What is your name?" "In response to your honor, my name is Lu Quan." The servant replied respectfully. "Lu Quan, you are fired. Go settle the accounts in the finance room. Get lost." "What?" Upon hearing this, not only did the servant show surprise, but Gu Feng beside him also revealed an expression of disbelief. This servant was quite diligent. How could he suddenly be fired? The servant, regaining his composure, respectfully acknowledged it, lowered his head, quickly gathered his personal belongings, and turned to head towards the back hall. After the servant left, the middle-aged steward approached Gu Feng and scrutinized him from head to toe, his gaze sending chills down one's spine. After a few breaths, the middle-aged steward asked quietly, "Do you know why I fired him?" Gu Feng honestly shook his head. "Because he is blind. He couldn't even see that you secretly moved the beads a few times and miscounted 2,000 spirit stones." Gu Feng was taken aback, then smiled innocently. Is that so? Perhaps there was an error during the calculation, then just deduct 2,000. Looking at Gu Feng's clear and innocent eyes, the middle-aged man glared at him. "I'm too lazy to calculate. Do you really think I can't add?" With that, he slapped 36,000 spirit stones, not a single one less, into Gu Feng's palm. "Kid, you're quite shrewd. Our Wanha Merchant Association is just lacking a conniving partner like you. Are you interested in working here?" "Thank you, senior. I am currently a specially recruited outer disciple of the xianxia sect, and I need to report there. If I ever get kicked out, I will come here to work." The middle-aged steward looked puzzled. When did the xianxia sect start specially recruiting outer disciples? This kid was only at the first level of body refinement. His strength likely wouldn't even meet the entrance requirements for the outer sect. Perhaps fearing the other party wouldn't believe him, Gu Feng took out the outer sect token given to him by Elder Lu and handed it to the middle-aged steward. The latter stared at the token, feeling speechless. This kid was clearly just taking shortcuts. His face was shameless enough, saying he was specially recruited. If one didn't know any better, they might think he was some extraordinary talent. However, in a sense, this kid indeed belonged to a special recruitment, just not in the way everyone typically understood. He was the kind of small cultivator who stayed by the side of the outer sect elders, specifically responsible for serving and running errands. His future might not even be better than here. Not being related to him, the middle-aged steward chose not to say much more. "Do you have a card for our Wanha Merchant Association?" Gu Feng shook his head. "Would you like to apply for one? Regardless of buying or selling, any business transactions will accumulate points, upgrading your privileges in our association and getting corresponding discounts on buying and selling prices." "What? Isn't this a membership card? No wonder the Wanha Merchant Association can grow so big. It has its unique features. Then I'd like to have one." "What is your name?" "Gu Feng." "Gu Feng. The Gu Feng from the Yunwo City Gu family." Senior, do you know me?" "I haven't seen you, but I've heard of you. I didn't expect you to be the one who swindled a huge settlement from the xianxia sect's unparalleled goddess. How interesting. Someone give him a purple gold card." "This? Senior, am I really that famous?" "You are quite famous indeed." Then, senior, please reserve a position for me in your association. If I can't survive in the xianxia sect, I'll come to seek refuge with you. I look forward to your arrival." Holding the purple gold card, Gu Feng furrowed his brow as he walked out of the Wanha Merchant Association. The steward's words left him somewhat worried. Before this, Gu Feng thought that Chu Yanran was just an ordinary, specially recruited inner disciple of the xianxia sect. Now it seemed it was not that simple. If she were truly that ordinary, the incident of the broken engagement wouldn't have spread so widely. "Forget it, let's take it one step at a time. With Elder Lu backing me, she should have no opportunity to make things difficult for me." Putting aside his worries, Gu Feng returned to the inn and began a new round of cultivation. After Gu Feng left, the middle-aged steward casually remarked, "Find someone to take my place. I'm done with this job." He walked through the inner hall and arrived at a separate courtyard. A young girl approached with a smile, her eyes glinting with mischief. The middle-aged steward shot her a sharp glare. "That kid is too infuriating. A garbage deal worth over 30,000 low-grade spirit stones has wasted over an hour of my time, and my head is spinning from dealing with him. You can't entirely blame that kid for being difficult. Over 30,000 low-grade spirit stones is an astronomical figure for someone at the first level of body refinement. If it were me, I'd probably haggle for half a day." The girl's voice was quite pleasant as she graciously brought over a cup of tea. You really misjudged this time. That kid isn't poor, in fact, he's quite wealthy." The middle-aged steward took a sip of tea as if remembering something, and a smile appeared on his face. "Oh, is he wealthy? He doesn't look like it from his attire. That kid has at least over 200,000 low-grade spirit stones on him." The girl said, her eyes widening in surprise. "Then he doesn't need to be given a purple gold card. The reason for giving him a purple gold card isn't his wealth, but because he is named Gu Feng. That name sounds familiar. Is he the one who caused Chu Yanran to lose a hefty sum in a breakup, leaving her humiliated?" The girl instantly perked up. Chu Yanran was called the most talented individual in a century by the xianxia sect, possessing both strength and beauty. All disciples of the xianxia sect revered her as a goddess untouchable. Under normal circumstances, someone like her would go far in the martial arts world. Yet this destined figure was kicked down from her pedestal by a mere kid at the first level of body refinement in the small Yunwo city, losing her face. When the news broke a while ago, everyone was shocked. Some male disciples from the xianxia sect even planned to go to Yunwo city to trouble that Gu Feng, but later on there was no news about it. Even if he is Gu Feng, he shouldn't have over 200,000 spirit stones on him. "That's a good question," replied the middle-aged steward, now intrigued by his niece's query. "That kid, for some unknown reason, managed to plunder the 200,000 spirit stones stored by the Gu family." Plundered? Plundered? The girl wore an incredulous expression. Gu Feng's treatment in the Gu family was known to be poor, especially following the news of the breakup. Overall, the Gu family treated Gu Feng very poorly. Under such circumstances, he not only brought out his 40,000 spirit stones, but also plundered the entire Gu family, which was quite legendary. This kid is no ordinary person. Not only did he plunder the entire Gu family, but he also killed over a dozen talented disciples from the Gu family who were after him. If these feats are within the realm of ordinary understanding, then he has also respectively killed and intimidated 2 practitioners at the Qi induction stage, which is hard to fathom. In the entire xianxia sect, few can kill Qi induction practitioners at the body refinement stage, and moreover, he is a genuine first-level body refinement practitioner. The low voice of the middle-aged steward left the girl dumbfounded, her eyes filled with shock and curiosity. It was hard to imagine how Gu Feng could make a comeback in such a situation. He must have secrets. Giving him a purple gold card is a way to build good rapport. It's a worthwhile transaction. When you get to the xianxia sect, even if you can't be friends with him, don't make him your enemy. This kid seems harmless on the surface, yet he is ruthless. He kills his own brothers without hesitation and shows no mercy to his elders. Though these people deserve to die, it's not something just anyone can do. In response to her uncle's warning, the girl, named Cici, nodded earnestly, her curiosity about this seemingly cheerful boy with a bright smile and 2 rows of white teeth growing. A cunning youth with a huge amount of spirit stones, yet calculative and somewhat deceptive, is hard to overlook. Back at the inn, Gu Feng began his cultivation. 2 days later, he hung his head low, feeling, "Damn it, what is my physique? Over 200,000 spirit stones poured in, yet I couldn't break through the first level of body refinement. A total of 240,000 plus the 36,000 from the Wana Chamber of Commerce, all converted into divine liquid." He thought that with so many spirit stones, he would at least break through the first level of body refinement. Reality slapped him hard as his cultivation level remained locked in place, without any change. Aside from the continuous enhancement of his physical strength, there was no other change. The previous trip to the Wanha Chamber of Commerce made him realize the scarcity of spirit stones. The combined wealth of Uncle Gu and Gu Xing only barely exchanged for 36,000 spirit stones. If relying on his own abilities to earn, who knows how long it would take. Originally, he was quite confident about his future, but now he felt utterly deflated. If breaking through the first level of body refinement is this difficult, then he shouldn't even think about the subsequent levels. No matter how strong one is in body refinement, it still remains at the bottom of the cultivation world. A protesting sound came from his stomach. Gu Feng jumped out of bed and walked out of the room, heading to the hall. "Bring the dishes." With the increase in his strength, his food requirements grew exponentially. After several plates of grilled meat, he barely felt satisfied. No increase in cultivation level, but my appetite has skyrocketed and living costs have gone up. This left Gu Feng, who was already financially strained and short on spirit stones, somewhat speechless. Bring me another 20 plates of grilled meat. Turning his frustration into appetite, Gu Feng began to feast once more. Burp, Gu Feng patted his belly, nodding in satisfaction. After eating and drinking his fill, his mood lifted, and the clouds over his heart dispersed. Life must go on. If 200,000 spirit stones can't help him break through, then let it be 400,000. If 600,000 won't work, then let it be 800,000. As long as he still lives, he should not give up. Earning money is the way to go. With this thought in mind, Gu Feng felt a surge of passion. If he weren't in a public place, he might have howled at the sky. Just as he shouted, "Little one," he suddenly jolted, as if realizing something, and hurriedly glanced at the storage bag at his waist, his expression changing. "Oh no, I used up all the spirit stones during my intense cultivation. The storage bag is cleaner than my own face, with not a single spirit stone left inside. Young master, is there anything you need help with? Bring me 10 more plates of grilled meat." "All right, young master, please wait." The waiter, accustomed to various types of patrons, showed no surprise at Gu Feng's extraordinary appetite and hurried off to fetch the grilled meat. When the 10 plates of grilled meat were served, Gu Feng began to eat slowly and elegantly. For now, he could only stall for time, hoping for a miracle. What if some fool walked in and shouted, "I'll cover the bill for everyone"? Well, maybe he was thinking too much. There couldn't be that many fools around. Just running away and eating a free meal was certainly not an option. He would be lucky to escape alive. Looking around, he could only consider discussing with the owner here to see if he could work off the meal. Just as he was about to call the waiter to ask for the owner, 2 figures at the door caught his attention. One of them he recognized as the middle-aged steward from the Wanha Chamber of Commerce. His heart stirred, and he immediately stood up, waving his hand. "Senior, I didn't expect to meet you here. A chance encounter is better than an invitation, and today I will treat you." "Uncle, it's Gu Feng. Let's go over there," Cici said without hesitation, tugging at her uncle's sleeve as she made her way towards Gu Feng. After both of them took their seats, Gu Feng immediately felt more confident, his chest puffed out as he snapped his fingers. With great poise, Gu Feng handed the menu to the middle-aged steward, whose gaze was filled with suspicion. From their brief interactions a few days prior, he had come to understand Gu Feng's character, and this young man did not seem like someone who would treat others casually. "Kid, do you have an ulterior motive?" "Senior, where do you think this is going?" "After leaving the Wanha Chamber of Commerce that day, I visited a few more chambers only to realize that the price you offered was significantly higher than the market rate." Gu Feng's expression was sincere and pure, revealing a set of bright white teeth as he smiled. "I suppose you do know how to handle things," the middle-aged steward thought, as Gu Feng's reasoning was logical and his invitation to dine was flawless, causing the steward to completely lower his guard. "Shishi, feel free to order whatever you like." With her large sparkling eyes, Shishi had been scrutinizing Gu Feng the entire time. She smiled and without hesitation ordered several dishes. As the 3 of them chatted, they quickly grew familiar with one another. Gu Feng then learned that the girl's name was Yan Shishi and that the middle-aged steward was his uncle Gu Santong. "Uncle Gu, hey, race to you." "Ha, good. I had a misunderstanding about you before. You're quite an open-minded fellow." "Not at all, Uncle Gu, you flatter me." As young people often do, they quickly became acquainted. Gu Feng, being cheerful and talkative, soon became friendly with Yan Shishi. "Gu Feng, did you make her lose face because of the breakup with Chu Yanran?" "We broke up, but we remain good friends. I, Gu Feng, am a man of integrity. How could I hold a grudge against her for ending our engagement? By heaven's conscience, this is not a scam, but rather something she owes me." Yan Shishi nodded in agreement, as Chu Yanran had become the most sought-after inner disciple of the first sect in Yun County. Whether for her undivided focus on cultivation or because Gu Feng was no longer worthy of her wanting to end the engagement was understandable. Clearly, it was more infuriating that she chose to do so publicly rather than privately, which was simply too despicable. Even as a fellow woman, Yan Shishi could not condone it. Moreover, there was the additional reason that Chu Yanran had a direct competitive relationship with her sister in the Luoxia sect. So seeing Chu Yanran suffer was something Yan Shishi relished. Beside them, Gu Santong wore a strange expression. Gu Feng was being too brazen. For a mere wooden sword to be worth several thousand spirit stones, how could that not be a scam? "Don't just sit there, eat. Don't try to save money for me." Gu Feng enthusiastically treated the 2. This time, Gu Santong took charge, ordering the most expensive dishes, considering the kid had money and wouldn't be overwhelmed. Thus, one exquisite dish after another was served, and Gu Feng's face beamed with joy. After a while, he swayed as he stood up, embarrassedly speaking to the 2. "I've had too much to drink. I need to go urgently." "You brat, how much have you even drunk? Hurry up and come back." Gu Santong laughed as he watched Gu Feng stagger away, not sensing anything amiss. Once out of Gu Santong's sight, Gu Feng's eyes cleared completely. He casually grabbed a nearby waiter. "Pack me 1,000 portions." After a few breaths, he packed the food into a storage bag, left a note, instructed the waiter, and swiftly exited the inn, heading straight for the outskirts of the city. Unaware, Gu Santong continued to drink leisurely. "Uncle, do you think Gu Feng will be all right? Shouldn't you go check?" She said with slight worry. Cough, what's there to see? Hurry and eat, some of the stuff here is rare for us to taste, it's quite extraordinary. Oh. After about half a stick of incense, Gu Feng was still nowhere to be seen. Now Gu Santong felt something was off and summoned the waiter to look for him. The result of the waiter's words left him dumbfounded. What? Gu Feng left half an hour ago. Yes, he said he was going to deliver food to a friend and left first. Did he settle the bill? He said you would pay. Gu Santong nearly spat blood. He never expected Gu Feng to be so shameless, using the restroom as an excuse to sneak away. Damn it. Gu Santong slammed his fist on the table, startling Yan Shishi. How much is it? He was a person of status and did not argue with the waiter. After all, Gu Feng would go to the Luoxia sect. It was only a matter of time before he was caught and given a good beating. 15,600 spirit stones, rounding off a total of 15,000. What? Why is it so expensive? Gu Santong shouted angrily. Even Yan Shishi beside him was shocked. This is truly a black shop. 15,000 spirit stones for a meal, it's more terrifying than robbery. Having eaten here before, even with this much, ordering 1,000 spirit stones would be the limit. This damn waiter actually wanted to charge them 15,000 spirit stones. If we don't clear this up today, do you believe I will tear down your shop? Gu Santong's eyes were terrifying, his whole aura erupting. How could he stand being scammed by Gu Feng, let alone have a mere waiter bully him? Did he think he was a sick cat when the tiger didn't roar? The imposing presence of Gu Santong frightened the waiter to the point of trembling, his legs shaking and his lips quivering. Realizing this was a formidable guest. However, paying for a meal is a matter of course, so one cannot eat for free just because they are powerful. Gathering his courage, he spoke. Sir, I am new here and would never dare to deceive you. Before you arrived, that young man consumed over 100 portions of roasted meat, costing over 1,000 spirit stones. Afterwards, you and this lady also ordered some food and spirit wine, which also cost over 1,000 spirit stones. The waiter detailed each dish meticulously, accompanied by sincere eyes that left no room for doubt. That bastard Gu Feng, was he reborn as a pig demon? How could he eat over 100 portions of roasted meat without bursting? Gu Santong was furious, while Yan Shishi beside him smiled slightly, her lively eyes filled with surprise, as she could not connect over 100 portions of roasted meat with Gu Feng's figure. Over 100 portions of roasted meat piled up would be larger than his body. How did he manage to fit it all in? Yan Shishi struggled to visualize the scene in her mind. Even so, that only adds up to over 2,000 spirit stones. How did you calculate it to be 15,000? Gu Santong grasped the waiter's arm, looking determined not to let go until he got clarity. That young man, when he left, packed 1,000 portions of roasted meat along with 100 bottles of spirit wine. Here is the note he left behind. Gu Feng's note: Uncle Gu, I urgently need help. I have no money to pay the bill. Let this meal count as my treat, and I will repay what I owe you in the future. I, Gu Feng, always keep my word and will never go back on it. Gu Santong spat blood in his heart, nearly stumbling and falling. This brat had eaten without paying and even brought takeout, and it was 1,000 portions. What's more ridiculous is that this kid shamelessly claimed this meal was his treat. How is this treating? Using someone else's money to treat is quite generous. No wonder this kid was acting unusually and putting on a carefree demeanor. Turns out he never intended to pay. As for what Gu Feng said in his note about not having money to pay, that was pure nonsense. Just 2 days had passed, and he had used up over 30,000 spirit stones. Even if he had spent it all, this kid still had over 2 million on him. In the past few days, there had been no transactions exceeding 1 million in Baoang City. This was trampling on his intelligence. This damn kid, who I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen someone so shameless. Next time I see him, I must teach him a good lesson. Seeing her uncle's expression fluctuate, Yan Shishi suppressed a smile, tugging at his arm. Uncle, just pay the bill. Gu Feng should return it. He must have encountered some difficulties. Fearing his reputation would be ruined, Gu Santong pinched his nose and reluctantly paid the bill. All the way he grumbled, cursing Gu Feng's ancestors, while Yan Shishi beside him couldn't stop laughing. Shishi, your uncle retracts his previous words. Once we reach the Luoxia sect, do not associate with Gu Feng. Why, I fear you will be scammed by him. This scammer is simply too cunning. No, I must inform your sister to help me get back those 15,000 spirit stones when she encounters Gu Feng. This world's territory stretched boundlessly vast, hundreds of times more immense than Blue Star. It was exceedingly rare for two cities to adjoin. Between them sprawled deserts, rushing rivers, dense forests, barren lush plains, or towering mountain ranges. Beyond Baoang City, after passing several ancient cities in succession, the Luoxia sect lay not far ahead. Here numerous youths and maidens, roughly Gu Feng's age, began appearing, most having cultivated to the body refinement realm. Though the Luoxia sect's entrance examination remained over half a month away, these aspirants had already arrived early to await its commencement and exchange insights with one another. Gu Feng, however, had already secured admission. He merely needed to report to the Luoxia sect. Without pausing even a single night, he passed straight through this ancient city. Of course, the primary reason was his utter lack of spirit stones. He could only endure the bleak solitude of the wilderness. Fortunately, Yun Prefecture harbored no formidable demonic beasts, and his journey thus far had been uneventful. Following a winding mountain path, Gu Feng scaled 2 great peaks and paused briefly upon a rocky outcrop to rest. Yet as he rose to continue, several figures suddenly leapt from concealed shadows. Great calamity! Hand over your spirit stones. 5 burly men stood before him, young in years, yet radiating the aura of body refinement cultivators at the 7th or 8th tier. Gu Feng had already been vexed by his poverty. Now confronted by bandits, fury surged within him like wildfire. I'm so destitute I've contemplated robbing others myself. How dare you wretches dare rob me? Robbery. Surrender every last spirit stone on your persons. With those words, he explosively thrust off the ground, like a panther unleashed, and charged forward, iron fists raised high. Ah! Oh! Wails pierced the air, echoing sharply. Within mere breaths, the 5 bandits lay strewn across the ground, writhing and moaning in agony. Gu Feng rubbed his palms together, then stripped the storage pouches from their waists. Upon opening them, his spirit's sword inside lay medicinal herbs, weapons, and nearly 20,000 spirit stones. A glorious reversal of fortune. Elder brother, take whatever you wish, but spare our lives. Yes, we've only robbed, never taken a traveler's life. We're no irredeemable fiends. I'm simply desperate. So many young disciples are heading toward the Luoxia sect these days. A little robbery now means greater comfort later within the sect. The 5 wept uncontrollably, begging Gu Feng for mercy. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. To fatten a steed, one must feed it hay at night. Judging by their attire, their origins were scarcely better than his own. Yet they possessed far greater wealth, stirring an unsettling imbalance within him. How long have you been ambushing travelers here? 3 days, only 3, stammered the leader, trembling with fear. Gu Feng's strength was overwhelming. Their resistance crumbled utterly before him. Killing them would be simpler than crushing ants. What? 3 days? Gu Feng recoiled in disbelief. Such efficiency was staggering. 20,000 spirit stones in just 3 days. That extrapolated to over 2 million annually, outpacing the entire Gu family's collective output by hundreds-fold. Gazing down at the 5 prone figures, Gu Feng's eyes gleamed with golden light. What are your names? Xiongda, Xiong'er, Xiongsan. I know, you must be Xiongxi. At that, Gu Feng cut off the 4th man mid-sentence. Elder brother, I'm Xiongwu. My father deemed 4 inauspicious, hence no Xiongxi. Ah, my apologies. Your father clearly marches to his own drum. So, you truly robbed for only 3 days. Sworn upon the heavens, no deception. Absolutely genuine. Seeing Gu Feng's murderous aura recede, the 5 dared breathe easier. Is it truly that easy to rob? Don't lie to me. Elder brother, you want in on the action too. Hearing this, Xiongda instantly perked up, mistaking the master cultivator before him for a prospective partner in crime. The Luoxia sect's entrance examination imposed strict age limits. Their quintet ranked among the strongest candidates. Together, they were virtually invincible, provided they avoided freaks like Gu Feng. Slap. What nonsense, are you calling me that? Gu Feng delivered a thunderous backhand. Yes. Elder brother exudes pure righteousness, naturally disdaining such lowly deeds. These spoils are hereby confiscated. Farewell, and tread wisely. With that, Gu Feng departed with effortless grace. The 5 opened their mouths to plead for their storage pouches, but dared not utter a sound, cowed by his overwhelming presence. Sigh, we've met a true monster. Best accept our misfortune. This youth is a master of deception, masking his cultivation at body refinement 1st tier to lure us into complacency. We'd been meticulous, avoiding anyone above the 8th tier, yet still ended up back at square one. No matter, we still have over 10 days until the examination. Time is plentiful. We'll train harder. Our leader speaks truth. Among our peers, we're exceptional. Such prodigies are vanishingly rare. We won't encounter another like him again. Let's rob harder. 12 hours a day, no rest, relentless plunder. The 5 huddled together, rallying their flagging morale. Unbeknownst to them, Gu Feng, who had seemingly vanished into the distance, had circled back. Robbing innocent travelers is immoral, but robbing you, not a shred of guilt. Rob diligently, rob greedily. The richer your haul, the sweeter my harvest. Having mapped their base, Gu Feng resumed his journey. He knew well ahead lay countless others harboring identical schemes, each a ripe target for his own reaping. Struck it rich. In Baoang City, Yin, accompanied by a dozen peers from the Wanha Commerce Guild, also embarked upon the road to the Luoxia sect. Uncle, please don't see us off further. This is a trial of endurance. We'll be unharmed. Ancient Sanchong gently ruffled Yin-Cici's hair, a tender smile softening his eyes. Though the Wanha Commerce Guild did not pride itself on martial prowess, it held no anxiety for these youth's safety. All were at least body refinement 6th tier. Such a formidable cohort faced negligible risk. Once at the Luo-Xia sect, seek out your elder sister. She's an inner sect disciple entitled to sponsor 1 or 2 outer sect disciples. One final warning, avoid Gu Feng entirely. That boy is a walking calamity. Understood. Xianxia replied with a cheerful, dismissive smile, then led her companions onward. Pay your toll. The familiar cry rang once more in her ears. Xianxia sank into profound dismay. She'd anticipated bandits and prepared accordingly, but their sheer number defied belief. Nearly every few li brought another ambush. Relentless assaults, even with their elite formation, began wearing them down. You're Wu Qi of the Tianqi Commerce Guild, aren't you? I recognize the mole on your brow. In that instant of paying the toll, Xianxia identified one masked bandit. You're mistaken. I am not Wu Qi. His nervous tone only deepened her certainty, shocking her beyond measure, a guild prodigy reduced to highway robbery. Beneath Xianxia's unblinking gaze, Wu Qi cracked, his resolve shattered. Cici, I had no choice. He removed his mask, offering a rueful laugh and recounting his harrowing journey. The Wanha delegation listened bewildered, minds reeling. It began with a single figure who robbed the robbers, inciting widespread outrage among bandits. Yet none dared oppose him, his power too absolute. Thus, driven by loss and fury, the bandits escalated, robbing travelers more ruthlessly, adding brutal beatings to their crimes. Those repeatedly robbed grew resentful. Why should they remain helpless prey? They too turned to plunder. A bizarre hierarchy emerged, like predatory fish devouring smaller ones, cascading downward in escalating violence. Now the entire road teemed with bandits, chaotic, indistinguishable, intermingled. So, you were robbed clean, then joined their ranks out of wounded pride. Xianxia struggled not to laugh aloud. Truth be told, she couldn't blame Wu Qi. Not even her gentle nature could withstand repeated robbery without snapping. Who was this legendary figure, so audacious, so unstoppable, that he'd thrown the entire route into chaos? Her curiosity burned fiercely. I had no alternative. Entering the Luo-Xia sect penniless would be humiliating. Wu Qi sighed bitterly. As Xianxia bowed to take her leave, a tall masked figure sprinted toward them at blinding speed. Beside her, Wu Qi stiffened, then bolted. Too slow. A single kick sent him sprawling. The masked figure hoisted a massive blade and bellowed, bandits, your illicit gains are hereby confiscated. Xianxia's eyes widened. That voice, it sounded exactly like Gu Feng. Wrapped in a headscarf with a face covered, a pair of sword-like eyebrows exposed, and eyes brighter than the last meeting, sparkling with excitement. Looking at Wu Qi and the others was like gazing at a pile of glimmering spirit stones, and combined with their tall stature, Xianxia couldn't help but chuckle. Gu Feng turned his head to glance at her, seeming to glare slightly, and urged, hurry up. Wu Qi's face turned pale, nearly in tears. Brother, we haven't had any business these past few days. He had witnessed Gu Feng's strength, and the best approach when encountering him was to run. If unable to escape, do not resist, as resistance would only invite a thunderous counterattack. He had seen the world, yet he was still intimidated by Gu Feng's power. He remembered that day when he encountered a robbery gang composed of 9th-layer body refining cultivators. Just after being robbed, Gu Feng appeared at the right moment. He swung his iron fists like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, causing several 9th-layer body refining cultivators to scream in agony. One of the cultivators had their weapon broken, and another was directly stomped into the ground, almost meeting their end. The 9th-layer body refining cultivators before him felt like toys, easily crushed, their oppressive presence no less than that of a Qi-gathering realm cultivator. From that day on, Wu Qi resolved in his heart that he must not confront Gu Feng directly, as his small frame could not withstand a single punch from him. Open your storage bags, and let me check for any illegal gains. You all too. Gu Feng raised an eyebrow, heavily stepping on Wu Qi, pointing his large knife at the other bandits, proclaiming loudly. Among the other bandits, someone who had never seen Gu Feng's might attempted to voice an angry retort, but was quickly silenced by those beside him. Xianxia's lively eyes blinked, filled with curiosity. She knew that Gu Feng was not an ordinary first-layer body refining cultivator, yet she never expected that without a single strike he could intimidate Wu Qi and the others. It should be noted that Wu Qi was an 8th-layer body refining cultivator among the younger generation in Baoang City, at least in the top 10, slightly stronger than herself. The proud Wu Qi was now lying on the ground, calling out brother repeatedly, which left her feeling a sense of disappointment. If she weren't familiar with Wu Qi, she might have thought the person on the ground merely resembled him and wasn't truly him. How strong could he possibly be? Xianxia speculated about Gu Feng's combat power. With no other options, Wu Qi and the others lowered their heads and opened their storage bags. After a few encounters, they had gained some understanding of Gu Feng. As long as they didn't resist, he wouldn't strike. Gu Feng leaned forward, his gaze piercing into the storage bags, and the next moment, he shouted, you have some nerve daring to deceive me. The contents of your storage bags are all illegal gains, and you still refuse to speak the truth. No, these are our own belongings, not stolen. Yes, we did intend to rob, but we didn't succeed. Brother, you must believe us if you don't just ask them. One of the bandits in a moment of desperation pointed at xianxia and the others. Shut up. If you don't speak the truth, I have evidence. Amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd, Gu Feng pulled out a small notebook from his pocket and flipped through it quickly. Wu Qi was robbed 3 days ago. Xianxia was robbed on the same day as Wu Qi. Zhou Rui was completely robbed the day before. You bandits still dare to deceive me. You were already robbed before. Now that you have items in your storage bags, do you think you're the victims? Silence, a deathly stillness. Wu Qi and the others had their mouths slightly ajar, their throats moving a few times, but not a word could escape. They never expected Gu Feng to have such clear intelligence, knowing exactly when their group had been robbed. The items in the storage bags were indeed stolen. They had thought they could deceive him, but they didn't expect him to have a small notebook. The densely packed words on it clearly contained a lot of information about bandits. Brother, your eyes are truly sharp, seeing through everything. Wu Qi smiled awkwardly, readily handing over his storage bag, and the others quickly followed suit without delay. xianxia was completely shocked. Robbing with a small notebook was something that only Gu Feng could pull off under the heavens. Thinking back to the scene of fleeing in embarrassment that day, she couldn't help but smile knowingly, her gaze fixed on Gu Feng, realizing this was indeed something he could do. Consider yourselves fortunate. Time is short, you must hurry, or you might miss the entrance examination of the law. Hearing this, Wu Qi and the others exchanged glances, gathering their courage to speak. Brother, there are still many bandits ahead. Without a toll, we will be beaten up, badly injured. We won't be able to pass the examination. These bandits along the way had gone mad, and if they found passers-by who looked poor in their fury, they would strike with extreme cruelty. Rest assured, this is my last patrol. I have already ordered those who were caught with illegal gains to head towards the Luoxia sect. Ahead lies a clear path. I assure you there are no bandits. No more time to waste. I must hurry to deal with the last batch of lawbreakers. Farewell. As Gu Feng dashed away into the distance, the crowd remained in a daze. Sigh. After robbing for so long, in the end we are still left with nothing. Forget it. Encountering him, we can only consider ourselves unfortunate. After all, we aren't the only ones suffering, but feels a bit more balanced in our hearts. Wu Qi and the others sighed, forming a group with xianxia and her companions as they moved forward. Just as Gu Feng had said, they did not encounter any more bandits along the way, as if everyone had suddenly vanished. Crossing this mountain, we will reach the Luoxia sect. Wu Qi, acting as the guide, wiped the sweat from his forehead and smiled at xianxia and the others. Along the way, you all have had the best luck not getting completely robbed. Hee, we were also robbed a few times, but we still gained from starting late. If we had come a few days earlier, our experiences would have been similar to yours. Upon reaching this location, even Wu Qi, who had been completely robbed, felt his spirits lift. The Luoxia sect, as the top sect in Yun County, was a revered cultivation sanctuary for countless young people. The childhood dream was about to be realized. Nothing else mattered as long as they could enter. Their future would be incredibly bright. Listen, it seems there are many people gathered ahead. Suddenly someone shouted, and everyone looked up, revealing expressions of surprise. On an open field more than 10 miles from the Luoxia sect, countless people were gathered. Such a large crowd lingering here was highly unusual. Filled with curiosity, xianxia and the others hurried forward. Brother, what happened here? Wu Qi asked as he caught hold of someone. To their shock, they discovered that the several thousand people before them were all waiting for Gu Feng. What? They are waiting for him here? Upon learning the intention of the crowd, xianxia was startled and wanted to turn back to inform Gu Feng. Don't move, can't you see that there are patrols here? Wu Qi has plenty of experience in the martial world and has noticed something unusual. With so many people lingering here, it must be organized by someone behind the scenes. What should we do? xianxia was very worried. She had already unilaterally regarded Gu Feng as there are thousands of people here. No matter how strong Gu Feng is, he can't defeat so many. Even a single spit could drown him. He doesn't look like a fool. Seeing so many people, he should run away. Right, he doesn't need to participate in the Luoxia sect's assessment. He can afford to wait, but those people can't. Thinking of this, xianxia happily laughed. How could someone as clever as Gu Feng not think of this? The thousands of people here are destined to wait in vain. xianxia and her group felt relaxed as they quietly waited nearby, watching the developments unfold. Through the crowd, she saw a courtyard-sized open space in the center where dozens of young cultivators were seated. Each of them bore an arrogant expression with deep breaths. Most were at the 9th level of body refining, and a few were at the 8th level, none below that. Such individuals have been increasing over time. Roughly counting, there were more than 100. This lineup would make even those at the Qi induction stage flee with their tails between their legs. Your friend better not show up, or otherwise he's doomed, Wu Qi said ominously. These people are too wicked. Having done bad things, they refuse to repent and attempt to deal with the righteous enforcers. Upon saying this, Wu Qi's mouth twitched. The woman's thinking was indeed peculiar, and her double standards were too severe. It's true that Gu Feng has robbed criminals, but those robbers were forced into it by him. Undeniably, some of them are true robbers originally planning to commit theft, but many like him were forced into becoming robbers. If it weren't for being robbed and furious, who would willingly lose face and turn to robbery? The source of this farce is undoubtedly Gu Feng. Considering Gu Feng is Xianxia's friend, Wu Qi smirked and said nothing more. The evening glow reflected, painting the western sky in vivid reds. Just as everyone thought the masked bandit wouldn't appear, a tall figure wrapped in a turban and carrying a large knife appeared before them. He walked steadily, his gaze firm, showing no signs of being intimidated by the situation before him. Seeing him walk over, the crowd wisely parted to make way. Although there were thousands of people here, few dared to act, were willing to act, or had the qualifications to act. Wow, so many people, have they discovered a treasure? Gu Feng's appearance was comical, resembling a king of beggars. Even the ninth elder of the beggars sect had only 9 bags, while he had at least dozens of storage bags at his waist. This was the result of Gu Feng refining spirit stones, otherwise he would have even more storage bags. Masked bandit, do you still dare to show yourself? Using the guise of law enforcement to commit robbery is more despicable than true robbers. We are here today to give you a lesson that will pierce to the bone. Be sensible, hand over everything you robbed before, and publicly repent, or else. The sounds of chaos, denunciations, and curses rose and fell. In the distance, Xianxia clenched her hands together, her face tense. She never expected Gu Feng would really appear. How can such a clever person be so stubborn? She whispered, wanting to help Gu Feng, but was pulled back by someone beside. Sister Cici, as a 7th-level body refiner, what can you do? Don't worry, they shouldn't kill him, he might just suffer some flesh wounds. Wu Qi also advised softly. Although he was also a victim, he still admired Gu Feng's strength. After all, it's normal for the strong to rob the weak. Clang. The large knife in his hand sank deeply into the ground as Gu Feng stood upright, sweeping his gaze around. So many people are going to take action. Upon hearing this, the scene stirred. Some weaker cultivators shifted their feet and stepped back. Haha, you really overestimate yourself. A tall, slender cultivator, like a bamboo pole, stepped forward with a smile. It's Gu Feng from Qianren City, at the 9th level of body refining. Rumor has it that his physical strength has reached a terrifying 50,000 pounds. This was news from a year ago, and he's probably even more formidable now. Upon recognizing the newcomer, the scene erupted into a cacophony of voices. Gu Feng is the #1 genius of Qianren City. Despite his slim figure, his physical strength is terrifying. When he swings his fists, he can unleash immense force exceeding 50,000 pounds. This is a staggering figure. Generally, at the peak of body refining, if one's physical strength exceeds 40,000 pounds, they are considered a genius. Gu Feng has clearly not reached the peak of body refining, yet his physical strength exceeds 50,000 pounds undeniably, making him a world-class prodigy that sends chills down one's spine. Just you. That might not be enough. Gu Feng glanced at him disdainfully and shook his head. In the past few days, he had been robbing and cultivating. Although his realm had not changed, his physical strength had reached a level even he could not fathom. Even if it wasn't 100,000 pounds, it was not far from that. A mere 50,000 pounds was nothing to him. Your strength is formidable. You shouldn't mind if I join you. A rough voice came, and the crowd looked at the newcomer in shock. This person stood 9 feet tall, towering over most of the crowd. His muscles bulged, veins popped out, and the scars on his face added to his intimidating presence. With each step he took, a loud rumbling sound erupted, leaving deep footprints behind. The terrain here was a mixture of rock and gravel. Just walking lightly could leave footprints, and this person's strength was likely greater than Gu Feng's. He is Chao Yuan from Northwest City, nicknamed Copperskin Iron Bones. He practices a brutal style, with physical strength reaching a terrifying 60,000 pounds. He has long roamed the mountains battling against beasts, and once tore a demon bear apart. This is xianxia from Iron City, also at the 9th level of body, refining, a mercenary by trade. When it comes to combat experience, no one here can surpass him. This one is. Wu Qi quietly introduced as he too was stunned by the lineup before him. Each person stepping out one after another was a standout among their peers in Yun County. Some were even stronger than the outer disciples of the Luoxia sect. Xianxia was already dumbfounded, her face pale. No matter how strong Gu Feng was, he was just a body refiner. How could he defeat so many? Seeing Gu Feng surrounded by a group of fierce people standing there alone, Xianxia could no longer hold back and ran over, gathering her courage to shout at the more than 100 people. How can you do this? As geniuses, using numbers to bully the few is nothing to be proud of. We're all here for the assessment. There's no need for this. You quickly return what you took, or you will die. Gu Feng looked at the girl before him in surprise. He never expected that someone would stand up for him in such a situation. The key was that this person had also been tricked by him. Cici, I will repay the money I owe you. There's no need to chase after me so urgently. Those shrimp soldiers and crab generals cannot do anything to me. Gu Feng reached out, placing his hand on her shoulder, and said with a smile, "What time is it? Still joking? These people." Yin Cici's expression tightened with anxiety. Who's this little girl? Cultivating the body to the 7th level. Afraid of being beaten to death. She looks quite delicate. Would be ashamed to spoil her. Huh. Don't worry. I'll go easy on her. The crowd scoffed. A mere ant at the 7th level of body cultivation. Bold, yes, but utterly foolish. Among those encircling Gu Feng, any single one could crush him with a single punch. My elder sister is Yin Yeju of the inner sect. For her sake, let us negotiate peacefully today, no violence. Yin Yeju. At those 3 words their expressions shifted instantly. She was an inner sect prodigy rivaling Chu Yanran, formidable beyond measure. If she truly intended to protect the masked bandit, they would indeed need to reconsider. Gentlemen, her elder sister is indeed Yin Yeju. Competition during the trials is commonplace. Rivalry breeds mutual respect. Why not shake hands and part as friends? Wu Qi stepped forward with a smile, vouching for Yin Cici. What now? The 100-odd cultivators furrowed their brows, exchanging glances. Surrender all stolen goods, and you may depart unharmed. Guo Renkai spoke aloud on behalf of the group. Wonderful. Gu Feng, hand over everything. They won't strike you. Upon hearing this, Yin Cici's eyes crinkled with delight. She nearly leapt for joy. She reached eagerly for the storage pouch at Gu Feng's waist, only for her hand to be halted midair. Thank you for your assistance, but it won't be necessary. With a faint smile, Gu Feng unfastened every storage pouch from his waist and placed them into Yin Cici's arms. Hold on to these for me. Don't lose a single item. I've kept meticulous records in my ledger. Under Yin Cici's stunned gaze, Gu Feng strode forward. If my memory serves, I've robbed none of you. His gaze sharpened, his voice rang with unshakable conviction. Robbing robbers is righteous justice. Therefore you are the villains. Any among you wish to step forward? I welcome you all, now or never. Gu Feng swept his gaze across the assembly, towering above them all, radiating indomitable charisma. Brother, shall we intervene? Xiong Er's eyes gleamed, restless with anticipation. Are they fools? Our combined technique unleashes 80,000 gene of force, yet even that ended in utter rout. Xiong De slapped Xiong Er sharply across the head. Has your brain been buried by dogs? To even contemplate challenging him, a being this terrifying, is suicide. After their first robbery by Gu Feng, the 5 Xiong brothers had grown increasingly humiliated. Their peak strength had never been fully unleashed. So, they sought him out again. This time they deployed their clan's secret combined technique from the outset. Yet the outcome was no better. After that battle, Xiong De was utterly cowed. That man was no human. He was a demon. His power was simply terrifying. In the body cultivation realm, he stood unrivaled. There are so many of them. We won't lead the charge, just skirmish from the flanks. Surely there's little danger. Xiong Er protested. Open your eyes wide. Among those surrounding him, is there any cultivator he once robbed? Do they not yearn for vengeance? The reason none dared join was simple sheer terror. Defeat was inevitable against such numbers, but to subdue him without injury, impossible. Can you guarantee you won't be the one he seizes and beats senseless? Xiong De sighed in exasperation. Elder brother speaks wisely. We've already looted enough these past days. No need to risk our necks. Honestly, I doubt these cultivators can prevail against him. Xiong Wu frowned as he spoke. Gu Feng narrowed his eyes, cold light flashing. Every cultivator who met his gaze instinctively lowered their heads. Then step back, lest blood splatter upon you. Bad omen. Clearly Gu Feng held Guo Renkai and his peers in utter contempt, a grievous blow to their pride as elite prodigies. Young lady, if you are truly Yin Yeju's younger sister, we shall not trouble you. Withdraw from here, or suffer the consequences of our ruthlessness. Per Luoxia sect regulations, inner sect disciples may not interfere excessively in outer sect affairs. Do not mistake leniency for weakness. Seeing Gu Feng's resolve unshaken, Wu Qi shook his head ruefully and led Yin Cici away. All held their breath. Such a clash was rare, even rarer within the trials themselves. One side, the enigmatic masked bandit, unstoppable, having swept aside countless raiders along his path. The other, over 100 prodigies from cities across Yin Commandery, each at least 8th level of body cultivation, united in purpose. Their confrontation promised cataclysmic collision, a spectacle for the ages. Such commotion could not escape the Luoxia sect's notice. Half an hour earlier, the gate disciples had detected anomalies. Tomorrow marked the sect's disciple recruitment trial. Normally the plaza before the main gate teemed with applicants. Today it stood eerily empty. Thus the gate disciples ventured forth. Shocked, they still took care to investigate the origins of the disturbance, then rushed immediately to report to the outer sect elders. Elder Lu, chief elder of the outer sect and chief supervisor of this trial, bore primary responsibility for any incident. Without delay, he gathered several outer sect elders and hurried to the scene. Old Lu, this is your specially recruited outer sect disciple. His audacity knows no bounds. At their cultivation level, hearing was acute. Even from afar, they grasped the full story. When Elder Meng learned the instigator, Gu Feng, was Elder Lu's personally selected outer sect disciple, he could not suppress his astonishment. To stand alone against over 100 prodigies at 8th or 9th level of body cultivation was unprecedented in Luoxia sect history. Victory or defeat mattered less than the sheer audacity, which earned his profound respect. Gu Feng. That name sounds strangely familiar. Could it be him? Another elder frowned, murmuring in disbelief. Indeed, it is that Gu Feng, Chu Yinran's former consort, who extorted 4 million spirit stones as severance compensation. Elder Lu smiled wryly. He'd expected Gu Feng to slip quietly into Luoxia sect to seek him out, not ignite such a storm outside its gates. Robbing robbers, driving most into outlawry. Only someone utterly reckless could pull off such a feat. Yet it fit his nature perfectly. He was after all the man audacious enough to swindle Chu Yinran herself. His cultivation realm is peculiar. Though only first level of body cultivation, his vital energy rivals that of peak 9th level prodigies. An elder well-versed in physiognomic arts spoke in astonishment. His constitution is unusual. Elder Lu, you examined him at first level. Could he possess that kind of physique? Elder Meng asked, puzzled. Countless constitutions existed in the world, some born extraordinary. Ancient texts recorded masters forever bound to the body cultivation realm, yet slaughtering legions and dominating realms, because their body cultivation spanned tens of thousands of levels. And thus, while Gu Feng's constitution was exceptional, it did not provoke undue shock. He is that kind of physique the sovereign among rejects. Old Lu, I was almost envious, but not anymore. Nonsense. Even as a reject, he'd reign supreme in the outer sect, though the inner sect. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Elder Lu chuckled. Enough talk. The fight begins. I feel a strange tension, even for us elders facing a pack of body cultivation youths. So do I. I'm eager to witness this clash. If his constitution is what we suspect, the battle remains viable. At least no one-sided slaughter awaits. It seems there is no one else around. While judging by your attire, you must come from a prestigious background, and your storage bags are bulging, indicating they must contain many valuable items. I suppose I shall reluctantly make my move. Gu Feng's boastful words stirred a commotion at the scene. It was too audacious to think about robbery when death was looming. Several talented individuals who had been hesitating finally couldn't hold back any longer and jumped into the arena just as Gu Feng was about to strike. Gu Feng was indeed strong, but he couldn't possibly be at a level where over 100 people couldn't defeat him. These were all renowned prodigies in Yun County. Joining forces against him, even cultivators at the Qi refinement stage would have to flee in disarray. Seeing a few familiar faces, Gu Feng furrowed his brow. You lot shouldn't have anything valuable left on you. Bastard, do you really think you are invincible? I Lu Biao don't believe you are that strong. Hee. Gu Feng chuckled lightly, saying no more as he held his large knife horizontally in front of him, one hand gripping the hilt and the other holding the blade tip. Suddenly, with a sharp shout, a powerful aura blew off his headscarf, revealing his face as the cloth covering it fell aside. Many people were seeing Gu Feng's true appearance for the first time, standing on tiptoe to gaze into the arena. In the next moment, gasps of astonishment filled the air as Gu Feng's large knife cracked under the immense strength of his body, breaking into countless pieces. This large knife bears 2 complete runes on its surface, ranking among the superior weapons of the mortal realm. To break it solely by brute force showcases the terror of his physical prowess. I fear even the so-called copper skin and iron bones of Chao Yuan cannot compare. How has he cultivated? His body does not appear strong, yet his strength is astonishing. Not only the spectators outside, but even the more than 100 people in the arena were slightly shaken by Gu. However, Gu Feng had no time to wait for their shock. With a loud roar, he dashed into the crowd at an incredible speed. You dare to fight in front of so many of us? You are looking down on me, Chao Yuan. Chao Yuan's eyes widened in rage as his muscles bulged. With a powerful push from his legs, he shot forward, his right hand clenched into a fist, swinging violently towards Gu Feng. Boom! The force of his punch swept through the air, creating a rough, buzzing sound as it collided with the air. He resembled an enraged brown bear, his massive physique instilling fear, while Gu Feng in comparison appeared to be a whole circle smaller. Faced with this overwhelming punch, Gu Feng was undaunted, not even blinking as he met the opponent's fist. Boom! The 2 fists collided, one large and one small, and just as everyone had a fleeting thought of who would win, the result became clear. Chao Yuan's complexion changed drastically. His enormous body was sent flying like a kite, with a broken string crashing dozens of meters away, accompanied by a scream, blood spurting from his mouth several meters high. The shocking punch left everyone with their mouths agape, struggling to breathe. What sort of monster was this that could incapacitate the famed Chao Yuan with just one punch? He was a genius with 60,000 pounds of strength. What is happening in this world? The 60,000 pounds of strength, which is unattainable for ordinary people, turned out to be so fragile. Ridiculous, it's beyond absurd. Only then did everyone realize they had grossly underestimated Gu Feng's power. This bandit, who openly demanded the surrender of your ill-gotten gains, was an extraordinary hero, his strength beyond the comprehension of mortals. Is it really that exaggerated? Chao Yuan has been defeated just like that. With a single move, just one move, and while Chao Yuan's strength cannot be questioned, the masked bandit's power is even more astounding. Fortunately, I hesitated and didn't rush into that. Choice was too wise. Compared to the astonishment of those around, the people in the arena could only feel terror. Chao Yuan was no paper tiger. To be fair, in a fair fight, few could confidently defeat him. Even such a ruthless character was sent flying with a single move, they would likely fare no better. As the thought of fear emerged, their own aura weakened. Gu Feng, however, paid no attention to this. He erupted with the terrifying power within him like a young divine beast. One punch after another, each blow landing solidly. Wherever he passed, none could stand against him. He exhibited an invincible demeanor, each punch either incapacitating a person or shattering a weapon. Ow. The screams were relentless, the wails shaking the heavens. The sunset's afterglow stretched his slender figure long as he continuously altered his form, charging through. Blood-splattered teeth flew, and the sound of bones cracking shocked the hearts of the onlookers. He resembled a demon king sweeping through the realm. Half a stick of incense later, the battle ceased. The more than 100 prodigies in the arena were all sprawled on the ground, some with sunken chests, some with broken arms, some with warped thighs, and some barely breathing. All had lost the ability to fight. Staring blankly at the sky, fear spread through their pupils, and the previous haughty demeanor was gone. They had considered the possibility of a hard-fought battle, and thought some among them might be severely injured, but the consensus was that once the battle concluded, the masked bandit would definitely be half dead. However, reality was brutally cruel, so cruel that they couldn't believe it. Over 100 individuals, all with names and identities, who had walked a path of countless accolades, were defeated. In half a stick of incense, they had all fallen. Perhaps it would be more accurate to describe the process as a rapid defeat. Fast, too fast, to the point where their brain nerves couldn't react, their heads buzzing. How could there be such a formidable body cultivation practitioner? He must have surpassed the legendary limit of 100,000 pounds of physical strength. Yan Cixi cheered excitedly, shaking Wu Qi beside her wildly, while the latter looked bewildered, wondering what had just happened, where he was, and who he was. The 5 brothers of the Xiong family shrank their necks in fear, realizing that the eldest was indeed far-sighted. It was fortunate he prevented them from making a move, or they would be lying on the ground howling like those prodigies. Even the elders like Lu, who were hiding aside and observing everything, were not faring much better. They were all dumbfounded, their eyelids twitching. They had expected a fierce battle, only to find it had ended in the blink of an eye. Gu Feng's strength had surpassed their cognitive limits. These high-ranking outer sect elders had seen countless prodigies over the years, but had never encountered someone of this caliber. This kind of physique feels even stronger than the legends. How could it not be strong? If it weren't, history wouldn't have seen so many superpowers striving to cultivate it like moths to a flame. To be honest, if I had control over an ancient dynasty, I would also want to take a gamble to see how far this kind of physique could ultimately reach. Don't be ridiculous. Even if you had the resources of an ancient dynasty, you still wouldn't be able to cultivate it. It's not like no one has tried before. What a pity. Such a powerful physique, yet it cannot reach the pinnacle of martial arts. The Tao of heaven truly is mysterious. You have all been defeated. Gu Feng's lighthearted words fell upon the more than 100 prodigies, their faces pale, lowering their proud heads. Due to your earlier disrespect towards me, I shall confiscate your belongings. After dropping that line, Gu Feng began to take the storage bags from their waists. I, your mother, you have been defeated and are now my captives. It's fortunate I haven't killed you. Don't be so long-winded. Do you want to die? One prodigy attempted to resist the robbery, and Gu Feng promptly slapped him across the face. The others dared not voice their anger. At this point, resistance would only increase their injuries, and they had to participate in the Luoxia sect's entrance assessment tomorrow. If they were injured too severely and failed the assessment, it would be disastrous. After taking the storage bags from everyone, Gu Feng also collected the scattered weapons, not leaving even a shard of the shattered weapons. These were all money. The materials from the broken weapons could be refined again, and they could still bring in some cash. After finishing all this, Gu Feng stood in place, gazing deeply at the more than 100 individuals. You take off your clothes. As these words were spoken, the entire venue fell into shock, and the surrounding audience couldn't help but take a few steps back. The cries of agony in the arena also ceased, as everyone, faces pale with fear, struggled to move their bodies, trying to position themselves where Gu Feng could not see them. Hurry up, take off your clothes. Gu Feng's face darkened as he explained to the crowd, stepping forward. Amidst the pig-like screams of the others, he stripped them of their robes and shoes, emptying a storage bag specifically to hold the robes and shoes. His speed was astonishing, as if he had practiced it countless times, displaying remarkable skill. The crowd was petrified. His method of undressing was faster than that of the courtesans, evoking both laughter and tears. You? Don't go too far. You stole our storage bags and our clothes. Does the outside sect of the xianxia sect have no rules? A prominent figure protested angrily, but only received ruthless suppression in return. Is this the outside sect of the xianxia sect? Are you disciples of the xianxia sect? Do you believe I won't beat you so badly that you won't be able to participate in the entrance examination? Upon hearing this, the proud youths finally quieted down, silently enduring the humiliation. To anger this ruthless figure could very well result in being beaten to the point of missing the entrance exam. The crowd couldn't help but chuckle. Today they had truly opened their eyes. With not even a pair of pants left to their name, these proud youths were not far from that state. Among the more than 100 proud youths, only a single pair of shorts remained. Other than that, there was nothing. Don't be fooled by Chao Yuan's brawny appearance and dark complexion. Unexpectedly, his body is quite pale. Then Guo Rinkai looks quite thin, but with well-developed pectorals. Meeting Ming Xiaodian in person is less impressive than expected. Aside from a somewhat handsome face, he is utterly lacking in other qualities. The whispers of the crowd filled the proud youths with a sense of endless shame. This shame was 100 times deeper than that of defeat. Don't look at me like that, who told you to band together against me? Standing tall after a beating showcases masculinity. Our dear proud youths, bravely lift your heads and face this world. Gu Feng had no taboos about beating someone and cursing them, and he unabashedly insulted them. Such a bold move from this masked bandit truly offended those proud youths, though one had to admit he had great audacity. It is rare for proud youths to come from humble beginnings. Most of them have some background. He was genuinely unafraid. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share some good news with you. Looking at the variety of items, Gu Feng felt that wearing them was quite bothersome. Since he planned to sell them anyway, he might as well sell them to these proud youths. Compared to the outside world, they would offer higher prices. Considering that you will participate in the entrance examination tomorrow as a specially recruited disciple of the xianxia sect's outer sect, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go too far. Therefore, I am preparing to sell these medicinal pills to you so you can heal your injuries and fully prepare for tomorrow's examination. Gu Feng's enthusiastic proclamation left everyone speechless. Having stolen their belongings, he now expected to sell them back to them. Wasn't that outrageous? Only a fool would buy. It was easy to imagine that these pills would be priced exorbitantly far beyond market value. Those proud youths were not fools who would buy them. As expected by most, after Gu Feng made this statement, no one responded. They all turned their heads away, pretending to ignore him. Brother, your injury seems severe. This bottle of 3-turn yang boosting pills is perfect for you. Will you buy it? My injury is nothing serious. I don't need your concern. The proud youth's face revealed disdain. I may not be able to defeat you, but please don't treat us like fools. The next moment, a pig-like scream erupted as Gu Feng directly pressed his finger onto the person's wound, flashing a row of white teeth, while grinning and asking, "If it's not serious, why scream so loudly?" I'll buy it. How much? 1,000 spirit stones. What? One bottle for 1,000 spirit stones? That's robbery. The proud youth shouted loudly. This medicinal pill was priced at 300 spirit stones per bottle in the market, and he was demanding 1,000 spirit stones, an increase of 3 times. What do you mean by that? Do you think robbery requires giving you medicinal pills? And please don't get it wrong, the 1,000 spirit stones I mentioned is the price per pill. Buffed. The crowd watching was appalled. It seemed like he was selling medicinal pills, but it was no different from robbery. I don't have any spirit stones. You can borrow. You're so famous, you must have many friends. Under Gu Feng's imposing presence, every proud youth present endured the pain of borrowing money to buy the pills. Buying directly as opposed to suffering a beating first was a choice every non-fool would know how to make. Brother, since it's all about selling, why not sell your clothes to me too? Today is set. Some of the more composed proud youths began discussing the sale of clothes with Gu Feng. Upon hearing this, Gu Feng felt it made sense. Since everything was for sale, why not sell the weapons too? Cici, come help me. Hearing Gu Feng's call, Cici bounded over like a running rabbit. I plan to hire you as my sales assistant. No need to hire. I'll help you for free. No pay. That's great. When we reach the outer sect, I'll treat you to a meal. A meal? No thanks. Yen Cici politely declined. Gu Feng's habit of eating and taking away was something she couldn't afford. Don't be polite with me. I have money now. Oh, just order whatever you like. It doesn't matter if it's delicious. I only choose the expensive. I'll pay. You all come too. Gu Feng patted his chest generously. Immediately, a comical scene unfolded. Gu Feng, along with the Wanhe Chamber of Commerce, started an auction on the spot. This robe belongs to the unparalleled prodigy from Northwest City, Chao Yuan. Want to be as mighty and imposing as him? Then buy this robe. You want suffer losses or be deceived? The starting bid is only 80 spirit stones, and everyone present can bid. Nonsense. Who would want to wear a robe someone else has worn? Even if they liked it, they wouldn't buy it in front of Chao Yuan. Wouldn't that be slapping his face? CC, is there something wrong with my sales pitch? Why are clothing items always sold at the base price? Hehe, these are all prodigious figures. Not everyone is as strong as you and unafraid of offending them. Having heard xianxia say this, Gu Feng understood. Let's auction the weapons directly. They need suitable weapons for the entrance examination tomorrow, which is what they urgently require now. Weapons? I'm afraid they won't have money to buy them. Selling a single medicinal pill for 1,000 spirit stones may be something they can manage to borrow for, but weapons would likely cost tens of thousands. That's not a small sum, and they would find it difficult to borrow. They might not have money on them, but their families do. Just write a promissory note. The outer sect is an independent place, and outside forces, and even inner sect cannot interfere. In the outer sect you are almost invincible. Unless they leave the xianxia sect, there's no fear that they won't repay. That makes sense. To Gu Feng's surprise, the auction for weapons was exceptionally lively, with even the onlooking cultivators joining in. It became clear after a bit of thought. The bidders coming in from outside were all adept at the 9th level of body refinement and had direct competition with these proud youths. Weakening the strength of the opponent would increase their own chances of winning, thus they naturally participated in the bidding. They were busy until deep into the night before this farce finally ended. Counting the robbery and the auction, the total income approached 6 million, including over 1 million spirit stones and more than 4 million in promissory notes, with unsold rare treasures counted separately. Harvesting abundantly, he made a significant profit. This left him exhilarated, radiating energy until dawn. This is your reward. Having reaped such rewards, Gu Feng directly gave double the payment, making Wu Qi and the others extremely happy. CC, this is the debt from our last meal. Just take it and go. Ding! The melodious bell rang as the gates of the xianxia sect swung open, welcoming the young talents from all over. Gu Feng followed the crowd into the xianxia sect. As soon as he entered, he felt a beam of light lock onto him, and petals began to rain down from the sky. The sound of drums echoed as dozens of brightly dressed figures gracefully descended, surrounding him with song and dance. Gu Feng, xianxia, and all the disciples participating in the entrance examination were left utterly bewildered, completely unaware of what was happening. Only the group of elders from the outer sect shook their heads with wry smiles, looking as if they were suffering from whoosh. As Gu Feng was filled with confusion, a banner suddenly unfurled. Welcome former disciple Gu Feng to the xianxia sect. As soon as the banner appeared, all the participants in the entrance examination turned their gazes toward it in unison. So this is Gu Feng. No wonder he is so strong. How could one who is engaged to Chu Yanran be just an ordinary person? Losing to him is not unjust. Chu Yanran was quite famous among this year's candidates, and almost everyone had heard her name. The entanglement between her and Gu Feng had also become a topic of much interest among them. Those proud youths who had been beaten and extorted the day before felt a sense of balance in their hearts. Losing to a former senior brother was not shameful after all. He was also a person of notable reputation. Puffed. Gu Feng's eyelid twitched, silently spitting blood in his heart. Who on earth came up with this ridiculous idea? Just as he was about to ask the person beside him, a graceful figure walked over. With flowing black hair that shimmered, an unblemished face adorned with a lazy smile, she exuded an alluring aura akin to a ripe peach. Seeing her approach, the outer sect disciples' eyes sparkled, unable to suppress their gulping. On behalf of all members of the Su-NV sect, I warmly welcome former junior brother to join the xianxia sect. The magnetic voice rang in his ears, and Gu Feng couldn't help but tug at the corners of his mouth. This incredibly tempting woman was indeed a talent, but she directly referred to him as former junior brother and orchestrated such a bizarre spectacle. If it were someone else, they might be at a loss, but Gu Feng was no ordinary person. He was a young man who had endured 9 years of compulsory education and the grind of a 996-work schedule. In terms of social experience, he could outshine everyone present. Congratulations to us both. Upon hearing this, everyone, including the mature woman, was momentarily stunned, not knowing where Gu Feng's congratulations came from. Former junior brother, what is there to celebrate? Now that I am former, don't you have a chance? So I congratulated. As he spoke, he threw a flirtatious wink at the mature woman, oozing provocation. The surroundings fell silent, and the singing and dancing ceased while the group of outer sect elders above stared wide-eyed. This Gu Feng had a considerable amount of audacity, daring to tease her. Hee, interesting little brother, what do you want to become my current one? The mature woman giggled, her laughter striking a charming pose. Gu Feng's gaze dropped, scanning her chest, and he smirked. What should I call you, sister? She is Chu Yohuan, the sect master of Su-NV sect, ranked 5th in the inner sect. This woman is not to be trifled with. Avoid contact with her. xianxia seemed to recognize her, whispering to Gu Feng. Little sister, speaking like that may shorten your lifespan. Chu Yohuan narrowed her eyes, two glimmers flashing as she pinched the latter's face, startling xianxia into a jump, hiding behind Gu Feng. If you encounter difficulties in the outer sect in the future, seek out the Su-NV sect. They will take care of you. With that, Chu Yohuan swayed her waist and left. Great. Then I can walk confidently in the outer sect. By the way, could you let your Su Nv sect cover my food and lodging? Excited words came from behind, and Chu Yuan's eyelid twitched, a beautiful arc forming at the corner of her mouth. This former of Chu Yanran was quite interesting. Originally her actions were merely to annoy Chu Yanran, but now she suddenly found a bit of interest in Gu Feng. This man was different. After the group of singing and dancing female cultivators left, Elder Lu above cleared his throat twice. All irrelevant personnel, please depart. The entrance examination of the Luoxia sect is about to begin. Upon hearing this, Gu Feng raised the outer sect disciple token in his hand, standing tall and stepping forward. Everyone do well in the examination and showcase your true abilities. I, as a special recruitment disciple of Luoxia sect, look forward to becoming your fellow disciples. Under the speechless gazes of the crowd, Gu Feng slowly walked up to the platform, standing next to Elder Lu, his face brimming with a sense of superiority, surveying below, as if he were the outer sect's senior brother. Goddamn special recruitment disciple of the outer sect, boldly speaking of backdoor dealings. You really? Elder Lu on the platform glanced at the peculiarity standing proudly beside him, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly, and then spoke loudly to those below. This examination is divided into 3 rounds. The first place in the 3 rounds will be rewarded with 100,000 low-grade spirit stones and a high-grade ordinary weapon. Damn, there are rewards for the outer sect examination. Just the 100,000 low-grade spirit stones alone is enough to be extravagant, not to mention the weapon and pills. How much is that altogether? Gu Feng was unsettled, stepping forward and seriously addressing Elder Lu. It's not good to have special treatment. I want to participate in the entrance examination. Shut up. Fine, don't get agitated. I was just saying that casually. Gu Feng felt frustrated, losing a chance to earn money. Once all candidates had their identities verified and entered the examination array, Elder Lu gave a few instructions to another elder beside him and then waved at Gu Feng, come with me. Following that, Elder Lu rode the divine rainbow, soaring into the sky, taking Gu Feng into the outer sect. As they traversed above, Gu Feng discovered that the outer sect of Luoxia sect was vast, at least 2 or 3 times the size of Yunwo City. Pavilions and towers, spiritual springs, gushing fragrant medicinal gardens, towering ancient trees, and demonic beasts occasionally appearing all showcased the grandeur of a major sect. Groups of disciples could be seen everywhere, some seated in meditation, some practicing martial arts, and some listening to lectures. The atmosphere of cultivation was quite intense. Soon after, the two landed on the ground, entering the Elder Hall. Gu Feng, how is the outer sect? One word, amazing, Gu Feng replied excitedly. Elder Lu rolled his eyes. This kid always spoke in such peculiar ways. Once you enter the inner sect, you need not worry about Chu Yanran dealing with you. She should not have the leisure to do so. Even if she wants to act, I am not a decoration. Her hand cannot reach that far. The outer sect is a place where the survival of the fittest prevails. Remember one thing, do not cause fatality. The situation in the outer sect was quite similar to Gu Feng's speculation, where survival of the fittest was the law of society, and the sect encouraged competition to select outstanding disciples. Next, Elder Lu talked about the structure of the outer sect and some rules. Gu Feng listened intently. This was related to his safety for a long period in the future. More importantly, he needed to see if there were any loopholes in the outer sect's rules to exploit for profit. This lecture lasted nearly an hour. Elder Lu, what exactly is my physical constitution? Gu Feng finally asked the question that had been bothering him. Elder Lu chuckled, looking as if Gu Feng could hardly contain his curiosity. Your constitution is quite special. It wouldn't be good if it were to spread. Is it that this constitution once wreaked havoc in the mortal realm during ancient times, and there are many enemies in the world? Gu Feng's heart stirred as he asked, envisioning a scene of being surrounded by enemies and battling in all directions, feeling both excited and anxious. You're overthinking it. I advise you not to publicize your constitution because I fear you will be looked down upon, affecting your mindset. If you don't mind being laughed at, then feel free to announce it. Awkward. Why is it like this? Why am I mocked? Is it because my body cultivates only to the first stage of body refinement and never advances beyond? Yet Master Lu's expression surprised him. With a gentle smile, he shook his head, dismissing the notion outright. You are no different from others in possessing the stages of body refinement, chi, guidance, and mortal realm. But uniquely, your cultivation lacks the subdivisions of 1st to 9th heaven. Since the mythic age when the goddess Nuwa fashioned humanity, our species has walked the earth, drilling for fire, consuming raw flesh and blood, until across endless eons we discovered the path of cultivation. Thus emerged the cultivation system itself. The existence of minor realms is heaven's benevolent gift, granting practitioners clear milestones and consistent affirming rewards along their arduous journey. Yet the great Tao numbers 50. Heaven manifests fortinin, leaving one path hidden from fate. And so from time to time heaven births an anomaly. In ancient times, such anomalies occasionally appeared among body refinement cultivators, forever bound within that realm, advancing without end yet never breaking through. And so on. Master Lu spoke with erudite digressions, as if reciting celestial scriptures. Gu Feng's head spun, until at last he blurted out, "Master Lu, might you spare me the grand exposition? I believe I grasp your meaning. I can break through major realms like any ordinary cultivator, only without the 9 heaven subdivisions." Precisely. Master Lu shot him a wry glance. This youth possessed not a shred of tact. Did he not see how thoroughly the master was enjoying his discourse? Then what does ridicule matter? I consider my physique exceptionally robust. At least no other body refinement cultivator I've encountered surpasses me. Gu Feng exhaled, deeply relief washing over him. His earlier dread had been that his cultivation would forever stall at body refinement's first stage, robbing him of joy, flight, external projection of spiritual energy, all denied. So long as major realms remain penetrable, all is well. Master Lu chuckled softly, his expression saying plainly, "I knew you'd think exactly this." Clearing his throat, he continued, "Barring unforeseen intervention, you will cultivate only to the mortal realm, and cannot even transition beyond it." "What do you mean?" Gu Feng blinked, bewildered. "If I linger too long in the mortal realm, I fear you will perish," Master Lu murmured mysteriously. Gu Feng recoiled, urgently asking, "Does my physique lack compatible cultivation techniques?" "Not at all," Master Lu replied, swaying his head. "Then why? Please cease this teasing." Master Lu had ignited Gu Feng's thirst for knowledge, yet deliberately withheld full answers, leaving him suspended in tantalizing uncertainty. "Because upon ascending from the mortal realm to the immortal realm, your physique will trigger heavenly tribulation, and every subsequent breakthrough beyond that will summon it anew." Master Lu's face grew solemn. Without waiting for Gu Feng's question, he added, "This is no ordinary tribulation. It assaults flesh, spiritual energy, and soul simultaneously, terrifying in its totality. Moreover, this tribulation renders all artifacts powerless. No recorded ancient scripture mentions a single treasure capable of shielding against it. Even the primordial ascension tribulation, the ultimate trial of ancient sages, could be mitigated by divine treasures. Yet yours remains impervious. Since time immemorial, it has endured as an unsolved enigma. Surely one may transcend it through sheer personal strengths." Gu Feng asked, incredulous. "Indeed, one may succeed provided the flesh, spiritual energy, and soul reach absolute perfection simultaneously at each realm's threshold." "Ah, false alarm. Then I shall simply cultivate all 3 in tandem." "A little extra time is no obstacle," Gu Feng said lightly, seeing no true impediment. "Given infinite time, yes, it would pose no difficulty. But your tribulation grants no such grace. It strikes the moment any one of the 3 reaches perfection." Master Lu smiled faintly as he shook his head. "Might one regulate one's cultivation pace, bringing all 3 to the very brink of perfection, then synchronizing their final ascent to trigger the tribulation?" Gu Feng furrowed his brow. "Though demanding such precision is not utterly impossible. How far then are you from the pinnacle of body refinement?" Master Lu countered, not answering directly. Gu Feng faltered, then gasped, "Does my own physique conceal even my awareness of my cultivation progress? Is that not self-evident?" Gu Feng stood frozen. By present reckoning, his cultivation could ascend no higher than the mortal realm, and even their deep advancement was perilous. Having transmigrated here with a divine advantage, yet barred from reaching the zenith of martial cultivation, left him bitterly unwilling to accept his fate. "Young man, dwell not on grand ambitions. Serve peacefully as an outer sect disciple. Upon attaining the mortal realm, I shall appoint you outer sect magistrate. Live safely for a century or more. That is far preferable to being obliterated by heavenly lightning." Seeing Gu Feng's lingering resentment, Master Lu offered counsel. "Your physique's strength lies precisely in its simultaneous refinement across the 9 heavens. The challenge resides in harmonizing flesh, chi, and soul, a feat demanding resources thousands, or even millions, of times greater than those required by peers. Were it not for the tribulation, this would be the supreme physique of 10,000 ages, coveted fiercely by every great sect and empire. But now, no sect dares invest in you. Since antiquity, countless powers have tested this truth, and all concluded it is impossible. The most renowned attempt occurred millennia ago in a declining ancient imperial dynasty of the central continent. Facing inevitable collapse within centuries, they gambled everything, amassing the dynasty's entire wealth to nurture one such physique. Did they succeed? Gu Feng pressed eagerly. "They did," Master Lu sighed. "They succeeded only in hastening the dynasty's demise by several centuries." Gu Feng nearly spat blood. His heart weighed heavy, yet Master Lu still found room for jest. Truly, joy is built upon another's sorrow. The laughter never vanishes, it merely shifts its target. At last Gu Feng understood why this physique drew scorn. For a cultivator whose path ends in only 2 outcomes, either stagnation in the mortal realm or annihilation by lightning, and who remains peerless within that realm, mockery is both inevitable and justified. What use is peerless dominance within a realm, if one cannot transcend it? Phrases like these would surely haunt him henceforth. Even should he miraculously ascend to the immortal realm, the barbs would persist, merely substituting mortal with immortal. Does this physique bear a name? Yes, 10,000 tribulations Tao body. A magnificent name. I, Gu Feng, shall be the first to scale the world's summit upon this 10,000 tribulations Tao body. Having declared this vow, Gu Feng took his leave, leaving behind Master Lu shaking his head in quiet resignation. One truth remained unspoken: every bearer of the 10,000 tribulations Tao body met the same end, shattered beneath the weight of heavenly lightning. He could only hope Gu Feng would halt in time, before flying headlong into the flame. On the way, Gu Feng furrowed his brows, contemplating the path ahead. He understood that Elder Liu's words were meant for his own good, yet an intense feeling of unwillingness surged within him. He firmly believed that every type of physique has its own value and mission, and nothing is without a solution. Moreover, unlike the previous Wanjie Dao body, he possessed unique advantages, namely the three-legged incense burner in his mind, which undoubtedly added to his confidence. After a short while, Gu Feng arrived at the small courtyard arranged for him by Elder Liu. The courtyard was small, only containing 3 rooms, but it was adequate for practicing martial arts overall. Entering the central room, he closed the door and began his cultivation. Drops of milky divine liquid merged into his body, and he could visibly feel his physical strength increasing. This time, Gu Feng focused entirely on the sensations during his cultivation, only to helplessly discover, as Elder Liu had said, that there was no feeling during the advancement of the Wanjie Dao body. It didn't matter. After all, he was still far from the postnatal realm. When the boat reaches the bridgehead, it will go straight. Challenges will always be overcome, but one must have confidence in oneself. During the days and nights of cultivation, he lost track of time. By the time the milky divine liquid in the incense burner was fully consumed, 2 days and nights had already passed. He had missed the time for the entrance examination. He wondered if xianxia had passed her assessment. He couldn't help but worry if she had been bullied by those prodigies he had robbed before. It shouldn't be the case. After all, her sister is quite famous in the inner sect. With that thought, Gu Feng shifted his focus back to his physique. The Wanjie Dao body truly lived up to its reputation. It consumed resources equivalent to over 400,000 low-grade spirit stones, yet still could not break through to the body refinement realm. This made him click his tongue. With such resources, even a pig should be able to break through to the qi induction realm. Yet he couldn't even compare to a pig. No wonder Elder Liu said no sect was willing to cultivate the Wanjie Dao body. Regaining his composure, Gu Feng exited the small courtyard, asking questions along the way. After a short incense sticks burn, he arrived at the place for trading items, the outer sect trading hall. The trading hall was large, divided into buying, selling, and temporary areas. The buying and selling areas were easy to understand, while the temporary area was where disciples set up stalls. The entire outer sect was like a small world, offering food, drink, entertainment, and business opportunities. After all, wealth is the foundation of cultivation. Only with sufficient spirit stones could one purchase high-grade cultivation resources and ensure they did not fall behind in competition. Arriving at the selling area, Gu Feng approached a seemingly amiable steward and placed a dozen storage bags. "Senior, could you estimate the value of these items?" The slightly plump steward, seeing Gu Feng was somewhat unfamiliar, yet able to present so many storage bags, looked at him curiously. Without further ado, he began to count, glancing at the items and quickly reporting their prices with precision. Gu Feng observed closely, fearing that the steward would overlook even the slightest detail. His fingers moved like the wind as the sound of the abacus echoed. The plump steward was taken aback. In all his time working here, he had never seen someone like this. A hint of anger appeared on his face. "This kid was doubting my professional ability. You can criticize my low cultivation level, but you cannot insult my professional ethics. Please don't be angry, senior. These items are being sold on Elder Liu's behalf. I fear making a mistake and being punished by Elder Liu," Gu Feng said with an awkward smile. He took out the outer sect token given by Elder Liu and casually waved it in front of the steward. "Oh, so you are Elder Liu's esteemed disciple." The steward, being the chief elder of the outer sect, thought with talent high enough to catch Elder Liu's eye. "This young brother must be exceptional." "Not at all. I am merely fortunate to be noticed by Elder Liu." I understand. The plump steward looked at him deeply, then deliberately raised a 3-leaf Qing Lan in front of Gu Feng and called out in a higher pitch 1 4-leaf Qing Lan. He subtly nodded towards Gu Feng, who also nodded in response. It should be noted that with each additional leaf on a spirit herb like Qing Lan, the price increased roughly tenfold. The plump steward was secretly showing favor to Gu Feng. Gu Feng smiled inwardly. Where there are people, there is a world of intrigue. Relying on Elder Liu's support made things easier. Of course, one must also know the limits and not act recklessly. Finally, after all the items were priced, the plump steward raised Gu Feng's overall price by half a portion. "May I ask how to address you, senior?" Gu Feng inquired with interest. "I am surnamed Imo. Just call me Steward Imo." Thank you very much, Steward Mo, for your assistance today. After Gu Feng left, Steward Mo smiled slightly. The regulations for buying and selling items in the outer sect were stringent. Any excess had to be borne by himself, though spending a little money to befriend Elder Liu's disciple was still quite worth it. Steward Mo never imagined that Gu Feng had no further connection aside from being introduced by Elder Liu. The notion of disciple status was purely his assumption. Gu Feng's non-acknowledgement and non-rejection deepened this misunderstanding. Returning to the small courtyard, Gu Feng once again entered his cultivation. The Wan Jiedao body resembled an endless pit. The divine liquid converted from over 500,000 spirit stones went in without even a single bubble surfacing, still failing to break through to the body refinement realm. The spirit stones are far from enough. With a thought, he took out a stack of IOUs. He truly did not want to collect debts unless absolutely necessary. It wasn't that he feared they would refuse, but because these IOUs came with interest. The longer he delayed, the more he would earn. But now it seemed he had no choice but to collect debts from Chao Yuan and the others. He would temporarily set aside the debts with Chu Yanran until he was stronger. Stepping out of the small courtyard, he headed to the area where the newly initiated outer sect disciples lived. Just as he was about to ask someone for Chao Yuan's address, he bumped into Wu Qi. Wu Qi appeared to be in poor spirits. Gu Feng initially thought it was due to the exhausting outer sect assessment, as they were currently broke, lacking elixirs, and recovering slowly. Wu Qi also spotted Gu Feng. He was first taken aback, then delighted, quickly walking over, though his legs seemed somewhat unsteady. Senior brother, what brings you here? Do you know what happened? What happened? Gu Feng asked, puzzled. It's about us being beaten and robbed by the older outer sect disciples. At this revelation, Gu Feng's expression turned strange. Wu Qi and the others really were unfortunate. After being robbed by him on the way here, they had finally made it to the outer sect only to be robbed again. Could it be that these people were born to be targets of misfortune, destined for failure? Seeing Gu Feng's slightly puzzled expression, Wu Qi pulled him inside, recounting their experiences after the assessment. The day before yesterday, after finishing their assessment, they hadn't even had time to celebrate passing before they were intercepted by the seasoned outer sect disciples. Without a word, they immediately attacked and robbed them, and not a single outer sect disciple was spared. Does the sect allow robbery? Gu Feng exclaimed, his eyes shining with curiosity. Yes, but with some restrictions. Wu Qi nodded and continued, in order to encourage outer sect disciples to cultivate diligently, the sect turns a blind eye to disciples robbing each other. However, there are limitations. Within 6 months, one can only rob the same cultivator once, and only the items they possess at that time can be taken. Forcing someone to write an IOU is not allowed. The same applies to beating. Is it really that good? Gu Feng felt a surge of excitement. Such a great regulation, and he hadn't known about it. He realized he had missed an opportunity, then glanced at Wu Qi beside him and asked, did everyone get robbed? Yeah, everyone got robbed. Even xianxia lost everything. Wu Qi nodded. Bastards, those seasoned outer sect disciples are truly despicable. I didn't even dare to rob Cici, yet they had the audacity to do so. Wu Qi. The area where the outer disciples reside is a vast expanse of buildings, all resembling each other in shape and height. Standing before the seemingly endless cluster of structures, Gu Feng felt a strange illusion, as if he had returned to his student days in his previous life. Is this a co-ed living area? That section over there is exclusively for female disciples, with a clear boundary maintained by an elder on duty. Male disciples are prohibited from entering the female disciples area, while the reverse is allowed, but only during the day, Wu Qi explained, pointing into the distance. Isn't this just a dormitory? The rules are quite similar, but the only improvement is that everyone has their own private room, though privacy is basically non-existent. It's worth mentioning that this place, like the trading hall and the martial arts hall, is a forbidden area for weapons. As long as you stay here, you are absolutely safe. After passing through several rows of buildings, they finally arrived at the residence of Wu Qi and the others. Before entering, Gu Feng caught a faint scent of medicine. Everyone, I've brought our former brother here. Gu Feng scratched his nose, realizing that no one called him by his name, instead referring to him as former brother. He didn't mind that everyone had 1 or 2 nicknames. Gu Feng, you're here. xianxia bounced over, holding a bowl of medicine. You can refine medicine. Yes, my assessment was to become an alchemist. xianxia's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. It's promising. Alchemists are better than fighters. Gu Feng's praise made xianxia particularly happy, her shallow dimples making her look exceptionally charming. I heard you got robbed too. Gu Feng scanned the crowd, smiling broadly as he spotted Guo Rinkai and Song. There were also some he couldn't name, but most of their faces were familiar. These talented individuals who passed the assessment lay there looking pale, some with their hands and feet wrapped in white cloth stained with bright red spots. Yes, I was robbed. xianxia replied, lowering her head, feeling somewhat embarrassed. You're an alchemist and not good at fighting. Those talented individuals can't help but rob you. How could you escape unscathed? Gu Feng said with a smile. Tell me who robbed you, and he'll help you get it back. No need, no need. There are too many of them, and they are strong. There's no need to take risks. Xianxia waved her hands in refusal. It's all right, those senior disciples are truly despicable. I couldn't bring myself to rob you, and yet they dared to rob you. They must be taught a lesson. The absurdity of it made Xianxia very happy inside. The talented individuals lying down, seeing that Gu Feng was willing to take action, exchanged frantic glances with Wu Qi. Wu Qi hesitated for a moment before pulling Gu Feng aside and whispering, "Former brother, everyone has been robbed. As the top new outer disciple this time, could you help us get it back?" Gu Feng shot him a glance and remained silent while Wu Qi continued, "We will pay you for your help." "What? You want to hire me as a thug?" Gu Feng yelled loudly, his sharp gaze sweeping the crowd, causing Gu Feng and the others to look frightened and lower their heads. Talented individuals have their pride. Someone like Gu Feng would never willingly become someone else's thug. Isn't this an insult? Xianxia also glared at Wu Qi, thinking, who does he look down on? Gu Feng would never stoop to being a thug for a mere handful of spirit stones. That would be impossible. Wu Qi stood there awkwardly, and the atmosphere was extraordinarily tense. The next moment, an excited voice rang out. "How much will you pay? Just know if it's too little, I won't do it." Everyone looked up to see Gu Feng grinning widely, sitting on a chair with a posture that urged them to quote a price quickly. Phew. Everyone let out a heavy sigh. Their analysis was correct. The former brother indeed loved money. The atmosphere lightened considerably, and discussions became lively. The others began to quote prices while Gu Feng pushed for a higher price until they finally settled on an agreement. 5,000 low-grade spirit stones per person, and everything I obtain will belong to me. Everyone thought about it. Given Gu Feng's character, it's already remarkable that he wouldn't rob them, and expecting him to share what he obtained was impossible. Half an hour later, Gu Feng, along with Wu Qi and others, led a group of hundreds moving with great momentum out of the dormitory area. The commotion attracted the attention of countless outer disciples. It seems Gu Feng and the others have hired a master to seek revenge on those old students. A master? How high can they possibly be? As new outer disciples in the 9th level of body refinement, how could they compete with old disciples who have been here for years? Indeed, even if their physical strength is similar, the actual combat skills of new and old disciples are worlds apart. As long as there's a show to watch, who cares? Soon, under Wu Qi's guidance, they found one of the old disciples who had participated in the robbery against Xianxia. Without saying a word, Gu Feng charged straight in. Before the other party could react, he kicked him down, half of his body sinking into the ground as he flailed his arms and legs. "Do you know who I am to dare rob me? Get lost, I don't care who you are." Gu Feng directly slapped the other party across the face and forcibly snatched off his storage bag. Upon opening it, he was instantly furious. Damn, how poor could they be? The storage bag contained only 100 or so spirit stones and a few worthless pills. There was nothing else. Is this really an outer disciple of the Luoxia sect? Why does it feel like they are poorer than the cultivators outside? Seeing Gu Feng's angry expression, the disciple beneath him revealed a mocking smile. "Slap? What are you laughing at? Is being broke something to be proud of?" Gu Feng slapped him hard again. Gu Feng, these outer disciples are very clever. Unless they have a special task that requires them to go out, they generally don't carry valuable items. They are used to being robbed. Xianxia said softly. "Your name is Gu Feng, right? You can take the storage bag." I admit defeat. "Can you let me go now?" The disciple spoke with confidence. The new disciples lack experience. The best time to rob is when the sect distributes training resources. Now it's too late. They wasted an opportunity and can't rob him again for half a year. The onlookers whispered among themselves. However, they still underestimated Gu Feng. He swiftly stripped the man of his long robe boots and more, leaving only his underwear, and then used his belt to hang him upside down from a tree. Looking around, he declared, "You all spread the word. Anyone who has robbed my friends, make sure to bring at least 10,000 low-grade spirit stones when you come out, or you will suffer the same consequences as him." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. Upon closer examination, they realized that Gu Feng's actions did not actually violate the outer sect rules, though they were somewhat despicable. A typical person would not do such a thing. "Hey, new outer disciple, where does he get the audacity to be so arrogant?" A powerful voice rang out as 10 or so people suddenly appeared before Gu Feng. Each one of them was robust, muscular, emanating the aura of the 9th level of body refinement, appearing fierce and intimidating. "Have these people robbed you?" "Some have, some haven't." Wu Qi frowned, feeling a bit worried. These senior disciples were no ordinary 9th level body refiners. Their combat power was significantly higher than theirs. It is no exaggeration to say that among the new disciples, if you randomly select 3 9th level body refiners, excluding Gu Feng, they would most likely not be able to match the opponent. "Why don't we just forget it?" Xianxia tugged at Gu Feng's sleeve and whispered. Gu Feng is indeed strong, but he only dominates among the newly recruited outer disciples. His combat power is likely comparable to that of senior students. He would certainly be unable to defeat so many opponents. This can't be settled like this. Anyone who dares to stick their neck out must be dealt with. They are so strong, they must possess valuable items. Gu Feng licked his lips, speaking with a hint of excitement. The stronger the disciple, the more confident they become. Generally, they won't be as cautious as others and are bound to have valuable possessions. What an arrogant brat. A burly disciple bellowed, outraged that such a novice would dare to boast in front of their group of seasoned outer disciples. With a sinister grin, he stepped forward, letting out a wild laugh, his sleeves bursting open to reveal a pair of bronze-colored arms, veins bulging, exuding a terrifying and fierce aura that caused the onlookers to step back. It's Yuan Kuei, the bronze arm diamond. It is said that his arms have been soaked in molten bronze every day, making them impervious to blades and spears. All his strength is concentrated in these fearsome arms. He once killed a fierce tiger of the same realm with a single punch. This is a ruthless man. His strikes will either kill or injure. Gu Feng is likely in trouble. The whispers of the onlookers filled Yuan Kuei with a sense of satisfaction, a broader smile appearing on his face. You should be grateful for the outer sect's rule against killing. I despise those who destroy my belongings. You have successfully enraged me. Gu Feng, with a blank expression, had long since regarded their robes as his possessions. Even if the robes were worthless, they could still fetch dozens of spirit stones. How could they be casually destroyed? Suddenly furious, he stomped down fiercely, the overwhelming power of his body, creating a fissure over a meter wide and dozens of meters long in the ground. Several slower onlookers fell directly into the fissure. Gasps of shock filled the air. What kind of power is this? It is more terrifying than the legendary young beasts. Gu Feng shot forth like an arrow, moving so swiftly that he left afterimages, and in the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Yuan Kuei. Seeing Gu Feng make the first move, Yuan Kuei's expression soured, feeling that his authority was being challenged. Just as he was about to explode in anger, feeling Gu Feng's formidable aura, his expression changed drastically. A master of combat experience, he instantly understood that this punch was powerful and could not be met with brute force. He switched from attack to defense, crossing his arms in front of his chest and adopting a half-squat defensive stance. Boom! A punch of unmatched ferocity struck precisely at the center of Yuan Kuei's crossed arms, and everyone heard a crack. Then they saw a burly figure detach from the ground, akin to a cannonball, hurtling backward at great speed, rolling several times in the air before crashing heavily over 100 meters away. When the crowd finally saw Yuan Kuei's condition, they couldn't help but gasp. The bronze arm diamond continuously spat blood and saliva, his face pale, having lost the ability to fight. He was defeated in a single punch by a newly recruited outer disciple. Those who had come with Yuan Kuei exchanged terrified glances, unable to hold back their steps back. With Yuan Kuei being defeated so decisively, they figured they would meet a similar fate if they intervened. Don't be afraid, he is only one person. That's right, let's go together. As they voiced these words, it was evident that their hearts were trembling and the outcome was already predetermined. Gu Feng descended like a dragon, exhaling clouds and mist freely, displaying his overwhelming might with straightforward techniques that showcased the beauty of strength. Striking with lightning speed and immense force, the sounds of air explosions were continuous. With each punch, there were accompanying cries and splattered blood, instilling fear in all. The onlookers retreated repeatedly, fearful that Gu Feng would go mad and drag them into a brutal beating. Faced with over 10 disciples at the 9th level of body refinement, Gu Feng maneuvered effortlessly, even taking the opportunity to snatch their storage bags and glance inside. The more he looked, the angrier he became. These were supposed to be experts. Why were they so timid, going out without valuable items? This is outrageous. He showed no mercy, continuing to strike until all of them lay down. Silence fell. The surroundings became eerily quiet, with everyone staring blankly like wooden carvings or clay sculptures, dazed where they stood. This is simply too strong. Is he a newly recruited disciple? Why does he seem stronger than the senior? Please remove the word seem. He is indeed stronger than the senior disciples, and not just by a small margin. He is practically invincible within the realm of body refinement. Wow, this is like kicking a steel plate. Who would have thought there would be such a ruthless character among this batch of newly recruited disciples? The crowd began to lavish praise, gasps of astonishment resonating from all corners. Strip them all. Gu Feng turned his head, his terrifying gaze causing Zhang Shi and others to feel greatly intimidated. They wanted to say, "We are injured and unable to act," but how could they muster the courage to say so? These 5,000 spirit stones were worth every bit. Soon over a dozen naked bodies hung upside down from the tree, creating a magnificent scene. Having robbed my friend's possessions and still daring to come out empty-handed, they are the examples. Gu Feng's gaze swept across the venue, issuing a threat. The crowd lowered their heads, deeply imprinting this face in their memories, categorizing him as someone they absolutely could not offend. Just as Gu Feng was about to leave in search of others, a stir arose in the crowd. They pushed and shoved, clearing up. Today's outer sect is quite lively. After a faint voice, a young man in a white robe, holding a folding fan, and wearing a smile, slowly walked through the crowd. Behind him was a large group of disciples, no less than 30, all at the 9th level of body refinement. Gu Feng, you defeating them means they were lacking in skill, but stripping them of their clothes seems rather insulting. The young man in the white robe moved gracefully, his long black hair swaying in the wind, and his handsome face approached Gu Feng. He closed his folding fan, rhythmically clapping his left hand with his right, his gaze seeming to overlook Gu Feng's head as he smiled. His demeanor was like that of a character stepping out of a novel, causing everyone to glance at him with occasional gasps from female disciples. He was a male god of the outer sect. Upon his appearance, he immediately became the center of attention, with everyone's eyes flickering, swallowing their saliva, afraid to even breathe. Who are you? Gu Feng squinted, asking. Who I am is not important. What matters is that I want you to release them immediately. The young man in the white robe smiled, but his tone was laced with undeniable authority. Stripping them and hanging them does not seem to violate the outer sect's rules, does it? Gu Feng shrugged. The young man looked down from a high vantage point, a faint smile curving his lips. You have violated my rule. Gu Feng, this ends here today. You have avenged us, and your promised reward will not be a penny less. Chao Yuan limped over, speaking softly. He is Xiaozhe from the Qiu family of Luoyue City. He has 2 biological brothers above him, the second ranked 43rd on the intersect's genius list, and the first ranked 8th, both innate realm masters. We cannot afford to provoke them. Wu Qi also chimed in, advising, isn't the inner sect prohibited from interfering in outer sect matters? Gu Feng frowned. As long as there are rules, there are loopholes. Every year, the top 10 of the outer sect's annual competition can enter the inner sect directly. The top 100 can challenge inner sect disciples, and if they win, they can take their place in the inner sect. Victory and defeat can be manipulated if you anger them, and they instruct inner sect experts to deliberately lose and deal with you in the outer sect. It could be disastrous. Yin Cici's sister is also an inner sect expert, as she is quite familiar with the rules of the Wanxia sect's inner and outer sects. She understood that beneath Gu Feng's seemingly carefree exterior lay a resolute and unyielding heart, hence using a pleading tone, she tried to persuade him to back down. The annual competition. That's still a few months away. I'm not afraid. Gu Feng gave the other party a reassuring look, confident and unyielding. As long as there are enough spirit stones, his cultivation could swiftly rise, and defeating inner sect disciples within a few months was not impossible. Pressure is motivation. It is with pressure that the fighting spirit is ignited, pushing one to work harder to earn money. This was Gu Feng's way of applying pressure on himself. It's not shameful to back down from Xiaozhe. Many fierce people in the outer sect have experienced this. A good man doesn't suffer immediate losses. Yielding a little will be understood by everyone. Don't do anything foolish. Xiaozhe's strikes will either kill or maim. Even the outer sect elders turn a blind eye. Robbing newly recruited outer disciples. Xiaozhe is the mastermind, the bronze arm diamond, and the others are his men, but everyone pretends not to know. Sai, who asked him to have 2 good brothers? What can we do? Everyone thought silently, but no one dared to speak up. All eyes were on Gu Feng, hoping he would back down, yet also wishing he could give Xiaozhe a good blow to vent their frustrations. However, all of this was merely a fantasy. Those who dared to confront Xiaozhe in the outer sect either ended up crippled or mysteriously disappeared. Even the so-called number 1 outer sect, the Su Nu sect, had to give way to him. What could Gu Feng do alone? Seeing the expressions of the onlookers, Xiaozhe smiled with satisfaction. He was like a god in the outer sect, a shadow that these ants could never disperse. Should we step in to help our former junior brother as instructed by the sect master? Let's observe for now. The sect master is under great pressure in the inner sect and cannot afford to create strong enemies at this time. On a nearby peak, a group of female disciples from the Su Nu sect gazed at the scene below. Their sect master had instructed them a few days ago to keep an eye on Gu Feng. However, now that Gu Feng was facing Xiaozhe, they hesitated. It was not because of Xiaozhe's strength, but due to his 2 biological brothers. At this critical moment, they did not want to create more enemies for their sect master, so they chose to watch from the sidelines. Go fetch a bone molding pill for emergencies. The leading female disciple spoke softly, her delicate brows furrowing slightly. Oh, fortunately, they were in the outer sect, and Xiaozhe likely wouldn't kill Gu Feng in front of so many people. However, if he were to break all of his bones, it would be hard to avoid, so she ordered someone to prepare a bone molding pill for potential rescue. Kid, what are you still dawdling for? Young Master Chio's words are rules in the outer sect. Seeing Gu Feng hesitate to act, one of Xiaozhe's lackeys could not help but shout angrily. Looking at the arrogant Xiaozhe, Gu Feng maintained his calm demeanor. He slowly walked up to Xiaozhe, looking directly at him, suddenly smiling wide, revealing 2 rows of pearly white teeth shining in the sunlight. Your rules are rules. Do you have any objections? Xiaozhe responded lightly. How coincidental. I also have a rule. Hee hee. Xiaozhe smirked contemptuously, his face brimming with disdain. In his eyes, Gu Feng belonged to the proud type. Such people were likely to resist when faced with oppression. Just right, he loved to break such hard bones, enjoying their howls, roars, and curses, relishing their resentment, yet helpless expressions. Isn't the joy of life found in this? Sensing Gu Feng's attitude, the group behind Xiaozhe grinned sinisterly, cracking their knuckles, excited for today's opportunity to stretch their muscles. Tell me your rules, let me broaden my horizons. Xiaozhe opened his folding fan, appearing to be all ears. My rule is no one is allowed to speak of rules in front of me. Gu Feng's voice was not loud, but it was resolute, echoing in everyone's ears, leaving them in shock. In the next moment, under the terrified gazes of the crowd, Gu Feng moved. With a sudden punch, he struck fiercely at Xiaozhe's face. The latter couldn't react at all, not even letting out a scream, as his body shot out like a cannonball, rolling several times in the air before crashing heavily to the ground. Silence, an eerie silence. Shock, an unparalleled shock. The onlookers were dumbfounded. Xianxia and others were in a daze. The disciples of the Su Nu sect were in disarray. Everyone was wide-eyed and trembling, their faces reflecting disbelief. He has gone crazy. How dare he hit the outer sect's young master Xiaozhe? How did he have the courage? Who gave him the audacity? Was he not afraid of death? Everyone internally screamed in agony. And Gu Feng stood there like a spear towering between heaven and earth, his presence becoming immensely imposing. His expression was neither happy nor sad, as if he hadn't just struck Xiaozhe, but rather a mere dog. An aura of disdain for the world erupted from him, and his piercing gaze made people afraid to look directly at him. Kill him. After a long pause, Xiaozhe, struggling to rise, let out a mournful howl. In that moment, his hair was in disarray, his eyes bloodshot, and his face grotesque, losing all the previous calmness. Gu Feng's punch was too vicious, leaving his originally intact teeth with only 3 or 4 remaining solitary in his mouth, as one even fell while he howled. His mouth was full of blood, his nose deeply sunken, and his features twisted together, resembling a demon emerging from hell, sending chills down people's spines. This Gu Feng is extraordinary. We assume my rules are the only rules, was the ultimate boast among outer sect disciples. Yet here stands an even more sovereign declaration: my rules mean no one may speak of rules in my presence. Utterly awe-inspiring. This former junior brother knows no restraint. Facing Xiaozhe, he struck without hesitation. Does he truly not know fear? Awe-inspiring indeed, but perhaps the bone-shaping pill will go unused. Having lost such face, Xiaozhe may well kill the former junior brother on the spot, even at the cost of outer sect punishment. The leading female cultivator furrowed her brows, hesitating, then instantly activated her voice transmission stone and sent a message to the inner sect. Fists, feet, legs, and palms surged from all directions. Gu Feng's eyes gleamed, his cheeks utterly untroubled, weaving deftly through the assault of over 30 cultivators. His fists carved paths of devastation across the battlefield, each strike thunderous, his jet-black hair whipping wildly, his voice erupting like celestial thunder. To his astonishment, though these 30 cultivators were also at the 9th realm of body refinement, their strength far surpassed that of Chao Yuan and his peers. There was simply no comparison. Their combat experience ran deep. Each had mastered several formidable martial techniques, and their coordination was seamless, momentarily matching Gu Feng blow for blow, leaving him stunned and stripping away all trace of arrogance. Indeed, disciples of grand sects were incomparable to those from minor clans or self-taught outsiders. He now fought with full seriousness, his first true unrestrained eruption of power. Yet the 30 besiegers were even more shaken. Though they knew Gu Feng was strong, they had never imagined him so form. They had lingered in the 9th realm of body refinement for years, honing their martial arts to the very limit of what was attainable. And before Gu Feng appeared, none believed any body-refining cultivator could surpass them, not even slightly. And yet, here stood a man who held his ground against their combined onslaught. His physical strength defied mere description. As terrifying, more astonishing still, he wielded only the most rudimentary foundational arts. No refined energy channeling methods, no advanced combat principles. In other words, Gu Feng fought now using nothing but raw human instinct, employing the crudest, most primal forms of combat against their coordinated assault. If he is already this powerful, what would he become once he mastered true martial techniques? Such a person must be eliminated. Xiaozhe's face darkened. He too grasped the truth. Having already incurred Gu Feng's enmity, he must sever his future entirely, while he remained weak. Kill! Kill! 30 body-refining cultivators roared in unison, their voices charged with suicidal resolve. A desiccated arm, like gnarled tree root, slipped through a fleeting gap and materialized behind Gu Feng. Its 5 fingers glowed with eerie light, radiating chilling cold that shimmered off their tips. Gu Feng dodged now. That is the phantom claw. His fingers have been steeped in poison for years. Mere contact with its residue can cripple bodily functions and render an opponent helpless. Yin Cece cried out in alarm. As an alchemist, she might not recognize every martial art, but such vile techniques were all too familiar to her. She warned Gu Feng precisely because she understood the Phantom Claw's horror. What vulgar Phantom Claw? Before absolute strength, it can only meet annihilation. Take this fist. A roar erupted. Divine wrath mingled with bestial fury. As Gu Feng swung his fist backward, the sheer force making the surrounding air shudder. Crack! All 5 withered fingers snapped backward, a jagged white bone pierced through the elbow's skin, and the entire arm was instantly shattered. The cultivator's eyes bulged, his face draining of color. Terror seized his soul. He could not believe his pride, honed over years of cultivation, had been obliterated by a single blow. I will kill you. His eyes burned crimson madness, twisting his features. His molars cracked under the pressure of his own fury. Yet even as he screamed, another fist launched him skyward, blood arcing through the air before he crashed into a lake 100 meters away, its clear surface blooming with ripples of crimson. Kill! Die! 2 roars split the air simultaneously. A silver flash and a black streak cleaved downward, weapons humming with resonant metallic shrieks. The frigid aura made Gu Feng flinch. He twisted aside, then shot out both hands. 2 fingers clamped the sword tip, while 5 fingers locked onto the blade's spine. Like twin iron vices, they locked fast, leaving the weapon wielders gaping in disbelief. Rise! A thunderclap detonated inside their skulls. Their eardrums rang, heads spun, and suddenly their bodies lifted helplessly into the air. In the next instant, the world inverted. Backs slammed hard into earth, blood surging hot and metallic in throats. Yet even then their fingers clenched tight around their weapons. Release them! Gu Feng bellowed again. Both feet lashed out in near simultaneous kicks, sending 2 burly figures soaring like paper scraps hundreds of meters away. This youth is too strong. Go all out. A cultivator snarled, pulling a crimson pellet from his storage pouch, his gaze savage as he swallowed it whole. Gu Feng caught the movement mid-battle. He swung his fists wildly to repel nearby attackers, then drove his feet hard into the ground. Though he'd never learned any footwork, the sheer explosive force propelled him forward with startling speed. Like a lightning bolt, he closed the distance. Left hand seizing the cultivator's throat, right fist hammering into his abdomen. The motion flowed flawlessly, fluid, precise, as if rehearsed countless times. Ugh! The cultivator's mouth gaped wide, tongue lolling grotesquely like a hanged man's. Just as the crimson pill slipped down his throat, it was violently expelled. Gu Feng moved with limbs flying, kicking the man aside while snatching the pill midair. He glanced at it briefly, then exhaled sharply. Good thing I spotted it in time. Losing 1 pill would cost many spirit stones. Onlookers' mouths twitched, expressions shifting through bewildered shades of disbelief. How obsessed with wealth could one be, to snatch back a pill already swallowed? Did he feel no revulsion? In the split second he reached for the pill, an opening appeared, and a rain of blows hammered into his back. He endured dozens of strikes, chest tightening with oppressive weight. Seizing the moment, he gripped one assailant's arm, its massive frame lifting like a scarecrow before crashing headlong into the earth. Boom! The impact trembled the ground itself, carving a human-shaped crater that reverberated through every onlooker's heart. Gu Feng seized the dazed cultivator like a living weapon, swinging him wildly in all directions. His attackers faltered, their rhythm broken, scrambling desperately to avoid collateral damage. Kill him! Hold nothing back! Xiaoze, eyes bloodshot and voice raw, screamed without restraint, hovering at the edge of madness. His subordinate's safety meant nothing now. His mind held only one command: kill Gu Feng. Gu Feng's gaze sharpened, locking onto Xiaoze. He hurled the captive cultivator like a projectile, then enduring blows closed the distance toward the battlefield's commander. Gu Feng moved too fast. By the time Xiaoze sensed danger, it was already too late. Boom! A direct punch shattered his face, tears and blood bursting forth in torrents. To prevent escape, Gu Feng seized Xiaoze's arm before striking. Release Master Qiao. The remaining dozen or so combat-ready cultivators glared at Gu Feng, fury blazing in their eyes. Gu Feng smiled faintly, grabbed Xiaoze's hair, and slammed his head deep into the earth. When he yanked him up again, the young master's face was unrecognizable. Mud, blood, and filth clogged his mouth and nostrils, pitiful beyond measure. No more talk. Lay down your weapons, jade pendants, storage pouches, robes, boots, everything. In short, keep only your undergarments. Holding Xiaoze hostage, Gu Feng grinned, flashing 2 rows of brilliant white teeth. You truly have no regard for your life. A cultivator narrowed his eyes in threat, but Gu Feng answered with a thunderous slap across Xiaoze's face. I have no patience for empty words, Gu Feng said coldly. Master Qiao, remember well, each additional slap you endure stems directly from your followers' failure. Do not act rashly. We'll comply. One cultivator spoke, striving for calm. They followed Xiaoze not merely due to his 2 elder brothers in the inner sect, but because the Qiao clan's vast influence shaped the rise and fall of their own families. Why strike him again? We've obeyed. Uff, do you truly wish to fight us to the death? Uff, Xiaozhe's followers had lost all reason. Faces twisted, teeth grinding, burning with the desire to tear Gu Feng limb from limb. Stop talking, just do it. Xiaozhe gasped, summoning every shred of strength to command his men. Those bastards were surely doing it on purpose, deliberately stalling to provoke more slaps upon him. Soon a mound of confiscated goods lay piled high, and 30 bare, humiliated figures stood exposed. Gu Feng chuckled softly, then kicked Xiaozhe away. Take your master and get out. You. Another cultivator tried to speak, but Xiaozhe struck him hard across the face. Is your shame not enough already? His gaze turned sullen, hatred coalescing in silence. He cast one final venomous look at Gu Feng, then slumped unconscious, carried away by his shaken followers. Once Xiaozhe's party vanished into the distance, Gu Feng swept his sharp gaze across the crowd. Every cultivator he met flinched and bowed their heads in dread. Next came a cheerful voice, so much loot, it's cumbersome to carry. Anyone interested? Bid now. The remark plunged the already somber scene into deeper silence. Heads bent lower still. These items were all masterworks, yet also death warrants. Who dared purchase them? None would survive the night. Not even free gifts would be accepted. None possessed Gu Feng's terrifying strength nor his utter lack of fear. No takers. Then I'll sell them to the sect. Gu Feng smiled, brightly, bending to gather the spoils, his carefree, guileless joy leaving observers deeply unsettled. This youth's courage was forged of pure steel. Fear was utterly unknown to him. As he collected the goods, another cultivator approached from afar. He was short, unremarkable in appearance, yet his exposed skin shimmered with an uncanny, otherworldly luster. Onlookers stared in astonishment, parting instinctively to make way. What brings him here? Isn't he cultivating to break through to chi absorption? He needed resources for his breakthrough, and reportedly joined the robbery of new outer sect disciples. Has he come to challenge Gu Feng? Unclear. His strength may rival Gu Feng's. Their clash would surely be legendary. Amid murmurs thick with reverence and dread stood the undisputed sovereign of the outer sect's body refinement realm, Tuobale. His true power remained veiled, but it was known he had bested multiple chi absorption, first realm cultivators, even holding his own against second realm masters without yielding. Proud, defiant, and fearless, Tuobale ranked among the few outer sect body refiners whom even Xiaozhe scrupulously avoided. Gu Feng tilted his head, squinting. Tuobale's strength was undeniable. Beneath that unassuming exterior pulsed terrifying physical might. Outer sect's strongest body refiner was no exaggeration. Between masters, an ineffable resonance existed. At first glance, Gu Feng recognized Tuobale as a peer, formidable, worthy of profound respect. Tuobale walked steadily forward, gaze fixed solely on Gu Feng. Halting a zhang away, his right hand drifted toward his waist, where a pitch-black, short blade hung. Gu Feng's expression hardened. He rose slowly. This opponent merited full seriousness. Just as spectators braced for another cataclysmic duel, the scene shifted unexpectedly. Tuobale broke into a grin, his hand bypassing the blade entirely to unhook his storage pouch. All spoils taken from new outer sect disciples. I returned them in full. Then he produced another pouch. 5,000 low-grade spirit stones. My apology. I am at a critical juncture in breaking through to chi absorption. Please spare me from your fists. An additional 2,000 spirit stones for the privilege of exemption from your raids this month. These resources are vital. I cannot afford to lose them. A collective mental hemorrhage seized everyone present, including Gu Feng. Is this truly Tuobale, or merely someone wearing his face? Where was his pride, his defiance, his dignity? Surrendering before battle even began. This was absurd beyond belief. Spectators reeled. Their entire perception of Tuobale, outer sect's fiercest warrior, splintered irrevocably. Sensing their shock, Tuobale shrugged. He's a monster. Fighting him is just asking for pain. I'm merely solitary, not stupid. Tuobale's unflinching candor left Gu Feng momentarily speechless. Recovering, he laughed, rubbing his hands together and slinging an arm around the other's neck. Brother, no need for such formality. Let's go, dinner awaits. Then turning to Xianxia and the others, you're all invited too. That's truly wonderful. Seeing you display such might, I've been gathering spirit stones everywhere. To be honest, I currently don't have a single extra spirit stone on me and owe a large sum of debt. I must eat my fill this time to store energy for the days ahead, then venture out to hunt some demon beasts to last until the end of the month. Tuobale grinned widely. You're so straightforward, am not a stingy person either. Eat as much as you want. Gu Feng laughed heartily, revealing a row of bright, white teeth waved at Wu Qi, and the others quickened his pace and headed towards the tavern. Haha, I've heard that the food in the tavern of the Luoxia sect's outer door is made from high-grade demon beast meat, which is extremely beneficial for body refinement if consumed regularly. That's right. Many demon beasts on the brink of extinction in the wild are domesticated within the Luoxia sect. I've wanted to try it for a long time. Ever since I was robbed, even eating has become a problem. The former brother was indeed impressive. Following him means there's meat to eat. They were all earnest young people, and Gu Feng restored their dignity, as any previous displeasure among them had long dissipated. Everyone linked arms looking like good brothers, and in their cheerful mood, even their injuries seemed to be healing a bit faster. Xianxia looked at the laughing Gu Feng, the carefree Tuoba Lei, and the emotionally uplifted Wu Qi and others behind her, then glanced down at her withered storage bag, frowning, slightly feeling that things weren't as simple as they seemed. Whatever, let's eat our fill first. After Gu Feng and the others walked away, the onlookers finally dared to discuss openly. This newcomer is really strong, so strong that even Tuoba Lei dares not act against him. The title of the first body refinement in the outer door has officially changed hands from today. Why do I feel that those Kai-attracting cultivators at the foot of Lishan Mountain might not even be able to defeat him? Bro, be more confident. Those Kai-attracting cultivators are definitely no match for him. This time he has thoroughly offended Xiaozhe. He definitely won't let it go. The former brother's future is bleak, and the outer door's storm is brewing again. The last time this happened was a year ago with Chu Yanran. She merely passed by the outer door, showed a bit of her strength, and made many young talents bow their heads in defeat. Coincidentally, Chu Yanran is also Gu Feng's predecessor. What kind of sparks will fly between them in the future? I really look forward to it. The former brother has quirks. With such strength, he prefers to disguise himself as a first-level body refiner. Everyone should keep their eyes peeled. A 9th-level body refiner is just as dangerous as a first-level one. Who knows when similar cultivators might appear again? The end of the month is approaching. It will be another chaotic battle. Why don't we also follow Tuoba Lei's example and buy a free robbery qualification from the former brother for this month? That's worth considering. Spending some spirit stones in advance is better than being left with only our underwear when the time comes. He'll go with you. This battle established Gu Feng's position among the disciples of the outer door. Some disciples were even contemplating bribing Gu Feng to prevent him from robbing them. On a nearby mountain peak, the members of the Su Nu sect still couldn't believe what they had witnessed today. The leading female cultivator looked at the bone-shaping pill in her hand and shook her head with a bitter smile. For such a formidable person, preparing a bone-shaping pill is merely an insult. He doesn't need such unnecessary items at all. The former junior brother is so strong enough to make a young lady feel restless, wishing to find an opportunity to test his strength. Not only strong, but also somewhat handsome, much more pleasing to the eye than those oily and powdered cultivators. If I were Chu Yanran, I wouldn't be willing to break off the engagement at any cost. At some point, a graceful woman had appeared on the mountain peak, and the lively banter fell silent. Sect Master, when did you arrive? A while ago, Chu Yuan pouted. She had come here when Gu Feng was in a fierce battle, but these silly girls were too engrossed to notice her. Sect Master, should we go take a look at the former brother? The leading female cultivator asked, frowning. When the situation was unclear before, you didn't take action. Now that he has won, what use is there in going? Chu Yuan casually shook her head. She gazed into the distance, looking at Gu Feng's silhouette, and murmured softly, this physique. What are you all standing there for? The proud Su Nu sect, the first in the outer door, hasn't been able to win the annual competition for several years. Where do you get the courage to watch the fun? Get back to your training. Yes, Sect Master. The women grimaced and dispersed in a hurry. I haven't eaten food from the outer door in a long time. Let's go sneak a meal. After the women left, Chu Yuan smiled and flew towards the outer door tavern. Gu Feng sought everyone's opinions and boldly entered a high-end establishment named First Tavern. First Tavern lived up to its name, being more luxurious than any establishment Gu Feng had seen in Yunhua City. The interior was brilliantly illuminated, bustling with noise and chatter. Who has experience in this area? Gu Feng smiled at everyone, his rows of white teeth sparkling. I have no experience in this area. This was the second time Xianxia had seen Gu Feng display such an expression, and her ominous feelings grew stronger, prompting her to deny it immediately. Wu Qi volunteered, standing up. Il asked the tavern owner. Soon he returned to the group. Let's go to the 3rd floor. The hall there can accommodate all of us. What do you all think? Gu Feng scanned the crowd, smiling as he asked. The hall is good. Everyone can sit together. So, a large group of people marched proudly to the 3rd floor. Boss, we're ready to order. Finally having the opportunity to feast, everyone was unrestrained, calling out loudly. Among them, Tuoba Lei was the most excited, pulling out over 10,000 spirit stones, worsening his originally tight finances. He had already resolved to eat heartily to recover his losses. Plates of exquisite food emitted enticing aromas, stirring appetites. Let's eat. Gu Feng was also not polite, grabbing an unknown beast's leg before devouring it, as if he had been starving for ages. Haha, now I understand why Chu Yanran wanted to break off the engagement. With such eating habits, no woman could stand it. A magnetic voice reached Gu Feng's ears, and he turned to look, momentarily taken aback. When did you arrive? Just here for a free meal, is that a problem? While speaking, Chu Yohuan threw a flirtatious glance at Gu Feng. Eat as you please. Gu Feng laughed heartily. As the crowd mingled and the atmosphere soared, only xianxia not far from Gu Feng occasionally cast glances at him, keeping an eye on his presence. Former junior brother, about your physique. It seems. After several rounds of drinks, Chu Yohuan pondered for a moment before quietly asking, It's exactly what you think it is. Gu Feng's nonchalant attitude made her heart tremble slightly. If you ever need anything, feel free to look for me. I firmly believe your life is destined to be extraordinary. After a moment of silence, Chu Yohuan changed her usual demeanor and said seriously, That's great. Can I borrow some money from you? You look like a wealthy person. Gu Feng chuckled. Sure, you can borrow someone, but borrowing money is off the table. Chu Yohuan was momentarily stunned before bursting into exaggerated laughter. Before long, everyone had nearly finished eating, and the entire third-floor hall was a mess with food remnants scattered everywhere. Gu Feng swayed as he stood up, burping. I'm going out to relieve myself. I will be back to drink you all under the table. Ha, hurry up, you're no match for fighting, but drinking is a different story. Tua Ballet, who had drunk too much, laughed heartily. Despite his small stature, he could hold his liquor remarkably, while seeming like a bottomless pit, downing jug after jug of spirit wine without a hint of blushing. Gu Feng, have you had too much to drink? Let me help you. Seeing Gu Feng's, but leave the chair, xianxia sprang up and quickly approached him. This scene elicited ambiguous smiles from everyone. Chu Yohuan looked at the two with a knowing gaze and couldn't help but pinch xianxia's cheek. If your sister Yeshua sees this scene, she might go crazy. Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret for you. With xianxia's support, Gu Feng circled around the third floor, and seeing that she was unwaveringly by his side, couldn't help but speak. I'm going to the restroom. You don't need to follow me. Restroom? Aren't you supposed to go to the first floor? First floor? What first floor? Gu Feng pulled at the corners of his mouth in surprise. Let's pack some food and then retreat. xianxia blinked her big shining eyes. Together? If not together, what will I do? I have no money to pay the bill. xianxia pouted and muttered. Let's go, we'll share some food with you later. Gu Feng laughed heartily, pulling xianxia as they crouched down and sneaked downstairs. The food here isn't cheap, and Wu Qi and the others are all broke now. No problem, isn't there? Still Chu Yohuan. She is a big shot in the inner door, and this amount of spirit stones is nothing to her. As a senior sister, treating my junior brothers to a big meal is very reasonable. This woman keeps calling me former brother, stirring up resentment against me. I'll have to teach her a lesson. That's after Gu Feng and xianxia left their seats, someone mustering their courage approached Chu Yohuan to toast. Unexpectedly, this fifth-ranked celestial beauty of the inner sect surprisingly did not reject this group of minor characters. This energized Wu Qi and the others, and the atmosphere instantly became lively again. Unbeknownst to them, time passed, and starlight streamed into the hall, making the outer gate of the Xianxia sect unusually tranquil. Why hasn't the former brother returned yet? Someone shouted, and in an instant the entire hall fell into an ear. Everyone exchanged glances, their hearts suddenly plummeting. An ominous premonition surged from the depths of their hearts, sweeping through their bodies in an instant. This was too unusual. Even with some convenience for such matters, it shouldn't take a whole hour. Undeniably, the physical prowess of the former brother was exceptional, but to take this long was clearly illogical. He can't be running away, right? Someone said with a laugh. Silence, an extremely strange silence. This joke was not funny at all. Everyone present was no fool. The likelihood of that possibility was quite substantial. In a flash, all eyes turned to the highest-ranking and most powerful Chu Yohuan. Her smile froze on her face as she suddenly stood up, then slowly sat back down. That bastard really... Her white fist slammed heavily on the table, her expression somewhat displeased. Why are you all looking at me? Do you want me to pay the bill? She was well aware of the consumption level at the first tavern. With over 100 people feasting and ordering the most expensive dishes, it would undoubtedly cost several tens of thousands of spirit stones. Though she was the fifth of the inner sect and had impressive earning abilities, everything she earned had been exchanged for cultivation resources, leaving her with little actual wealth. 80,000 spirit stones was no small sum. Whether she could afford it was one thing, but even if she could, she would not be willing to be the scapegoat. Chu Shiji, we have no money. Tua Balei said with a bitter smile, opening his storage bag and handing it to Chu Yohuan, which was bare and cleaner than his own face. I have no money either. I was just robbed a while ago, and the spirit stones sent from home are still on the way. Not only do we have no money, but we also owe the former brother a large sum of spirit stones. Chu Shiji, please help us pay the bill, otherwise we won't be able to leave. Just consider it a loan, and when the spirit stones arrive from home, I will return them to you. Everyone at the scene wore bitter faces, eagerly looking at Chu Yohuan in desperation. This is infuriating. Chu Yohuan bit her pristine teeth, her stunning face filled with rage. At this moment she regretted coming to mooch food. Now it was fine as she had gotten the food, but had also dragged herself into trouble. As a fifth-ranked inner sect disciple, dining for free at the outer sect would only lead to ridicule throughout the xianxia sect. She had her pride. Damn Gu Feng, he has no limits. I curse you to be the former brother for a lifetime. Xu Yuan's teeth chattered as she stomped her foot on the floor, while a group of people behind her hung their heads, flocking to the first floor. Third floor hall bill, please. A cold voice rang in her ears. The waiter was taken aback. It was just a bill, but his face looked as if someone had just robbed him. Clatter, clatter. The sound of the abacus was chaotic, making Xu Yuan even more agitated. Hurry up. All right, the total is 163000 low-grade spirit stones. After deducting the lead, we will charge you 160000. Upon hearing this, Xu Yuan's expression froze, and then murderous rage flashed across her brows. Has your first tavern turned into bandits? 160000. Why don't you go rob someone? Although she hadn't spent much time in the outer sect, she was a regular at this tavern and had a preliminary understanding of their pricing. For this round of consumption, even with rising prices, it shouldn't exceed 100 spirit stones. How could this waiter possibly calculate it to 1600? What was the difference between this and robbery? Shiji, please calm down. I'm just a worker that want help to take your anger out on me. Perhaps realizing Xu Yuan's extraordinary status, the waiter smiled bitterly and spoke softly. Before her, he began to recalculate. Scallion and deer antlers 688, totaling 12 servings, grilled deer meatballs 799, totaling 18 servings. The waiter calculated slowly, ensuring Xu Yuan could see clearly. The latter's expression softened significantly. The prices for these dishes were quite reasonable. After all items were calculated, she crossed her arms, determined to see how he came up with the total of 1600 spirit stones. The waiter began. A man and a woman who dined with you packed over 1,000 portions of various foods when leaving, totaling 800 spirit stones. Adding the previous 8300, the total is 16300. As soon as the waiter's words fell, everyone, including Xu Yuan, couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of old blood. This guy was really outrageous. Not only did he eat without paying, but he also packed food, and it was over 1,000 portions at that. Xu Yuan was both angry and embarrassed. She could afford 800 spirit stones, but 1600 was truly impossible. The waiter looked at her expectantly, while Wu Qi and the others behind him also stared eagerly at her, making her used to the world feel her cheeks burning. She suddenly turned around and shouted at everyone. What are you all doing standing here, hindering the boss from doing business? Can't you show a little awareness? Go wait outside. Hearing this, everyone shrank their necks and scattered in a hurry. After they had gone far, Xu Yuan forced out a highly tempting smile. Waiter, could we perhaps get a discount? Although this Shiji was very beautiful, the tavern wasn't run by him. He was just a worker. The waiter ruthlessly rejected Xu Yuan's request. In the end, with a dark expression, Xu Yuan took out 100 spirit stones, plus a few treasures, as collateral, barely settling the bill. Upon leaving the tavern, Xu Yuan ignored Wu Qi and the others, angrily heading straight to the headquarters of the Sunu sect. Listen up, go find that bastard Gu Feng tomorrow to demand the debt. This abrupt statement left the members of the Sunu sect somewhat dazed. That scoundrel ran away halfway through the meal, and the rest of the little rascals are all broke with not a single spirit stone on them, making me cover 1600 spirit stones for nothing. You must get this money back for me. Seeing Xu Yuan's gritted teeth, the female cultivators perked up. After understanding the situation, everyone burst into laughter. Truly worthy of being the former junior brother, his behavior is a perfect embodiment of being a former brother for a lifetime. No one can bear it. This is too much. Only he could eat and run like this. And he packed takeout over 1,000 portions. How outrageous is that? Sect master, why not consider this 1600 as a maintenance fee and let him come over to serve at night? However, the protagonist of the incident had just returned to his small courtyard and hadn't even had the chance to lie down before being summoned by Elder Lu. For the time being, venture outside as little as possible. Elder Lu made no reprimand for Gu Feng's daytime clash with Qiuzhe. His very first words were these. Do you mean fewer outings beyond the outer sect, or fewer steps beyond our courtyard? Gu Feng asked with a smile, respectfully offering a spatial storage pouch. You still underestimate the outer sect far too much. Do you truly believe yourself invincible here? Elder Lu chided, half laughing. Am I not? You are merely invincible among those at the body refinement realm within the outer sect. The truly formidable cultivators train atop Lishan Mountain. Some have already advanced to the postnatal realm. As he spoke, Elder Lu pointed out the window toward a distant towering peak, so high it pierced the clouds, its summit faintly shimmering with arcane sigils. The entire Lishan Mountain is inscribed with over 108,000 sigils. Linked together, they form a supreme spirit-gathering formation, drawing spiritual energy from across the outer sect to aid disciples in breaking through to the Qi absorption realm. Only then did Gu Feng gain a comprehensive understanding of the outer sect advancement to the inner sect resembled sifting gold from roaring waves, brutally competitive, mercilessly selective. Each year the top 10 in the grand competition automatically enter the inner sect. The top 100 earn the right to challenge inner sect disciples, but such challenges rarely succeed. Thus among hundreds of thousands of outer sect disciples, only a dozen or so ascend annually, a ratio far more ruthless than any mortal examination, truly 1 in 10,000. The body refinement realm forms the foundational cornerstone of cultivation, universally regarded as the most critical stage before the innate realm. Like the bedrock of the Tao itself, the sturdier the foundation, the greater the advantage it confers upon future advancement. Many outer sect cultivators could break through to the qi absorption realm at any moment, yet they deliberately suppress their breakthrough, relentlessly strengthening their physical bodies, instead, all to maximize the expansion of their dantian at the very instant of ascension. Elder Lu does greater physical strength indeed yield a larger dantian upon breaking into the qi absorption realm, and thus superior combat prowess within the same realm. Gu Feng asked, eyes alight with excitement. His physique already possessed extraordinary power, yet he remained unbroken into the qi absorption realm. The sheer magnitude of his impending strength was staggering to imagine. Simultaneously, he grasped Elder Lu's true purpose in summoning him, to urge humility, to dispel the illusion of invincibility, and to remind him that above him stood cultivators of the qi absorption realm. Xiaozhe intends to move against you. Prepare yourself mentally. Within the outer sect he will not go too far. Beyond it, however, even I cannot intervene. I stand alone, unburdened, unafraid of underhanded schemes. As for the outer sect itself, they've barely arrived, and I've already struck. Gu Feng declared, his aura surging, his gaze piercing as twin blades. Ha ha ha, such bold words. Let me test your current strength myself. Elder Lu chuckled deeply, stroking his beard, his mind already stirring to gauge the power of the myriad calamities physique. Very well. Gu Feng rose, standing tall. He too longed to know precisely how formidable his body. I shall suppress my cultivation to the qi absorption realm, so we may both perceive the disparity clearly. Elder Lu stood serene and aloof, hands clasped behind his back, awaiting Gu Feng's strike. Boom! Gu Feng drew a deep breath, channeling every ounce of his strength into his right arm, twisting his waist, then unleashed a torrent of monstrous force, slamming full force into Elder Lu's chest with a muffled grunt. Elder Lu did not budge an inch. Only a flicker of pain crossed his brow. Elder Lu, how would this fist fare against a true qi absorption realm cultivator? Gu Feng asked, exhilarated. Passable, though you still underestimate the qi absorption realm cultivators of Luoxia sect. Elder Lu rumbled, voice thick with gravitas. Clearly further cultivation is needed. Gu Feng nodded in earnest agreement. Elder Lu slowly turned away, facing the wall. His face instantly flushed, crimson teeth clenched as he waved dismissively behind his back. Return for now. Tomorrow visit the Outer Sect Martial Arts Hall to select a technique. Your combat instincts are sound, but your force application is flawed. Against qi absorption realm opponents, brute strength alone is insufficient. After Gu Feng departed, Elder Lu whirled around, dropped to his knees, and rubbed his chest vigorously. Remarkable boy, still short of the body refinement realm's apex, yet his strength already exceeds 100,000 gene. The myriad calamities physique is terrifying indeed. Nearly killed me. The next morning at dawn, Gu Feng stepped out of his courtyard and approached the entrance of the martial art. Hey, what a coincidence. Are you here to choose martial techniques too? Wu Qi and the others' faces darkened instantly upon seeing Gu Feng approach with a grin. Oh, by the way, who paid for dinner last night? Was it Chu Yohuan? Knew it. She must have money on her. Don't scowl so. Having Chu Yohuan treat us is quite the honor. Without me, would you even have had the chance? Gu Feng warmly slung an arm around Chao Yuan's shoulders. Then seeing their continued glowers, his own expression hardened. Do you think I've wronged you? No. Then why the grim faces? The martial arts hall permits entry for only 1 hour. We're still deliberating our choices. Gu Feng nodded, satisfied. Last night I'd intended to treat everyone, but with senior sister Chu present, how could I possibly take the lead? I'll make it up to you later. At this, Wu Qi and the others stared dumbfounded, mouths twitching. Wasn't proposing the meal itself an implicit promise to pay? Even if he hadn't intended to treat them, dragging away over 1,000 takeout portions was unforgivable, leaving them berated by Chu Yohuan for a full quarter hour. Sigh. Given yesterday's fierce defense on our behalf, let it pass. After all, the true victim was Chu Yohuan. Technically, we ate for free. The group entered the martial arts hall. Each outer sect disciple received one opportunity to exchange spirit stones for a martial technique. Thereafter, acquisition required outer sect merit points. Thus, Wu Qi and his companions cherished this chance intensely. Human affairs abide everywhere, even within the outer sect. They approached the duty elder, and silently produced a spatial storage pouch filled with spirit stones. Gu Feng's eyes gleamed. He lunged forward, snatching the pouch from their hands in a single swift motion. "Esteemed elder, this is our humble token of respect. Please accept it graciously." Wu Qi and the others' faces darkened again. This youth was utterly shameless. So vital a choice, yet unwilling to part with even a single spirit stone, or worse, still brazenly presenting their contribution as his own. Fortunately, he'd opened with my brothers and I, not claiming sole ownership. The elder opposite stood stunned, having never encountered a disciple so audaciously impudent. Yet as an elder, he saw no need to quarrel with a mere outer sect novice. "State your strengths. I shall offer modest guidance." The elder accepted the pouch with a smile. "I specialize in leg techniques. I seek a matching art. I wield the sword. Sword arts suit me best. The spear reigns as king among all weapons, majestic, awe-inspiring." Everyone eagerly voiced their preferences, until it came Gu Feng's turn. He grinned, sheepishly scratching his head. "Any affordable ones? Preferably free, but exceptionally none." The elder's smile froze, his tone turned icy. "Cheap goods lack excellence. Oh, excellent goods command price. You demand supreme power, and refuse to pay. Where might such wonders exist? Introduce them to me." Such a simple request, and yet none exists. "This martial arts hall is rather underwhelming." Gu Feng muttered, then strode inside. The elder's face instantly darkened. He longed to seize Gu Feng, pry open his skull, and see what manner of substance filled it. Fascinating. This incarnation of the myriad calamities physique exhibits a temperament markedly distinct from historical records. In this world, martial arts and techniques are clearly categorized into ranks: common, spiritual, and mystic. The Outer Sect's martial arts hall has 4 floors storing low-level common techniques, mid-level common techniques, high-level common techniques, and low-level spiritual techniques from bottom to top. In fact, the top floor has not been opened for many years. The stairs leading from the 3rd floor to the 4th floor are covered in a thick layer of dust, which confirms this. This is because spiritual martial arts are suitable for cultivators above the postnatal realm, and even at the peak of its prosperity, it was rare for a postnatal cultivator to be barred from entering the inner sect. Even if there were any, they would be exceedingly few, and at most they would have to wait a year before entering the inner sect. Another reason why no one enters the 4th floor is that the spiritual techniques here are far inferior to those in the inner sect's martial arts hall. Even if one cultivates them, they would mostly have to switch when they reach the inner sect, making it unnecessary to bother. Without hesitation, Wu Qi and the others rushed to the 3rd floor, while Gu Feng merely glanced at it before returning to the 1st floor. There was no choice. The martial arts here are too expensive, with high-level common techniques generally priced above 30,000 and some even nearing 100,000. Even the mid-level common techniques on the 2nd floor cost around 10 to 20,000. Gu Feng had money, or rather he was quite wealthy, but he couldn't resist the gluttonous beast in his mind. To cultivate one must use spirit stones. He had tried taking pills before and found that the white divine liquid converted from spirit stones was the most suitable method for him, and it left no residue like pills, making it a truly harmless food. To acquire more spirit stones, one must either increase income or reduce expenditure. Gu Feng was tackling both fronts. Not paying for meals was a form of saving, and choosing cheaper techniques also counted as frugality. Upon arriving at the 1st floor, Gu Feng did not immediately look at the martial arts, but stood there in deep thought. Cheap goods aren't necessarily bad, but it's not absolute. All techniques here have some flaws. I just need to select the martial arts that can maximize my strength advantage. After clarifying his thoughts, Gu Feng began to scan the rows of shelves. The 1,000 Hands of Buddha. The name is impressive, but it's essentially a technique focused on speed. Great Songyang Divine Palm. What a piece of junk. It's just a technique that requires constant fire tempering. It doesn't fear being burnt to a crisp. Azure Dragon's Claw. This martial art is an insult to the Azure Dragon and costs 5,000 spirit stones. Oh, why not just go rob a bank? After looking around, Gu Feng was greatly disappointed. Just as he was contemplating whether to head to the 2nd floor, a technique named 10,000 Beasts Technique caught his attention. What attracted him was not the technique itself, but its price: 500 low-grade spirit stones. So cheap. This must be the least expensive martial art in the entire martial arts hall. Suddenly, Gu Feng felt invigorated and quickly grabbed the 10,000 Beasts Technique. To ensure disciples could accurately understand the general situation of the martial arts, each technique allowed a preview of the first 3 pages. Like other martial arts, the first page of 10,000 Beasts Technique contained a brief account of the author's process of creating the technique and its purpose. After quickly browsing through it, Gu Feng's expression turned strange, and he felt an urge to laugh. The creator of the 10,000 Beasts Technique was named Yi Tian, who was truly a genius. To summarize, the struggling Yi Tian, after joining the Falling Sunset sect, saw his childhood sweetheart fall into the arms of a weapon refiner. In his rage, he swore never to use any weapons in this lifetime, spending 10 years observing the instincts of monsters and painstakingly researching physical combat techniques, ultimately creating the 10,000 Beasts technique. What truly resolved Gu Feng to choose this martial art was the last sentence on the first page. This is a technique created for impoverished cultivators. By mastering it, you will transform into a human weapon invincible in physical combat. Every organ, every bone of yours becomes a lethal weapon, and you will never have to spend money upgrading weapons again. That makes sense. That makes too much sense. Postnatal cultivators use common weapons, and those at the postnatal to innate realm use spiritual weapons. As your realm increases, upgrading your weapon becomes unavoidable. As the rank increases, the prices of weapons grow exponentially. Some people have gone bankrupt just to obtain a reliable weapon. Gu Feng believed that spirit stones should be used wisely and not squandered. He was already a glutton for spirit stones, often having very few in his pocket, so where would he find the money to upgrade weapons? With this in mind, he hesitated no longer, directly grabbing the 10,000 Beasts technique and heading straight to the elder on duty. Elder, I choose this martial art. At that moment, Wu Lai and the others also finished selecting their techniques. Seeing Gu Feng's choice of 10,000 Beasts technique, their first reaction was that it was an incredibly powerful martial art, as evident from its name. However, when they saw the price on the martial art, their expressions turned strange, caught between wanting to laugh and not daring to do so. What were you thinking choosing this 10,000 Beasts technique? This elder is quite curious to know your thoughts when you selected this martial art. It only costs 500 spirit stones, and I feel that this martial art is not weak. Gu Feng chuckled and scratched his head. Hearing this, everyone, including the elder on duty, couldn't help but roll their eyes. You robbed so much and still act poor. No one is borrowing money from you, so why put on a show? Fine, if you want to choose, I can't stop you. It's this martial art for now, but if you want to choose again, next time you'll need sect. Understood. Gu Feng nodded seriously. From the second month onwards, outer sect disciples are required to complete regular tasks assigned by the sect each month to earn corresponding points. To earn more points, they can accept tasks issued by the sect from time to time. The points earned from tasks can be exchanged for items in the task hall or techniques in the martial arts hall. In short, they are very useful. Of course, the difficulties are not small, and one might lose their life in the wild at any moment. Elder, may I ask what happened to the creator of the 10,000 Beasts technique? Did he ever get to face the weapon? The elder on duty, who was busy handling paperwork, chuckled upon hearing this, as if energized by a stimulant suddenly becoming lively. You've read too many folktales, haven't you? Etienne never got to see the day of revenge. He unexpectedly perished during an outer sect competition. Perished? Is that a joke? Gu Feng's mouth twitched, feeling a chaotic sense of disbelief. The technique's introduction sounded so grand, yet his demise was so abrupt. Do you want to know how Etienne perished? The elder on duty smiled oddly. He mistakenly believed his body was invulnerable after training, and during the outer sect competition faced his opponent's longsword with his chest. He was pierced by a single sword and fell on the spot, becoming one of the few fatalities in the history of outer sect competitions. PFF, Wu Qi and the others could no longer hold back, bursting into unrestrained laughter. What? Do you think that just because you've trained in high-level common martial arts you can defeat me? Swish. This statement blew a cold wind, chilling everyone to the bone. Suddenly, they felt that their high-level common martial arts were no longer appealing. Given their talents, even if they practiced those techniques to perfection, they would still not be a match for the former brother.